While running away, the MC thinks about life being like a boiled egg, meaning that no matter what you do, there is no real meaning. His chasers catch up to him and search his belongings for a relic. They find it and decapitate him, ending his life. However, it seems this isn't the end, as he speaks to the mother of corruption, a hand grabbing his body while screaming murder. He tells her not to get angry, as he has already collected the divinity inside the relic. He grabs his head from the snow and reattaches it, noting that he did lose some money in the process. We get his backstory. As he reached his late 20s, he became too tired and busy to play games properly, which is why he always made compromises by using an editor. But one game he kept playing normally was to experience being the priest of corruption, the hardest and worst performing class. He couldn't control himself as his heart raced whenever he played this way. Around the time he completed his class quest and used up all his progression materials, he got transported into the game, becoming the priest of corruption. The hand that keeps screaming at him is the lordess he serves, the mother of corruption. He started serving her 5 years ago when he woke up inside the game with only a robe and her hand lying on his chest. Because of her overwhelming presence, he felt connected to the hand and quickly accepted that he'd been transported into the game. According to the game's description, the priest of corruption is a genetically enhanced human modified by drugs, resulting in enhanced physical abilities, heightened senses, and a body that can only be killed by divinity. He notes that he couldn't stand the sight of blood before, but the gruesome scene unfolding before him now has no effect on him. His only real problem is that his body can no longer feel or taste anything. Inside an adventurer's guild, he gets his id, with the receptionist calling him Priest Marnak. He asks about work, and she searches, saying there must be something for a priest serving the Lordess of Preservation like him. Marnak reflects that after entering the northern city of Geese, he decided to impersonate a member of the Order of Preservation. If he served a different lord, that would have become furious, and marked him the moment he impersonated another order's member, a mark only other members could see. However, the Mother of Corruption is benevolent about such things. The Order of Corruption is everyone's enemy, and he, also hated by all, was Mother's only follower. The receptionist finally finds a job for him. Marnak reads that it involves hunting bandits or monsters, as the Lord of Geese is concerned about farmers going missing while traveling to the city. Those who find the cause and defeat it will be rewarded with 30 nips of silver per head. The receptionist is surprised he can read. Marnak thinks about how he was able to read and write in this world's language immediately upon arrival. He puts down the paper and sheepishly asks for part of the reward up front. While traveling for the job, he notes that the receptionist talks a lot. She gave him the money but warned he'll face a fine if he's late. He speaks with the mother, who asks if he's fallen in love already. He angrily denies this. From behind, someone calls his name. It's Pierre, a local who asks if Marnak wants to talk. Though Marnak says nothing, Pierre chatters about his parents and rumors about the kidnappings before being called to the front of the group. The mother tells Marnak to kill everyone, but he refuses, saying he needs money to stay warm this winter. He asks her to rate everyone's divinity value, and a hand symbol appears showing different numbers of fingers for each person. The fingers indicate divinity worth. 1 finger means 10, 2 means 100, and so on. If he collects 100, 0 divinity, Marnak gains 1 authority. Thanks to the system, he absorbed the divinity of a lord relic and gained an authority. The mother said if he collected the divinity of every relic, all his wishes would be fulfilled. He thinks he'll wish for his sense of taste back first. Pierre returns, apparently having been scolded for talking too much. Marnak says he doesn't mind, but at that moment, the party is attacked. He protects Pierre by pushing him away and taking the bolts himself. The mother suggests he play dead and kill the attackers when they get close. But Marnak rises, grabs a sword, and says he does things his own way. He charges the attackers and swiftly beheads one. The captain orders his men to handle the rest while he deals with the priest. The captain rushes Marnak, who pushes him aside. Marnak asks Mother for her rating but gets no rest, as the captain forces him to exchange blows. The mother says he's worth 2 and 2 fingers, the same as the ranger who killed Marnak previously. Marnak is ecstatic about how unbalanced the game is. The captain summons all his might for 1 strike and breaks Marnak's sword. He laughs, saying this is why he always uses frost steel. He offers to let Marnak go since this was their last job in the area. Marnak refuses and proposes they leave now, if they want him to go easy on them. As the captain wonders if they would have just walked away, Marnak tries to speak but gets an arrow in the head, delighting the captain. His group mentions seeing the captain split Marnak's sword, and he brags about calculating the perfect swing. He asks if they took care of the others, which they confirm. Suddenly, Marnak rises from the ground and speaks, shocking them. He asks why they're surprised. Haven't they seen someone survive being shot in the head with an arrow? They clearly haven't. He begins praying to Mother, with a green aura emanating from him. The captain orders his men to shoot, but the bolts do nothing. Seeing this, they try to run but are stopped by an invisible wall called the line in which the living cannot pass. This authority, which the priest of corruption must activate before using his powers, prevents targets from escaping while concealing the divinity of corruption. Marnak mentions he really likes this authority. Mother watches from above, smirking. The captain suggests they try to slice through the barrier but gets crushed by a gigantic monster. His men try to leave, begging the priest for forgiveness. Marnak tells the monster that apart from their heads, he can have everything else. He goes back to his party and sees that it has been decimated. The mother asks him to collect the divinity from the bodies, but he refuses as that would cause a lot of suspicion from the guild, and they would surely investigate. He spots Pierre, who is barely clinging on to dear life. Marnak thinks that by saving him, his reputation will increase, and thus he asks Mother to stop the progression of his wounds. In an undisclosed location, a priest holds the cup Marnak sucked the divinity out of, asking a man what happened to the boy who stole this artifact. The man says that he was beheaded on the spot but left the body there because they had no supplies to spare. The priest proclaims that she will go on a pilgrimage, much to the man's surprise. He asks if it's because of the prophecy, and she says that it is, and because she has someone to meet. While Marnak is carrying Pierre back to safety, we get the explanation on what the prophecy is. 10 years ago, all religions received it. The end will wear the husk of life and come to fall upon the world. The receptionist goes up to Marnak, saying that it's okay to get inside the town as she already got permission from the guards. While walking, she says that he didn't seem that strong at first, and also asks him for the heads he is carrying, saying that the guild will take care of that. She also asks him if he has anywhere to sleep, and if he hasn't, he should sleep at her place. This makes him blush, much to the dismay of the mother who was screaming bloody murder. He says that he had no devious intentions with the lady with red hair. All she meant was that she would let him sleep in the guild guest room. Someone knocks at the door. It's the receptionist, who says that there's something he needs to attend to. While they speak, Mother is giving her the middle finger under the sheets. She tells Marnak that the Lord wants to see him, who wonders why the Lord would request for him. The receptionist says that it's most likely because the captain of the mercenary group he was with is actually the Lord's half-brother. Marnak arrives at the Lord's residence, where the Lord of G's trade and Filion asks him if he was the one who saw his brother's final moments, and if he would like some tea. Marnak smirks with Mother drawing a giant X when she saw the Lord. Marnak asks him how life as a human is, calling him a demon. He thinks that there's only one reason Mother drew that X, because the Lord wasn't a living being, and amongst the others, only one is able to take the form of a human, demons. While they are stronger than any being, they can't do anything on their own. In order to do that, they have no choice but to make deals with beings of this world. That's why demons love all living beings. However, the lords hated them because they have as much as they took with them, finally declaring to their followers and all living beings that these beings will be called demons and they are evil. This being what started the priest's hunt for demons. Marnak thinks about this. The demon contractor was a difficult class, and people avoided it like the plague. He remembers this because it was the second class that he played. The Lord sits in silence, but finally speaks. He says that because of his brother's death, he was able to welcome an important guest. He tells Marnak that he must be lying about his identity, seeing as he saw through him, and all he can call him is crawling weight. Marnak also reveals his identity. He is a priest serving the mother of corruption. The Lord is surprised that there's still a living son of corruption. He urges Marnak to take a seat, being as they are the only ones here. The Lord says that he called him here to tell him how his brother died. He will be sure to pay him for his efforts. Marnak agrees. Having finished the conversation, Marnak thinks that it was quite the unfortunate event as the brother was struggling with work, and the Lord gave him some work under the table, causing his death as a result. We see the Lord's reaction after hearing this, looking quite sad. Marnak speaks to Mother saying that he wasn't tempted with the gold, it being a representation of the Lord's pure intention to know the truth. The mother calls him a greedy priest, but he exclaims that he is not. He also says that another fact about gold is that it doesn't rot, with the mother taking this as an insult. Marnak says not to be hasty, and to let him finish speaking. There is something that doesn't rot and lasts as long as gold. That is the love he has for her. The mother is left speechless, and gently holds her hand against his chest. He adds that for him, she will always be the most important thing, so there's no need to worry. He goes back to the guild where the receptionist tells him to greet the priests from the teaching sect. Marnak notes that he doesn't want to deal with those freaks right now. His eyes suddenly widen as one of them is holding a lord relic. One of them comes right up to him, commending his dedication for being a priest of preservation. He introduces himself. He is the weight of the scale of retribution, Orvis. The people next to him are called Koru, a man with a horn in his head, and Patina, a woman. Marnak does the same, and the receptionist notes that they will be staying here just like him. Marnak thinks that this is perfect as he will have many opportunities to steal the relic from now on. They excuse themselves, saying that they have to go visit the Lord of G. The receptionist notes that for priests like them they ask for a small price. Marnak wonders if he will have to pay as well. She says that she didn't let him stay because of an interest in him. However, she did have some intention of her own to help him. She gets close and whispers that she would like him to cast a blessing of preservation on the food they have so that it won't go bad. He retreats, asking why she got so close just to whisper that. Someone says that it's getting along well. It's Koru, who stayed behind so as to not cause any trouble due to his race, as many northern lords don't have good impressions of him. The receptionist notes that the lord isn't like that. Even if he seems cold, he is good at his job, and there are a lot of people who support him in guise, so they should refrain from speaking poorly of him. He asks to know more about the lord, and they all begin talking about him for a while. Marnak asks him why they suddenly decided to visit the lord, and Koru says that it's because of the prophecy. Orvis thinks that the husk mentioned in it is supposed to be a demon, and he is here to check for this. Inside the lord's mansion, the relic they are holding suddenly lights up, it being able to detect demonic beings. They get into position, but that's when the mansion explodes, and the lord reveals his true form, crawling weight. Marnak and Koru spot the commotion with Priest Orvis casting scales of retribution and hitting the beast right on its head, causing another explosion. Koru says that this is possible because of Or's hammer of punishment. They need to go get help. Marnak bolts in another direction, saying that he should go first, and that he will be right behind them. He rushes to the Adventurers Guild and asks the receptionist about the location of the medical center where Pierre is being treated. He picks her up and dashes with might out of the Adventurers Guild, landing and sprinting to the medical center. The receptionist spots the monster as it has made its way to the center of the city. Marnak says to forget about it for now. She must tell him the location of Pierre. She does so, and they find him safe and sound resting. Marnak notes that he can't let Pierre die after he barely managed to save his life. He picks him up and asks the receptionist to grab onto him as he can't carry her with both arms anymore. She does so, and they begin running again. She adds that there is a secret passage, poking at it and saying that it will lead to the outskirts of Gies, but the door is locked shut. This proves to be no challenge for him, however, as he smashes the door with his foot, the receptionist noting his strength. Marnak puts her down, saying that if things get worse, she should take Pierre and run. He has to go help. He arrives at the location of the battle and spots Koru, who has been mortally wounded. Marnak asks where the other priests are, and he says that Patina is dead with her right arm and leg completely gone. He also asks Koru if there is any way to defeat the monster. He speaks with his last moments left. The only way to defeat the monster is with the white sword, the relic they brought. Orvis managed to stab it into the beast's head. If he manages to take that sword and stab it in the brain, it should die. With these words spoken, he passes away. Marak collects from him, gaining 100 divinities. Orvis continues his battle against the demon and manages to hit the sword with his hammer, causing it to go deeper. Marnak notices it and jumps on it as well, spotting the white sword Orvis is using, but the monster suddenly rolls with all its might, throwing Marnak off. His mother is worried about him, but he says that he is fine. It seems that fortune smiled on him, however, as he got thrown right next to the Lord relic they were using. He grabs it and asks his mother to give him another authority. She does so, and Marnak gains 0 authority points. Marnak asks what seal has been lifted this time, and it seems that Mother can go further from his location. He jokes that the effect is pretty minuscule. He prays once again to Mother, offering her 0 divinities in exchange for a new authority. It seems that this time he gained the text of corruption, the effects of which are simple yet powerful. The moment it is activated, metaphysical green tattoos appear all over his body and amplify his physical abilities. He notes that it will be pretty useful in this situation with his broken leg also being healed. He spots Orvis next to him, thinking that he must have been thrown off too at that time, but he didn't survive. Marnak collects him, gaining 1,000 divinities. The demon is still rampaging with Marnak, noting that this is odd as the people who brought out its anger, the priests, are all dead and it shouldn't do it anymore. He thought that demons weren't beings that followed instincts, but that's when he spots something and activates the text of corruption, saying to his mother that things might shake a bit. He rushes to the demon's location and jumps a large distance. It tries to hit him, but he is swift and dodges. He gets on top of the demon and spots the sword, but suddenly the beast tries to do the same move to throw him off again, but the same trick won't work twice as Marnak jumps down and gets away, the attack missing him completely. But a bit of blood still comes out of his mouth, saying that it's progressing faster than expected. He jumps and grabs the sword. Thinking of the words Koru said to push the sword in, he does the opposite, however, and pulls it out, causing a ray of blue light to come out of the wound, eliminating the demon in an explosion of light. Lord Train is left in the location of the beast, and Marnak asks if he is awake now. The Lord says that it was a real blessing meeting him. Marnak says that there's no need for that, as the sword was suppressing his mind. He reaches his hand out, and the Lord says that the 2 golds worth of help was definitely worth it. Where Marnak was decapitated, the blue-haired priestess looked for his body with the help of the ranger who did it. The body is not there, however, with the ranger noting that it was probably dragged away by monsters or wild beasts. The priestess says that it's possible, and thanks him for the help, but also asks him the name of each nearby city. In disguise, Marnak is being led by a butler who guides him through the rubble to a nearby house where Treon welcomes him with open arms, saying that he is growing more handsome every time he sees him. Marnak thanks him, and Treon says that he is their demon slaughterer. There's no way to express his gratitude. Marnak jokes that the demon is alive and well in front of him, with Treon jokingly saying that he needs to live too. He's not wrong. Marnak thinks about what what happened after everything was taken care of. Lord Treon shared with the town that he was the one who defeated the great demon who appeared, and that he also saved the Lord. As a result, he was given the nickname Demon Slaughterer, even though it really doesn't fit him, and Erin, the receptionist, has a special fondness for that nickname, so she refuses to stop calling him that in public, grabbing the attention of everyone around with people coming close to him and praising him constantly. He clearly doesn't like it. Marnak speaks to Treon, saying that it's odd to see his prosthetic arm and leg move so smoothly. He says that he only moves like this in front of him. He limps when he's around other people, but in order to move naturally like this, he needs to pay a large price. Marnak wonders what it might be with anticipation, and Treon says that the hairs on his head will lose their strength and start falling. In a few months, he will be faced with a bald head. Marnak imagines it and cries. He also asks if he has a week's worth of time, which he does. Treon says that he received a job that asks specifically for Marnak. It has to do with the Lord relics of the ancient empire. The reward is 5 whole nips of gold paid in advance too, and if they deemed that he was a large enough help, they would give him one of the undiscovered relics. This seems like a gold mine for Marnak, so he takes the job. He thinks about the ancient empire. They ended the era of distraught mages and brought unity to the continent, and in their current age where their technology has been recreated, those Lord relics are known as precious treasures that contain powerful abilities. In other words, most of the items that are considered high-ranking items are actually relics of the ancient empire. Marnak greets the group that he will be going with. The one who requested this job, Carmen Vallis, offers him a handshake with Marnak, noting his name. Carmen says that what he's thinking is correct. Anthony Vallis of the Black Wolves is his father. He is his illegitimate child. Marnak thought that such a principled man as Anthony wouldn't have had other relationships after losing his wife, but it wouldn't be proper to open the topic. Marnak asks him to introduce the people behind him, and Carmen does so. The mage with the robe is Tuna. She's the guide, and Sukas, who's part of the Unicorn tribe, is a big guy. Sukas shakes hands with Marak, calling him the Demon Slaughterer. Marnak says he feels embarrassed when people call him that, but Sukas argues there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a mighty compliment he has earned. Carmen interrupts, saying now that introductions are done, they should get moving as it will take them 2 days to reach the site. 2 days later, they make camp and relax for the night. Carmen and Marnak are still awake. Marnak mentions he's had enough sleep and doesn't feel tired, with plenty of time until sunrise. Carmen asks if he has any interesting stories, saying surely someone like Marnak has met his fair share of women. Marnak replies that he hasn't. He's just like fresh snow. Carmen then asks what kind of women he likes, and he answers he prefers women who stay by his side. Carmen approves, saying there's nothing better than seeing your lady sleeping peacefully beside you, but personally, he believes a woman's heart is most important. The mother agrees. Carmen continues that the heart is in the chest, and for a heart to be welcoming, the chest must be large enough to support it. Carmen likes women with big chests. Marnak responds it's not bad to have a clear vision of what he wants, but he shouldn't talk like this in front of women. Carmen assures him he wouldn't. He's only speaking this way because it's just them. He adds that talking with Marnak feels like conversing with an old friend. Marnak agrees, and they spend the whole night talking, much to the mother's dismay. The next day, they arrive at the ruins. Tanisa holds a key, saying she'll open the way. Marnak thinks entering was quite easy. They just needed to find the key and move to the coordinates written on it. They read the passage written in ancient language on the key, then insert and turn it. However, only mages can read ancient text, making their role indispensable in explorations like this. Marnak is an exception as a player with this ability, but he keeps it secret because in this world where he has no connections, the key is too difficult to obtain. They enter the ruins, and Carmen notes how beautifully preserved the place is compared to most ruins. Marnak looks up, thinking he finally gets to see inside ruins he's only seen in photos before. He's truly mesmerized, which makes the mage scoff. They enter the main building where a towering door stands with ancient text. The mage notes they need imperial blood to pass, or they should prepare for battle. The door slowly opens and creatures rush them. Sukas strikes first, with Tuna close behind, blasting many with a single spell. Marnak draws his blade and starts cutting them down. The mother warns him to watch out behind, and he blocks a creature's blade. An arrow suddenly pierces its head, killing it. Marnak thanks Carmen for the assist. Suddenly, Sukas scolds Tuna for using spells recklessly. She argues it was fastest, and all the creatures died anyway. Sukas tries to tell her something, but Carmen stops them, causing Sukas to sit in a corner still angry. Carmen praises Marnak's skills, saying the title of Demon Slayer suits him. Marnak apologizes for displaying such brutish actions as a priest and compliments Carmen's bow skills. Carmen mentions he's been practicing since childhood. Tuna abruptly says they should move as she has plenty of mana left. Sukas gets furious, saying they barely got any rest. She might not need it since she uses spells, but melee fighters like him need rest. Tuna claims everyone else would agree with her, and he's just making a scene. Carmen orders them to rest before continuing, ending the argument. Marnak reflects that mages in this world are usually pompous and extremely rude. Becoming a mage is simple. You're born with it, though abilities vary. Those born with mana awaken at a certain age, when knowledge of ancient language beams into their brains, allowing them to learn spells that break the world's laws. They dislike learning new things. since their heads are already filled with knowledge, making most mages iron-willed but uneducated. Still, Tuna is considered more well-mannered than most. After resting, Carmen suggests moving to the next area. Suddenly, the passage closes and a gigantic metal golem appears. Marnak notes the previous enemies were too weak for a ruin like this. This seems like the real challenge. Tuna tells everyone to step aside and begins casting a spell that shakes the ground. The golem's blue gem glistens as it looks at her. Carmen urges her to hurry and move, but the golem fires a beam at the ceiling, distracting her. It closes in and smashes her with one punch, leaving nothing. Sukas watches in horror, and Marnak yells for him to move, but the golem strikes him into the wall, killing him instantly. Marnak asks Carmen if he wants to live, and tells him to tuck his chin in. He knocks Carmen out and summons a corrupt beast to fight the golem. The giants battle while Marnak absorbs Sukas and Tuna's divinity. He places Carmen in a corner and notes it will take too long for the corrupt beast to win alone, so he activates his text of corruption and joins the fight. His real target is the blue gem in the golem's head. He jumps on the corrupt beast, which gives him room to hit the crystal, breaking it. The golem dematerializes. Marnak thinks it's over and congratulates the beast, but his victory is short-lived as multiple golems appear out of nowhere. Later, Carmen wakes and asks if their partners are dead. Marnak confirms they unfortunately are. Carmen says they were new hires who died because of his greed. Marnak replies, they were hired for this purpose and knew the risks, so Carmen shouldn't blame himself. He adds they're beyond the back door, surprising Carmen. Carmen wants to ask how, but realizes Marnak knocked him out to keep it secret. He acknowledges his debt to Marnak, which Marnak graciously accepts. Marnak urges them to move as he hasn't defeated all the metal golems. He left the corrupt beast to distract them while barely escaping with Carmen. They reach a door at the end of the ruins. Inside are two treasures, a sword and a necklace. Carmen asks a favor. Can he have the necklace? He promises to reward Marnak handsomely for it. Marnak asks what its ability is, and Carmen says that the necklace is called the Bloodline Pathfinder. If you spill some blood on it and think of a bloodline, the necklace will use the blood to point in the direction of the respective bloodline. Marnak thinks about this and smiles, and Carmen confirms his suspicions. He is looking for his mother, whom he has never met before. Marnak asks to take the sword in return. They go outside, where they both note that they barely got out of the ruins. Carmen takes off the necklace and asks Marnak to bless it since he is a priest. He does so, obviously faking it. Carmen cuts himself a bit and puts the blood on the necklace. Suddenly a ray of red light emanates from it, and the blood takes shape, pointing somewhere. Carmen is glad that his mother is still alive, and Marnak congratulates him for it. Carmen thanks him profusely, saying that he will surely repay this debt. He also says that he has one last favor to ask. He would like it if they work together from now on, just until he meets his mother, and since he's heading west anyway, they can visit the capital so that he may reward him for the job. Marnak smiles, thinking that he would like to accept, but Carmen would definitely see through his intentions right away. He thinks and thinks, causing Carmen to grow worried at the lack of an answer. Marnak smirks and takes his hand, saying that he will gladly support him on the journey to find his mother. The next day, Erin is a bit furious that he is leaving. She also gives him a silver mercenary plate, noting that it came out faster than expected. Marnak thanks her, but she doesn't want to hear that. Instead, he should say, "See you soon," as that would be like a promise. Marnak apologizes to her in his head, saying that he lives the life of a wanderer, so he would never be able to fulfill this promise. She sighs, noting that if he continues to live like this, he won't get a girlfriend and will die alone. So she says, "See you soon" instead, also saying that the opportunity to meet again will come a lot faster than he expects. Marnak asks what she means, but she shuts him up, saying that this is punishment for leaving. Marnak goes to talk with the Lord, who is as bald as an egg now, but he sees it as more of a truer form of humanity. The Lord also says that since he is heading for the capital, he will give him a recommendation letter. He notes that he would have liked to pay him, but he is dead broke since he had to pay for all of the repairs here in Giz. But the letter will prove useful as if he gives it to a friend of his. That person will help. He also notes that he should ask for help if it's absolutely necessary, as that person is pretty hard to deal with. Marnak thanks him for the gift, and the Lord says that he should think of it as a form of gratitude. He also wishes him a good life and says it is too short not to enjoy. After a few days, Carmen and Marnak are still on the trail, and they note that they will reach the next town in about half a day. Marnak thinks about how his mother only allowed him to travel with Carmen because he is a 3.5 rated human. If he manages to harvest him, he would give 10, 0 divinity, meaning he will be able to obtain another authority. The fingers also have the potential to reach 4, but personally he just likes his personality and would prefer him alive. Suddenly he pulls out his sword and says that there's blood very close, and it's rapidly approaching. Suddenly a giant snow spider comes out of the ground ready to feast. Carmen tries to retaliate with some arrows, but just as the spider is about to attack, Marnak jumps in, cutting some of its legs. He notes that he will have to look for a place to clean this sword the next time he uses it. He strikes the spider once again, noting that it splatters too much blood and flesh. In Giz, the priestess visits the Lord, who apologizes for the current state of the mansion. She gives him a drawing, asking if he has seen this man. The drawing is crudely made to resemble Marnak, and the Lord asks why she wants to see him. She notes that it's for personal reasons. He says that he hasn't, and notes that she should leave, as he is quite busy as it is. He thinks that she must not be looking for him with any good intentions. Carmen and Marnak begin dissecting the spiders they have defeated under Carmen's command, as he wants the venom sacs from all of them. He notes that they are pretty good in different situations. They can also be used as poison, and fetch a high price in the market. Marnak asks how he knows all this, and Carmen says that he participated in a lot of monster hunts, so he had plenty of practice. Marnak says that he will take care of them. Then, as he is covered in blood already, Carmen notes that they still have some road between them and Kelton, so he will teach him and they can do it together. Later that day, they both arrive at the gates of the town, much to the surprise of a guard who asks how they got there. They wonder what he means, and the guard says that the town has been blocked off for the last 3 days because of the monsters. They ask for the details, and the guard says that monster attacks have become more common with no corpses to be found. Carmen finds this odd, as what they were attacked by are snow spiders, and it would be extremely difficult for those creatures to leave absolutely nothing behind. Another guard comes by and says that the Lord wants to see them. They do so, and the Lord welcomes them with open arms, knowing Marnak's reputation as a demon slayer. They begin talking about the monster situation, and the Lord notes that this is being organized by a worshipper of an evil spirit. Marnak notes that a single one wouldn't be able to close the gates of an entire city, and the Lord notes that other priests have deduced that there are at least 4 sects that are working on this. He also says that Kelton is a pretty ordinary town with nothing notable going on, so why are they a target? They have plenty of supplies, and the troops' morale is pretty good, but the problem is that other cities don't know the situation. That's why they need someone to go and spread the news to other cities, mostly a suicide mission at this point. Marnak says that he will help as much as possible. Later, he goes to his room where he gets berated by Mother for accepting the job. Marnak notes that they also received an item that he can clean the sword with, and it's quite rare to be found here as it's from the desert regions. He thinks that the real reason he accepted is because he thought this might be a warning that the main quest would be starting soon. The reason he came to that conclusion is because 4 different sects are working together. He notes that the title of Evil Spirit, the beings that these sects worship, seems intimidating, but it doesn't really hold any meaning. It's just a title the main lords throw on other lords, resulting in a stigma being formed. However, one thing's for sure, among the worshippers of the evil spirits, almost none are mentally sane. So unlike the sects under the main lords, sects that serve evil spirits rarely work with each other, so 4 of them working together is out of the ordinary for sure. Later they ride out to another town, but get attacked by spiders and a myriad of other creatures. Marnak smirks and tells Carmen that he will grab their attention. She is puzzled at his choice, saying that it's too dangerous even for him. Marnak notes that they will be caught if this keeps up. He throws himself off the horse, noting that he will wait for reinforcement. Carmen screams for him, but he just smiles, asking if he looked cool while saying that. He crashes into the snow, and Mother notes his interesting acting. He smiles, saying that he will take that as a compliment. He also says that they should begin looking for those worshippers, as they can't hide forever. Marnak charges in and slashes the beasts left and right, leaving behind their corpses in a pool of blood. He notes that if getting dirty is so frequent, he just might have to carry a bathtub with him. Mother agrees. Marnak walks towards a cave opening, and notes that they probably already know he's coming, but aren't greeting him quite rude. Inside, he finds the things that were missing from the attacked carriages, noting that the monsters must have carried them here. He also finds a body that has been sucked dry by a snow spider. Marnak notes that he understands when one enjoys a nice meal, but to use the leftovers as decor is quite a strange design choice. Mother urges him not to let his guard down, but he assures her that he won't. He also wonders just how many people they manage to eat there. Are too many bodies for them to eat within 3 days. So are they perhaps raising offspring? He continues walking until he finds a giant cave, noting that the tunnels were also pretty big. Marnak smiles, noting that there's also a lot of divinity here. The gigantic spider comes out and looms over him while its children descend from the walls. The gigantic spider jumps into action, and Marnak asks Mother to draw a line of corruption for him. She does so, and also summons the beast of corruption, noting that this human-eating monster will be sacrificed for her. The beast jumps into action and lands a good blow on the spider. Marnak also activates the text of corruption, but the spider is not finished yet, as it counterattacks and pushes the beast into the wall. They continue to fight, and Marnak notes that it's almost double the size of the beast, so he needs to help out somehow. He slashes through the other spiders, and thinks that he can sense the energy coming from within the Spider Queen's body, so he has to make sure he doesn't damage it. Suddenly, a spider attacks from behind, and he slashes it in half. This gives him an idea. To not waste the divinity in the queen's body, he just has to cut all of its legs off. He orders the corruption beast to run straight ahead, as he will help it, but it must make sure to stop the queen from moving. The beast does so and grabs what it can, and Marnak runs on the wall and swings down, noting that the queen is just a spider, so all he needs to do is sever the thinnest part of its body. He hits that part again and again, and the queen screeches in pain. He gets to the last part and with one powerful blow slashes the queen in half. The beast then grabs the upper half of its body and slams it into the ground, and Marnak lands. The beast also looks angrily at him, so he apologizes for leaving it behind previously, and this seems to appease the beast. This time, a woman comes out of the queen's mouth, cursing like a sailor while she does so. Marnak smiles gently and notes that he knew there was a person inside. The woman demands to know who he is to ruin her plans like this. Isn't he another follower of an evil spirit like her? Does he even know how long it took for her to gain control of this thing? Marnak asks her what the purpose of surrounding Kelton is, but she doesn't want to answer, so he just impales her with his sword. His face is not so nice now, and he demands to know why she's surrounding Kelton. She screams that it hurts, but he doesn't care and asks again. She depraved smiles and says that she won't tell him even if she dies. Marnak smiles and respects her wishes, cutting her head clean off. He gains 1,000 divinity and wonders how many worshippers will tell them the truth behind everything. Mother thinks that there are at least more than 3, so he chooses to believe that there are 4. Marnak walks back to Kelton but finds it up in flames. Inside, the Lord seems to have died a horrible death, while a woman there notes that they wasted precious time getting to this pig. A man asks if they could use Incarnation, but a woman with an eye patch notes that it's unstable and it's not easy to extract divinity from living beings. On top of that, they also managed to lose a few rats because of somebody here. The woman gets mad and notes that she did her utmost, but the monks in the teaching sect kept bothering her. If only Layla sent them a couple of spiders. She also notes that they should have caught the guy who made it out. The eye patch woman also notes that Lee isn't even here yet, and this is not the first time she has done so, but even if she were to assist them with a few spiders, she would have just played around with the bodies. The man urges them to stop fighting as nothing good will come of it, and since that man managed to escape, troops will be deployed to hunt them down shortly. They also spent many years on this plan, so it must work. The woman notes that she also invested years into this, but she just can't take criticism from him. Do they think she just let him go because she wanted to? Why are they screaming at her for losing one measly rat? And what's with this one? Has he forgotten to mess around with her last night or something? The eye patch woman, having had enough of this, leaves, and the man demands that the woman who was screaming all this time, Parna, stop. He will make sure that Alila takes responsibility for losing the rats. She smiles and notes that it's plenty for her, but that's when the eye patch woman's head flies clean off as Marnak slashes it. He moves on to the man and cuts him in half. He notes that it's pretty unfair for their bet to kill 2 without asking questions, but these people are able to manipulate authority, so it's better safe than sorry, right? Parna wonders why this maniac is talking to himself, and he looks at her while he slowly regenerates from the text of corruption. Marnak smiles and asks her an all too similar question. What's the purpose of surrounding Kelton? They go outside where Parna presents him with a mass of growing flesh. He notes that she explained everything as soon as he asked, and the story is quite simple. They used all the people in the city as a sacrifice to create this ball of divinity called Incarnation. In order to do all of this, they hid within the city for the last 3 years, and even though it needed at least 5 more days of preparation, they had no choice but to rush the plans due to Carmen's successful escape. Marnak revs up his chain sword, much to Parna's dismay, who asks him what he plans to do. He says that he wants to kill that monster which consumed the flesh and blood of others before it wakes. Parna urges him not to do it, but he does so anyway. She screams that if it's in danger, that being will wake up in an unstable state. The thing slowly rises from the mass of flesh, screaming that it hurts until it makes its way out, and immediately strikes Marnak. The mother mentions that there's a lord relic inside that creature, but he already knows. While removing the thing's tentacle from himself, he declares they'll create a new authority and sacrifice that chunk of meat to her. Parna tries to say his plan won't work, but before she can finish, Marnak cuts her head off, gaining 1,000 divinity points. Now he has 8,592 divinity total, including what he extracted from the Lord. He needs 10,000 divinity for a new authority. He realizes that even if he keeps cutting this creature down, it'll just regenerate, but if he continues getting injured, he'll eventually lose. Seeing no other choice, he grips his sword tightly and runs, confusing both the creature and mother. The creature screams the only words it knows, "It hurts," as Marnak makes his way through town, gaining 1 divinity from each corpse he passes over. The creature chases him, and Marnak notes it's like a game. Either the creature catches him, or he'll manage to get a new authority. The creature's screams stop Marnak from escaping. He observes that even its voice is truly a walking disaster. It attacks, but he dodges and asks Mother for help. She summons the corruption beast over the creature, which pounds it into the ground, shaking all nearby houses. Marnak watches the fight, realizing 1 corruption beast isn't enough, but it just needs to hold out a little longer until he returns. He runs toward a burning building, thinking he needs bodies of well-trained soldiers or knights. Inside, he finds it's been too long for Mother to extract divinity from the bodies. He's accumulated 237 divinity, and needs just a bit more. Suddenly, a wall bursts open him with countless tentacles that Marnak barely deflects. The creature pounces, having learned a new word, pain, and grown significantly from fighting the corruption beast. After a moment of silence, the creature extends tentacles from its hand. Marnak cuts them and counterattacks, but the creature is too fast, catching him midair and throwing him outside with tremendous force. Mother asks if he's okay, and he confirms, noting how lucky he is that the creature dropped him where the main battle took place. The creature screams, and Marnak urges Mother to take all the corpses. She does, and his divinity grows until reaching 10-1. Speaking as her son, he offers her 10-0 divinity, so she'll grant him a new authority. She does, and everything around them, including Marnak, is swallowed by darkness. He tells the creature it will experience much more pain from now on. As the creature attacks, Marnak explains his new authority called the Whole of Corruption, which decomposes all living beings inside, including himself, but he can use Text of Corruption to choose which parts decompose first. The creature's arm falls off, and Marnak wonders which is faster, its regeneration or his decomposition. They engage in a final battle with Marnak victorious. He cuts off the creature's head and offers the Lord Relic to Mother, who lifts the seal. Marnak finds himself outside, but Mother is nowhere until he looks behind and sees she's grown a child's body. She asks why she has a child's form. Marnak gently strokes her head, saying she should know, not him. He asks if she can extract divinity from the creature's body, but despite her efforts, she can't. Marnak smiles and says it's fine, she should just come back. She hugs him tightly. He notes that due to all the mixed divinities in the creature, it's impossible for her now. But having lifted her seal with the Lord Relic, he uses its 10-0 divinity to gain another authority. The sky lights up with green, and a beam descends upon them. Marnak asks about this authority, but Mother smiles and says he should use it as needed. This time he received the Curse of Corruption, an evil authority that makes all living things within a small city's range slowly rot away. He thinks it would be fine in a city of villains, but killing innocents for divinity isn't his style. He wonders why the Lord Relic with Mother's sealed divinity was inside the creature. Coincidence? Or was Mother's divinity instrumental in creating it? Suddenly he staggers and collapses, realizing he received too many divinity-enhanced attacks. Mother approaches, crying, and he drifts away. He wakes up with Carmen caring for him but looks grim seeing Mother isn't there. He demands his belongings, and Carmen gives him Mother's hand, saying he thought it might mean something when others wanted to throw it away. Marnak thanks him profusely. Carmen says it's nothing compared to Marnak's sacrifice. Without his valor, Carmen wouldn't have escaped Kelton intact. Marnak asks where they are, and Carmen says they're still in Kelton. Marnak is shocked to learn he's been asleep for 10 days. When he asks about survivors, silence falls before Carmen admits Marnak was the only one left breathing in Kelton. Near Kelton, a man flees but gets knifed in the leg. Other men tremble as a priestess approaches the injured man, who begs for his life. She notes he can't walk anymore. Despite his protests, she decapitates and burns him. She orders the others to walk, and they arrive at Kelton's gates. The men, apparently the notorious Snow Bear bandits, beg to be jailed. The priestess asks about this, and the guard agrees but mentions the Lord of Kelton is dead, killed by evil spirit worshippers, so her reward will take a day. She asks what happened to those worshippers, and the guard says that Marnak, the monster's priest, killed them all but has been asleep for 10 days from the battle and just woke up. The priestess asks if this Marnak, the supposed arch-enemy of evil spirit worshippers, is staying in Kelton right now. Spirits seem high inside a local tavern as the priestess inquires about the supposed enemy of the evil worshippers' priest. Marnak is here right now. The patrons, after hearing that name, start celebrating even louder, especially him as he was the one who saved this town. Their celebration is heard even from outside the town where Carmen and Marnak bolt as fast as they can. He remembers what Filion told him about that priestess, that she's looking for him basically everywhere she can and seems to have absolutely no intention of giving up. He grits his teeth as the only thing he can do now is run, and Mother urges him to be careful. He notes that he's very aware of the dangers. That's precisely why he left Kelton. It would have been plainly insane for him to stay there with that woman. He should have known already that this woman is the most dangerous among the humans he knows, as she was rated 4.5 fingers. He thanks Carmen for agreeing to leave with such short notice and in the night. Carmen says that he needn't worry as he would much rather leave whenever they have the chance than garner even more attention from the city. Marnak smiles widely and thinks that he really likes this person and his personality. 2 weeks later, while they are still traversing the plains, Carmen spots a carriage holding the crest of the IRL family. Marnak asks if he's talking about the IRL, who's the High Lord of the South, and Carmen confirms it and notes that the white camellia flower is his family's crest. Marnak wonders if they should greet them as to not seem impolite, but Carmen thinks otherwise as they don't have the Lord's flag hung up, so there must be a child or relative in that certain carriage. It might be better to just bypass them quietly. They do so, but when Marnak approaches the rear end of the carriage, he notices that something is amiss. He grabs Carmen's attention and tells him that there is somebody tied up inside of the carriage. The supposed carriage guards draw their weapons as they have heard what they are whispering about, and one even says that if they would have played played dumb, they would have continued their journey unscathed. However, now they have relinquished their right to live. They charge in, and a large shockwave appears. Marnak cut the head of one clean and Carmen killed another with a perfect headshot. This paralyzes the other kidnappers, and Marnak asks how dare they swing their sword in such a crooked way. He tells Carmen that there are only 8 kidnappers left. Their commander screams at them from a safe distance and demands they finish things off quickly, as they don't have the time for things like this. There are only 2 anyways, they just need to charge in all at once. They do so, but a few short moments later, the leader is shot in the head by Carmen, as he is the last to stand from the kidnappers. The lady who was kidnapped keeps throwing up, and Carmen asks if he was able to get a name out of her. Marnak pats her back and explains that he would like to, but this isn't a situation where he can ask any type of question. He doesn't know if she was drugged or something, but she can't move around that well for now at least. Carmen asks if her eyes had a golden hue to them, and Marnak confirms it, noting that she's most likely a lady from the IRL family. She demands he stop patting her back as he is making her throw up even more. She raises her head up and thanks them for saving her while also making introductions. She is the eldest daughter of CTO IRL, the smiling young master. Her name is Dakia. Carmen thinks that if she's speaking the truth and she's really the daughter of the smiling young master, she is most definitely a mage. Marnak thinks that if she's a noble and also a mage, she will be incredibly rude. Carmen notes that they can leave that for later and whispers to Marnak that she has a really big heart, which he agrees with, and Mother curses at the both of them. Dakia grabs their attention and notes that she would like to know the names of the ones who managed to save her, although she can see clearly that one of them is a priest. Marnak introduces himself as a priest that worships the Lordess of Preservation. She notes that his name isn't that bad, and also asks for his assistance as she still has difficulty walking because the gas that they made her inhale is still in her system. Carmen reaches his hand forward and notes that he will help her in his stead. He is the son of Sir Enthus Vus, Carmen Vallis. Dakia asks if he's sure about helping her, as if some nosy onlookers were to see the black prairie dog of the Vallis family traveling with her. The rumors will certainly spread even to the capital, and she's sure he has someone who is worried about in the capital. The least she can do for her saviors is be considerate. Isn't that right? Both Marnak and Carmen's faces drop, as this woman is a noble, also a mage, and is capable of showing consideration for others. Carmen wonders if they can ask about how she got into that sort of situation in the first place, and she explains that she doesn't have any real evidence in regards of the real culprit, but she has a feeling, actually no, she's sure that this kidnapping was planned and paid for by her brother, who always despised her, Derso Heir. Carmen is surprised that her brother would do something like this, and she explains that recently she received a marriage offer from the Dragon Kingdom, and since she's the next in line for succeeding the title of family head, he wanted to use the offer as an excuse to get rid of her. Marnak thinks that might be one thing, but first and foremost, especially for nobles, mages are simply not welcomed at all. Nobles usually despise mages with all of their might, but to be more accurate, when it comes to noble families at least, they hate birthing mages into the family. The first most obvious reason would be because of the natural tendencies mages hold. Teaching them any sort of manners is extremely difficult, but they also tend to be self-centered most of the time, and the power they gain for being nobles lead to accidents that are hard to deal with. The second reason is why mages shouldn't be in control of power at all, because of an old and rather outdated folktale. The story is from before the ancient empire and is passed down from generation to generation about the age of twisted mages. Due to a strong and otherwise dumb belief in the story, most species in the world hate having mages take position of real power. That is why when she told them that she was pursuing to become one of the High Lords of the Northern Kingdom, he presumed that unless she were to kill her own flesh and blood, her brother, to take that powerful position, she wouldn't be able to do it. He is very intrigued on how she will carry out such an impossible task. Of course, that would be the case if she told the story once at least. Dakia asks if they are paying attention to her story, and Carmen notes that using excuses of marriage, she suspects the people around her were trying to sell her off to the Dragon Kingdom. Isn't that right? She notes that he's correct, and Marnak explains that they tried their best to listen to her story, but she has already told it through 3 times, so he hopes she understands why they are unable to focus on her that much. Also, while she has been focused on the story, her meat has been burning all of this time. He gives her his, and takes the burned one from her. Dakia thanks him for this show of kindness, and Marnak notes that she will do better at grilling the next time, but that can only happen if she reduces how much she talks when cooking. A little while later, Dakia asks if she can present the both of them with an offer. Marnak expected this already, and she says that she would like for them to take her to Beatus, which is part of the IRL family territory. If they do so, she will pay both of them their weight in gold. This takes Marnak by surprise, as he knew that High Lord families were something else entirely, but they are also very generous, it seems. However, with his current client being Carmen, if they are to escort the lady to Bias, his journey of finding his long-lost mother will be delayed. He also managed to save Mother's hand from being burned into nothing, so if he chooses to continue moving west, she will respect his choice and give up on the gold. The mother tells him to eat more to increase his weight, and Marnak can't believe she is this greedy. Even if she likes gold that much, would she like for her own son to be obese? Carmen clenches his fist and notes that he accepts the deal. Since they have decided to get involved further, they will take responsibility for everything until the end. That is the only way to live up to the vase's name. The next morning they get moving and arrive at a village where they hope to bathe and relax in some hot water, as they have traveled quite a lot. They go to a tavern, and Carmen orders some rooms while Marnak and Daya talk about his bag. Carmen notes that their rooms are at the end of the third-floor corridor, and he even told them to prepare bath water, so they should hurry up and get washed so that they may have a meal together. After they do that, they get at a table, and they have a feast lined up for themselves. Marnak thinks that in days like these, he would have wished to have a sense of taste. Suddenly, he hears a commotion as a few bar patrons are harassing a barmaid by grabbing her arm and telling her to stay here. Another man comes to the scene and demands he stop causing a scene at their establishment. The man wonders how he created a scene in the first place, as he didn't embarrass her or anything. All he did was try to ask her to pour more drink and listen to their story. Isn't that something she should do since it's her job and all? Carmen notes that a fight will most likely break out, so should they go and help? Marnak says that one of them already went over there, so they most likely should. Dakia punches the harasser so hard he jumps from his chair, and she finishes him off with another attack. The man's friends are extremely angry at her now, but before they can do anything, Marnak takes care of them by slamming the head of one on the table, leaving him without a tooth and quite dazed. The bar workers clap while Dakia thanks Marnak, who notes that there is no need for thanks. Carmen tells her that she should tell them if she is doing something like this while strangling the last remaining harasser. He notes that they are a party, so they should act like one, right? Dakia explains that ever since she was little, she was unable to hold it whenever something unjust was going on. Marnak looks at her and thinks that she doesn't have an anger management issue, but rather a righteousness management issue. Carmen gives Marnak a coin bag from the harasser, and Marnak in turn gives it to the owner, as he can pay for the damages with this. The owner thanks him profusely, but Marnak says that it's not needed as it's money from those idiots anyhow. Later that night, Marnak knocks on Daka's door. When she opens it, however, he grabs her instantly and puts a knife near her head. From here on, she will listen and be quiet at all times to prevent Carmen from waking up. Does she understand? She said that she can't let something that is unjust pass by. Isn't that so? But she will have to ignore it the next time, as they are currently being followed and chased. They need to stop attracting the attention of others, so if she behaves like this ever again, he will have no choice but to injure her and hand her over to their pursuers. However, that would be too tragic. So he trusts that from now on she will discuss things she wants to do with him and act wisely. If she understands, she should nod slowly. Dakia does so, and Marnak lets go, wishing her a good night. The mother notes that he is being way too hasty, and he understands where she is coming from, but this was something he had to bring up before a bigger problem came up, and now they will find out whether Dakia.IRL really has a compulsive injustice disorder like she claims. Inside of a mansion owned by the Dragon family, a younger member gets the news that they failed to capture Dakia, and if they really want to continue this quest, they will need more funds. The man scoffs at the idea of giving them extra money, as he already gave them plenty, and they showed no results. He tells him to come next to him and slaps him hard. This chubby man is the Secret World Organization Elay, Eastern Regional Manager, Hilden. The man demands an explanation as to why they need extra funds, and if he tells him it's because they took too many losses, he will be dead. Hilden thinks of his wife and children, and thinks that he must do anything to survive for them at least. He bows down instantly, and notes that there is a priest that worships the Lordess of Preservation, and it's all because of him, who goes by the name of Marnak. The man wonders how a mere priest could put a stick in their plans so easily, and Hilden urges him to hear him out. He explains that Marnak is no ordinary priest, as he was the one who defeated the demon that turned into a gigantic monster in Geese, using only a single sword. And not long ago in Kelton, he killed a monster that was created from the evil spirit worshippers who sacrificed all the lives in Kelton for it. So it was quite powerful. He achieved all of this on his lonesome, thus earning the title of Evil Spirit's arch-nemesis, so that rumored priest and Vass's oldest son got hold of Dakia. The man notes that if the situation is like this, he will pay extra, but he hopes that they will succeed this time. This man is the Dragon Kingdom's third prince, Vus Draco. Hilden is happy as he did it, and can finally think of his wife and kids without thinking about his passing. Later that night, Marnak notes that he is filled with regret because of what he did to Dakia while feeding the mother. Should he have been less harsh than he was? She seemed like somebody who would understand anyway. The mother tells him not to worry about other women, and Marnak notes that even if she is a woman, which he knows she despises, she is still their client. Suddenly, somebody knocks at the door, and Marnak asks who it is. It is Dakia, and he invites her in. She slowly enters the room and apologizes for interrupting, as it seems he was having a meal. Marnak notes that it's nothing to be worried about, and she asks if she can sit down as she has something to talk to him about. They both sit down, and she asks if the reason he warned her like that was because she's a mage. Marnak looks downwards without responding for a second, and finally replies with yes. Dakia notes that she knew this was the reason, as the way he looked at her is something she is very used to by now, as most people have gotten hurt by mages, so they look at her with those kinds of eye-sweary yet spiteful. However, this experience was a first, as his eyes were filled with hatred towards her, but what he spoke of was about how to be a better companion since they are traveling together and all that. Marnak blushes for a bit, and Dakia explains that most people who look at her with that distaste in their eyes try to do something bad to her. However, if she's honest, if she witnesses another unjust incident like the one that happened today, she won't be able to ignore it that easily. But from now on, she will make sure to discuss it with him as he suggested, since they are companions. She came here to tell him just that, so she will be taking her leave now. She wishes him a good night while he ponders the situation, but before she can leave, he grabs her attention. He thinks that he acted quite harshly towards her and was rude, so he would like to apologize. Dakia smiles deeply and notes that this is the first time he's looking at her properly with kind eyes, so she's very happy. Marnak asks if that is so, and she asks if they have made up now without any grudges, right? Marnak says that it is so, as he isn't holding any grudges towards her. She winks at him and notes that she is looking forward to where their adventure will lead them next. He feeds Mother again and thinks that in the end, mages are people no matter what. This foolish son is finally facing the truth he had been avoiding all of this time. The mother says that he should stop talking about that and feed her more, which he laughs at. Later that night, a few goons swarm the tavern and demand that they hand over Marnak right this second, or everyone in this establishment will die. Inside of a camp, a man reads a message and notes that something is clearly off, besides the request to capture the maiden of the IRL family who has silver hair and golden eyes like everyone from her family does. What is the matter with this priest? And to have the evil spirit's arch-nemesis title means that he must be Priest Marnak, right? Suddenly one of his subordinates, who calls him Sagita, notes that the priest they have been looking for is here, but the woman from the IRL family isn't. He is surprised by this and asks where he is right now, surely not starting a fight or anything, is he? Suddenly they hear a scuffle going on outside with a man demanding to be let go. Sagita goes outside and sees Marnak holding one of his subordinates by his neck. The others are ready with their swords, but Sagita orders them to drop them as they do not know what they are doing. They hesitate, so he has no choice but to scream at them, demanding they do what he ordered now. Reluctantly, they withdraw their weapons, letting Sa think that they were all slacking off when he was briefing about the request like the dumbasses they are. They are in so much trouble right now, it's not even funny. He approaches Marnak and, after a giant gulp, kindly asks if he is the priest Marnak there are so many good rumors about. Marnak says that he is indeed that priest, and Sagita pleads with him to let go of the thing that he is holding in his hand right now, as it is starting to foam at the mouth. Marnak does so, and notes that he would like to meet the captain of this mercenary corps. Sagita hesitates to answer for a bit, but explains that the captain of the Red Bear Mercenary Corps is right in front of him, and who he has been talking with all of this time. Sagita invites him inside and offers him some strong alcohol, but Marnak refuses as he is not one to enjoy drinking, but he does appreciate the gesture. Sagita finds this quite annoying as he was hoping to loosen his tongue and make the conversation much easier. Now he has no choice but to give up entirely on that idea. Marnak notes that he heard something from his colleague who came looking for him this very morning. He said that he wanted to meet them, so is he wrong to think that this is regarding the scuffle that happened yesterday evening? Sagita smiles and wonders what to do now, get straight to the point or test the waters with him a little while longer by implying that their target is the maiden from the IRL family with silver hair and golden eyes because they have been struck by a mighty curse from the organization called L. This situation is very difficult as this priest is rumored to be a terrifying individual, and the rumors seem to be very true. He hates quarreling with him in any sort of way, but all of this is the fault of that damned Vice Captain Pellin. Suddenly he arrives at the camp, clearly very drunk, and gets the news that the priest dropped by, which he finds extremely funny. He goes inside of the tent where Marnak and Sa are exchanging pleasantries and asks Marnak directly, is someone from the IRL family among his party? Marnak notes that indeed there is someone from that family, a woman to be exact. Pellin says that this is great news, so he should listen here while he still can. He will hand over the woman and be allowed to leave, unless he wants to meet a gruesome death. That is. Marnak instantly pulls out his sword, and before Sa can warn him, Pellin gets his hand cut clean off. The hand lands on the ground, and he starts screaming from the pain, a scream which can be heard throughout the quiet mountains. Marnak finds this situation quite funny and strange. He doesn't remember ever telling him his name directly, yet here he is saying it with such an affectionate tone. So who was it, the person that wanted to track him and his party down? Sagita knows what's about to come, and is rightly horrified. A mercenary screams that their vice captain's hand has been cut off, so they will all make their way to Saga's barracks and show the priest that they aren't pushovers. They all charge in, but the moment someone steps inside of that tent, their head gets cut clean off. This scares the mercenaries, but they steel themselves and surround the tent. Saga looks at Pelin, who is now completely sober, and begs him for help. Marnak raises his sword above him and thinks that this sack of sadness won't be answering his questions anytime soon, so he has to dispose of him. Suddenly a spear appears and blocks Marak's attack. He's quite surprised by this, as he didn't expect him to take action so suddenly. Sajida explains that he wasn't going to, but the relationship he and Pelin share is a deep one, as they go 15 years back. The mother urges Marnak to use caution, and Sajida tries to strike him with the spear. Marnak just cuts the tip of it when he gets the chance to, making Sa pull the tent over him as a last resort, which angers Marnak. He swings once, and Sa runs as fast as he can while warning the others to do so as well, but it is much too late as their heads start coming off one by one from one single swing. The ones with swift reaction times see this and start running away from fear of getting their heads cut off. Blood is spilled everywhere, and Sa grabs another spear while damning this day. Mother orders Marnak to do something, but he already knows very well, no matter what, he will bring the one who ordered them to track his party down to the tip of his blade. Sajida throws the spear at him with all of his might, but Marak just blocks it with the corpse of one of the fallen mercenaries. He uses the sword to cut through him like butter, but Saga manages to dodge in time and grabs another spear. He starts fighting Marnak one-on-one, and their weapons clash, creating a small shockwave. He orders his men to get Pelin from the tent and treat him while he is fighting the priest. They have plenty of time. Both of their weapons fly into the air, and Marnak uses this opportunity to charge up a deadly punch and strike Sa directly in the arm, making the snow around them fly in multiple directions. Marnak looks at him and smiles, since it has been quite a long while since he fought somebody of his level. Sa grits his teeth and demands his men to fire. Marnak believes there was an archer all this time and retreats from the fight, knowing that if an arrow hit one of his joints, it would be extremely difficult to fight. They both sit in silence for a while, and when Marnak looks around, he notices they're completely alone. The mother wonders what's happening, and Saga screams at the bastards who dared abandon him. Marnak asks if he's going to continue fighting since he's been left behind. Without a thought, Sajida drops his spear and surrenders, promising to tell everything if his life is spared. First, they bury the dead. When they get to Pelin, Sajida mentions he always wanted to beat this bastard to a pulp, but now that he's actually gone forever, he feels strange. Marnak asks if he doesn't hate him now, and Saga asks if he'll be killed if he says he does. Marnak questions if there's a good reason to keep someone alive who hates him, and Saga smiles, agreeing. Saga explains he's not great with words, but a mercenary's job is to kill and eventually be killed. There were times he had to work with guys who had killed his companions earlier. That didn't mean they were friends, but he also didn't seek revenge. He doesn't hate Marnak at all, but feels a bit lonely now. The mercenary group was failing anyway, so nothing of value was really lost. Marnak asks what he'll do now, and Saga admits he doesn't know. It's been 15 years since he was completely alone, so he's a bit lost, as fighting is all he knows. He'll probably end up doing mercenary work again. Marnak suggests he meet an employer who pays well, which confuses Sajida. Later, Dakia is quite mad, and Saga just scratches his head. Marnak asks if there's unwashed blood on him, but she says that's not it. Marnak notices her tone, and Mother screams at her. Marnak asks if she's acting this way because he left without saying anything. She confirms that's why, noting that after their deep conversation last night, she thought they had established a deeper bond, but she misunderstood. He had told her she needed to discuss things with him before acting, but it seems that doesn't apply to him since he left on his own. Marnak asks if she's ever killed someone, which surprises her. She admits she hasn't, and Marnak explains that's precisely why he went alone. He thought he had to be uncompromising in this situation, since there were fights that led to much death. Dakia says he could have at least told her, as she slept well and almost ate breakfast without knowing anything. Marnak thinks to himself that he went alone so she could do exactly that, but tells her he'll let her know from now on. She accepts his apology and says they're even. Suddenly Carmen comes through the door, saying Marnak went to negotiate with the mercenaries alone, so they should gear up and help. Then he spots Marnak safe at the table and feels embarrassed. Saga waves at him, and Carmen asks who he is. Marnak explains he's just a new mercenary the princess hired, so they should introduce themselves. Dakia hopes nothing bad will happen between them, despite Marnak's trust in him. Sajida promises nothing bad will happen, and Carmen expresses happiness at having a sturdier companion around. He's going back to the village smithy since he ran here while choosing arrowheads. They'll leave early tomorrow morning, and nothing bad will happen before then, right? Somewhere in Erdico, a girl whines about when they're coming. A man asks if he's sure they're coming here, or at least arriving faster before he goes insane from all the whining. The girl is still on the ground, impatient for their arrival. Another woman sighs and says they'll arrive soon enough, as she's been checking their location regularly. The girl asks again if she's certain they're coming to Erotico. The woman says she's told her plenty of times already. The girl explains that she believes her completely, but if they don't come soon, she's dead to her and she'll have to mince her into small pieces and feed her to the dogs. Later, the party arrives at Erotico, which Dakia is extremely glad for since she can finally take a warm shower. hour, a man spots them and calls out to Marnak. Having noticed his priestly attire, he asks if Marnak is really a priest, which Marnak confirms. The man grabs his hand tightly and begs him to go to the Trumpeter of Rest, as they don't even listen to the Lord at this point, and tell them to stop summoning the undead. He'll pay handsomely. Marnak says he doesn't think they'd stop just because he told them to, as that would be too easy. The man insists that as a priest, he should at least try. Harmon and Siga look at each other with widened eyes. The man explains that he and his companions are at their limits, as the undead walk around every night like ghouls, and they're becoming too terrified. He begs Marnak to at least talk to him and ask him to stop this madness. Marnak considers this and agrees to try, but warns him not to expect much change. The man thanks him profusely, and Marnak tells his party he'll help this man and catch up with them later, so they should find lodging. Dakia agrees, and while walking through the dark forest, Marnak thinks about the priests of various lords in this world. The Trumpet of Rest is the most unique out of all of them. For other lords, they choose a priest that follows them and grants them authority and power, but for the Trumpeter of Death and Rest, one eventful day without any rhyme or reason, they grant a random human authority and the power that comes with it. The chosen ones all go under the same title, Trumpeters of Rest, and they carry out their lives tending to the dead and all things related to that. Why would they do this? That is a mystery that hasn't been cracked to this day. The truth is that nobody truly knows. All anyone knows is that to awaken the dead from their eternal slumber, the trumpeters appear where many corpses lie. They blow on their trumpets that make no sound at all and walk around like a soldier leading the dead. Of course, there were people in power who didn't like this phenomenon, that is a given, but nobody even dared to lay a finger on the undead led by the trumpeters. It makes sense though. If one would go up against an army of undead that can rise infinitely, they would surely meet their end, as there is nothing they can do about that. Most, if not all, Trumpeters of Rest live their lives in complete solitude and go around with the undead, their true companions. They are something like a natural phenomenon that should be studied. Eventually, he arrives at the Trumpeter's location and greets him. The Trumpeter doesn't speak a word, allowing Marnak to continue. He is sure that many have come and gone through here, but he wasn't in the position to reject this favor. He has simply come to say the same things as many others have. Doesn't he think that it's about time he hangs up his hat and leave this place for another? As he may already know, for most normal people, the moving undead is something very unpleasant and mortifying to witness. Or perhaps is there another reason behind him wanting to remain here? They don't usually stay in one area for too long though, so that must be it. The Trumpeter looks at him and says 3 words: evil spirit worshippers. They will be the ones who will cause many deaths. He points behind Marnak and notes that all of this will happen in Erratico. Marnak asks if there really are evil spirit worshippers in that town, and the Trumpeter looks at him. Unfortunately for him, it has already begun. A giant beam comes out of the sky directly into the town, and Mother tells Marnak to hurry as they don't have much time left. He thinks that this time it won't be like Kelton where everyone died. Things will not go however they want to. He promises this. The girl who was a devil worshipper all of this time screams that the toy she wanted to play with is not here. She said that he would be here, but he isn't. The woman notes that she verified that his companions have entered the city, so she only needs to wait for a moment, as they will find him soon enough. The girl demands she just die already, but the man urges her to stop as he thinks that he just appeared. The girl turns around and asks where, and the man points him out. Marnak sits in the flames and is utterly filled with rage. The girl is ecstatic that they finally found him, and Marnak begins smirking from ear to ear as he didn't expect to meet these bastards in a place like this one. The man notices something, and Mother urges him to calm down. Marnak revs up his chain sword and ignores most of Mother's pleas, something which he hasn't done before. He thinks that she is correct and he needs to calm down, but he is not going to care about things like that this time. As he probably already knows, this mage that is in front of him is someone who long ago killed his savior. In him, he is somebody that he needs to take revenge on no matter what happens. Way back then, when he didn't have anything except many unnecessary worries, he lived every day trying to earn something, and on the days that he couldn't hope to earn enough, he had to starve no matter how hungry he was. On a day like that, which was quite common for him, and when the blizzard was unusually intense for the time, he met his savior, Shant. He was a peculiar-looking person, as he wasn't really middle-aged, nor was he that old either. Shantu was very easygoing, but when necessary, he proved that he can be serious about things. When he woke up, he didn't ask him a single thing. All he did say was that he could stay as long as he needed until he fully recovered and is ready to leave. He was a priest who worshipped one of the lords, the Lordess of Preservation, and additionally a gravekeeper who lived on the outskirts of a nearby town. One eventful day, while helping him in his grave-keeping duties, he got really curious and asked why he saved him, and without asking for anything in return, he gently smiled and answered with this: because he just wanted to. That is all there is to it. That warm smile full of forgiveness and love hold a special place in his heart even to this day. Shantu was a treasure of a man, as he always helped and helped without asking for anything in return. He always said that one should never need a reason to help others, and well, after that, he wanted to become more like him, kind. 1 year into that peaceful and kind life, in the winter to be precise, he saved a man who was passed out in the snow, the same position that he was in not long ago. He remembered how Shantu saved him, and of course tried to be like him and help, but that's when he made a mistake that haunts him to this day, as he should have never saved that disgusting mage. Upon receiving their most kind help, the mage had healed up fully, and with a sinister smile on his face, he confessed right in front of him that he was a worshipper of the evil spirits. After that, with rather simple magic, he ripped him into shreds while still holding that sinister smile on his face. When he surprisingly woke up once again, the hand that he stored away out of curiosity had somehow escaped his inventory and started emitting a green energy while also gently caressing his cheek. After that, naturally, he went to check inside of the house and had to face the dire consequences of his foolish actions. What he found inside was the corpse of his dearest friend Shantu, who had been slaughtered quite cruelly by that a mage. Marnak revs up his sword, which is now engulfed with raging fire representing his inner rage. The mage finally remembers him after thinking for a while. He is that gravekeeper whom he brutally murdered just because he was bored. However, he is pretty sure he died back then as he killed him with a spell quite easily. Well, he is alive now, so all of this talk is becoming rather pointless to be honest. By the by, that priest outfit was worn by the other gravekeeper, but it seems that he is wearing it now. Oh, and his arm. It was this very arm that is attached to him right now, right? He has been using it very well for the past 3 years, and it has treated him quite nicely. This angers Marnak a lot as he has held a grudge against this man all of these years, yet now he mocks him like he did all those years ago. The girl rushes next to him and notes that she heard he was very, very strong. She has been waiting for someone like him. In the second that she gets into cutting distance, Marnak cuts her clean in half and clashes with the mage's barrier. He notes that he is quite different from the rumors they have heard, and Marnak demands he stop talking while the runes on his face glisten a fluorescent green. Mother urges him to finish this, and he finds enough force to break through the barrier, allowing him to cut off the hand that was stolen from him at that time. The girl, who seems to be just fine now, notes that she really likes somebody like him. Marnak is surprised by her presence and wastes no time cutting her head off, which she finds fun. The mage activates scales of retribution on his leg, and Marnak waits to see what happens. The mage stomps the ground with all his might while showing his iconic evil grin, creating a cross-shaped explosion that pushes back even the woman behind him and generates a large, electrified smoke cloud. Marnak seems hit by this attack as he slumps to the ground. The mage explains that the power he senses from Marnak isn't from the Lordess. The other gravekeeper worshipped the Lordess of Preservation, but the blessing on that priest outfit works well, suggesting Marnak must have become a worshipper of an evil spirit just like him. Marnak glares with rage-filled eyes and tells him to shut his trap, which confirms the mage's suspicion that Marnak has become the very thing he swore to destroy. Marnak summons a giant beast and tells the mage one last time to shut up. The mage finds his authority interesting and notes that since his left arm is missing again, he can take one of theirs that would be perfect. The beast tries to punch him, causing a large green explosion, but Marnak sneers as the mage simply blocks the attack, smiling like a bastard. Marnak slowly gets up and promises himself and Shantu that tonight he'll kill that mage named River Kel, no matter what it takes. Elsewhere in town, Marn's party deals with zombified people now hungry for flesh. Dakia asks SAA if the zombie is dead, and SAA confirms it's not dead yet. Carmen tells them they should hurry to the castle, which might be their only refuge. Dakia asks about Marnak, worried he might be caught in this mess. Sajida explains that Marnak wouldn't die easily from something like this, so they need to prioritize themselves and find a way out quickly. Eventually, through fires, rubble, and scattered bodies, they reach the Lord's castle. K-Men notices the castle is unharmed, suggesting it wasn't the Lord's fault everyone became zombified. Saga grabs their attention, especially Dakia's, telling her that regardless of whether these people can be restored, they need to kill them for now. Saga stabs one in the chest, killing it instantly and likely painlessly. He explains that to escape this trapped city, they must keep killing even if these people could revert back. If she truly wants to live and see Marnak again, she needs to think of it as stabbing meat, not people. A horde rushes to their location, attracted by the commotion. SAA says he'll take the lead, but they shouldn't fall behind. Dakia suddenly smiles, pulls out her blade, and slashes the first zombie that approaches. Carmen is glad. Sajida encouraged her, and together they make their way to the castle gates. While fighting, Saga notices something strange, a beast and a purple light among the countless advancing zombies. After the dust clears, he sees Marnak and wonders if it's really him. A girl appears behind River and notes how exciting it is to watch, wondering how far this man can go. really wants to know. The woman suggests they talk things through since they're all evil spirit worshippers, but the girl refuses, saying she's been waiting to meet this man for a long time and can't miss the action. Marnek doesn't react specifically, and commands the beast to attack. With a mighty punch and loud roar, it breaks Riverkel's barrier into pieces, allowing Marnek to charge in. They battle like they're dancing, dodging and striking simultaneously. After some time, River mocks Marnek for only using his sword and fists, asking if he has anything else in his arsenal. Mother tells Marnek something, and River tells him to calm down, as this isn't over yet. Suddenly, a spear appears, lunging straight for Riverkel's head. He doesn't notice it at all, and it takes his head clean off. Mar's eyes widen, as his object of obsession is gone. He recognizes the spear and looks in the direction it came from, seeing Sita who threw it. They lock eyes before Sita is swarmed by zombies and must flee. Marnak stands unshaken. He's read that revenge is futile, but he didn't expect it to feel so worthless and empty. He wasn't expecting something dramatic with a grand ending, but he also didn't want such an abrupt and lonely conclusion. With this resolved, he offers Mother the corpse, but then River's body starts surging with power. This makes Marnak think River is somehow still alive even without his head, so he readies his sword and reclaims the right arm. The woman screams that they're extremely screwed now, saying this is why she told them they should have resolved this through words rather than fists. The girl is ecstatic, finding this very fun, and asks Marnak to do that slashing thing again before the woman drags her away. The woman tells her to shut up since when River is in that state, he can't differentiate between friend and foe, making him extremely dangerous. After hearing this, Marnak tells the beast to toss him over to those two women before returning to its domain. The beast obliges and picks him up. The girl demands to be let go, threatening to kill the woman if she doesn't. The woman demands she shut up, calling her extremely loud for no reason. Suddenly something passes them and lands in front of them, worrying the woman. She confirms it's Marnak, who asks what happens now in this situation. The girl emerges from behind the woman and introduces herself as Pearly, while the short-haired woman is Bina. The woman tries to plead with her to stop speaking, but the girl continues, explaining they belong to a secret society of evil spirit worshippers called Libero. She suggests if Marnak searches his memory, he might remember other evil spirit worshippers he's killed previously in Kelton. Marnak says he remembers them clearly, and Pearly explains that all those people were also part of Libero. This is the main reason they've been patiently waiting for him here. Marnak walks toward them and asks how many people their organization has. Pearly says she doesn't know, and neither does Bina. She came here only because she was allowed to do whatever she wanted. If he wants answers, he should ask Riverkel directly, as he was dispatched from Libero for an important mission. Here though right now he might not answer, as he's in quite a peculiar state. Marnak asks what the goal of this organization might be, and Berna steps up, noting that she will be the one to tell him their goal is simple and righteous one. It is to create a world where it doesn't matter what lord one chooses to worship, a world where people aren't persecuted just because they chose to worship a lord that the world thinks is evil. Marnak asks why they burned this village down then. Will this help their cause in any way at all? Berna says that she didn't want for things to become like this either, and it's mostly because Riverkel likes to cause a lot of trouble. The only reason they came to this village is because they have some things to collect, and one of them he possesses. Marnak asks what item she might be talking about, and Berna notes that she is talking about the Lord Relic, the marble that was in the body of the Incarnation. Marnak tightens his grip on his chainsword and thinks that his assumptions about all of this was correct. Using the Lord Relic that possesses Mother's primordial power, these people want to do something with that power, but what? Marnak tells them that the marble they wanted simply broke and burned, thinks that he is lying as something so precious couldn't just break so easily. Marnak notes that it did, even if it is that precious, and he left the remnant somewhere in Kelton, basically throwing it away. Marnak also asks if there is only one of them, and Mother listens intently. Berna is hesitant to answer that question, but Pearly screams that there are 4 more, which makes Mother scream in rage. This is only natural as she is the owner of that sealed power, so she is rightfully angry because of this. Berna scolds Pearly for telling him all of this information for free, but Pearly says that he was going to find out anyways since he is on their side. Lord, can she be petty or what? Marnak smiles at the notion of them having 4 more, and he wants to ask something. Who is the one who drove all of the citizens in here to insanity? Pearly immediately notes that it wasn't her, as she doesn't know how to do something like that, and Berna tries to scold her for telling him all of this so easily, but she doesn't get to as Marek cuts her head off without remorse. Pearly is quite surprised by this, and Marnak also cuts her head off, but she doesn't seem to be fazed, and notes that they will be seeing each other in the future. Marnak offers the corpses to Mother, but only Bar's corpse is swallowed, as Pearly seems to still be alive somehow. However, now that the cause of all this is eliminated, this village has become pleasantly quiet. Suddenly Carmen calls him over as everyone who was zombified suddenly fell over on the ground. Was it perhaps his doing? Marnak confirms that indeed it was, and Sajida asks if his spear was of any help. Marnak explains that it was much more helpful than he would expect, as even he was overwhelmed by how helpful it was. Sajida says that he is glad to have helped him out this much, and Marnak hopes that he didn't see the gigantic corruption beast helping him. He tells everyone that they need to get moving as something big will be awakened very soon. They are all quite puzzled by his words, and Carmen asks what he means, but that's when the ground starts to rumble and the air is filled with death. An amalgamation of every corpse around here rises and wants only one single thing: to kill. Marnak looks closer at it, and his expression dims, as this creature is made entirely out of corpses. Marnak notes that this is what he was referring to when he said something big was coming, and thinks that River has an extremely annoying hobby. Even after his demise, he gathered all of the corpses in this village and took on this disgusting and rather pathetic form. It is an authority that fits an ugly person like him perfectly. Mother agrees with his assumption, and Marnak tells Dakia that he knows she is quite sad that she had to bloody up her hands like this, but he will comfort her once they are done with this. So for now, she needs to be strong. Dakia smiles and asks how he will be comforting her. Marnak notes that he will be thinking about that as, firstly, in order to save the people remaining, they need to stall for time. Carmen asks if somebody will be coming to help them if they were to stall for time, and Marnak confirms that yes, he is sure that a certain someone will be coming. The trumpeter arrives at the village gates, and Sajida notices him. He notes that the person he wanted to wait for is already here. The trumpeter blows his horn, and the undead who heard it in here jump into action, and they all rush to beast that is made up of bodies. Slowly but surely, they all climb up and feast on its flesh. The beast can't do anything to retaliate, and only howls. The four look at this sight, and Dakia notes that it seems the person who herded the undead is coming in their direction. Marnak notes that he is doing just that, and the trumpeter stops when he is in speaking range. He asks between the four of them, he would like the most agile of the group to take this spear that he is holding and stab the heart of the beast with it. Marnak picks up the spear from the trumpeter and asks if he perhaps also has a sword. He looks at Marnak in silence, and shortly afterwards hands him a sword bearing the same style as the spear. Marnak is pleasantly surprised about him being able to create things so fast, and asks if he can also create 2 more swords and some arrows with them. The trumpeter looks at him, perhaps peeved about his constant requests under the mask, and summons the respective items, while telling Marnak to say what he wants all at once, as they don't have this much time to waste. They all get equipped, Saga with the spear, Carmen with the bow and arrow, and Dakia with one of the swords. She swings it around, and notes that it is quite light, and Marnak also thinks the same. It is a good weapon. Its sharpness is nothing to scoff at, as it is made purely out of bones, and it is also imbued with the divinity of the trumpeter. Against the undead, and especially against such a disgusting beast, it will be very effective. The trumpeter comes next to him, and explains that he will be stopping that being's movements for a while. During that time, they will be attempting to stab the giant's heart, and hopefully succeeding. Should they do so, their rewards will be the very weapons they hold right now. Marnak agrees, and so the trumpeter blows his horn while they all get ready for battle. The noise starts vibrating throughout, and when it reaches the beast, who is still being assaulted by the undead, they explode into liquid which covers the beast. Dakia looks at this and notes that the trumpeter is basically melting the corpses, the very same he brought. Marnak watches all of this with a certain disdain as the beast starts to convulse all around as it tries to move. He understands more than Dakia as the trumpeter is melting the corpses only to solidify them once again. For him at least now he is worse than any of the evil spirit worshippers. The trumpeter tells them that he only handles the bodies who have now been presented with rest. The weapons will tell them where the heart resides, so they should run and finish this as fast as they can. Marnak thinks that he would have liked to say more about this, but right now there's just not enough time as they have an important task to fulfill. They all run towards it, especially Marnak, who thinks that if they postpone this situation even further, things will turn bad. The beast tries to punch them but misses due to it being stuck in place, which makes Daya run even faster. That's when the corpses from the beast try to descend upon her, which takes her by surprise, but Carmen is there to help her, and he clears out every corpse that was approaching. This makes her confident, and she screams that she will work with Carmen in order to bring down the beast from down below. Marnak agrees and tells Sajida, who is right next to him, to pierce the heart if he can, as he will distract the head. While he does that, Sajida agrees, and so they both go into different places. The beast tries to stop them with the countless bodies it has amassed, but they do not hold a candle to their skills. However, there is a reason that Marnak aimed for the head specifically. Mother told him that there is a chunk of divinity in the middle of the head, and as a clear bonus, that chunk of divinity is plastered on the head of the man who took away one of his dearest friends, that disgusting Mage River kill. Sajida gets hard at work trying to find the heart, and Marnak fights that disgusting bastard for one last time. He charges up a sword attack with all of his might and slashes the head everywhere, leaving only a single eye left, which Marnak also takes care of with ease. He destroys every single shred of what remains, and can now say that he avenged his friend as he should have by destroying Riverkill utterly. Eventually, Sajida finds the heart, pierces it, which makes the beast instantly react. Dakia notices that countless bodies begin falling from the sky as the beast is slowly coming apart, and eventually it explodes into a pool of green substance, and the matter from the bodies falls to the ground. Marnak watches from below, while he holds the orb that holds divinity. With this, he has come out victorious, and the memory of his friend is now a pleasant one. Dakia and Carmen come next to him and ask if he is hurt in any way. Marnak in turn asks where Sajida is, who instantly comes around too while admiring the spear he is holding. The trumpeter arrives at their location and tells Marnak to come with him, but only him, nobody else. While they walk around to another more secretive area, Marnak wonders why he would wish to speak with only him. Did he perhaps find out that he took the marble, or the fact that he is an evil spirit worshipper? Suddenly the trumpeter stops walking, and Mother tells Marnak to get ready. That's when the trumpeter tells him that it's coming, and Marnak can feel it too. This presence, he knows exactly what it is. It is truly overwhelming, and it is of a much higher being beyond what humanity can even imagine. A part of Lord has descended to their mortal plane. The trumpeter of death and rest arrives and looks at Marnak before pointing at him and saying a single word, capital. With that he leaves, making the trumpeter slowly come to his senses while the possession dies down. Marnak is surprised that he vanished after only saying one word. Marnak stands above the trumpeter and asks if he has something to say. The trumpeter looks down and tells him that he cannot know and does not really wish to. This makes Marnak smile, and he offers him a helping hand while noting that they should go back. While they do so, Marnak asks if it is possible for him to clean up around this place, as the undead he commands would prove really useful. At first, the trumpeter tells him that helping the living isn't one of his sworn duties, but he gets hit with a strange feeling, the same one he felt when he was possessed. He asks what he can help with, and Marnak explains that he only needs to find the survivors and move them to the stable buildings. The trumpeter blows his horn and the undead begins moving once again, which spooks Dakia a bit, but she calms down shortly after. Marnak also requests the trumpeter to move any useful goods to the buildings too, as he would be grateful for that. If they are left behind like this, they would just end up burned or stolen, so they should do what they can to preserve them. The trumpeter once again blows his horn, and instantly afterwards Marnak asks him to also put out the fires. Now even the oddly calm trumpeter is a little angry at him not requesting all of this at once. Eventually all of the work is done, and while the trumpeter gets ready to leave, Marnak gives him the right arm of an evil spirit worshipper. The trumpeter looks at it for a few good seconds before leaving with the dead into the distance. Dakia notes that she would have never guessed that a trumpeter would help them as they are extreme recluses, and Marnak notes that he was just a very nice and kind person. She says that he probably also asked him for help, and Marnak confirms that he did, but he never expected him to actually do it. Dakia grabs his hand and thanks him as what he did was really helpful. Mother is now screaming kill, which to be fair is understandable. Later that night, while staying at an inn, Mother appears in her full form while trying to take out the divinity out of the orb, but she is struggling quite a bit. Marnak ponders what happened and wonders what the trumpeter wanted to say with pointing at him and saying, capital. Did he perhaps mean that there is a Lord relic situated in the capital? However, if that is the case, it would mean that he knows he is a priest of corruption, which might be dangerous. He asks Mother if she knows the Lord that they met earlier today, the one with a strange appearance, but she tells him that she doesn't know a thing about him. This makes Marnak think that what the trumpeter said about him not wishing to know what he asked means that his identity shouldn't be revealed, as a lord wouldn't just start to speak about something like this with other people. But just why would he contact him like this? What is his real purpose? Mother gets extremely angry at the orb and throws it around in anger, much to the dismay of Marnak. She explains that she is having great difficulty with severing the divinity from the marble, but Marnak tells her to not worry so much as he is confident she can do it. However, even if she is very angry, throwing things around is not a good way to express it. Mother notes that she just wanted to be more useful for him, which Marnak is extremely grateful for, but she shouldn't throw things around no matter how frustrated she might feel. She doesn't need to worry as she will be 3 times more charming than she already is when she finally cracks it. Mother asks if she will be charming to him too after she accomplishes that, but Marnak says no, which shatters her whole world. Marnak pleads with her to listen until the very end, but she is already crying. Marnak explains that she is already extremely charming to him, so it is all the same to him whether she is 3 times or 300 times more charming than she is right now. Mother promises to not throw objects around anymore, and so the issue is solved. At a tavern in an undisclosed location, the priestess listens as 2 men are having a conversation about evil spirit worshippers who seem to be all over the place lately. Not just in this kingdom, but also in the East Kingdom, the Desert Kingdom, and the Northern Empire. Also, Kelton and Erdico have suffered greatly because of the evil spirit worshippers. So, is their city also in danger? One explains that they shouldn't worry about that as there was someone who killed all of them in both Eradico and Kelton. This is all thanks to Marnak, who saved both of those cities. They cheer for Marnak and his exploits, while the priestess ponders all of this information and finds it quite interesting. Hilden walks through the halls and damns the situation as he just barely managed to convince the Lord of Artico to catch the princess. But thanks to those evil spirit worshipper bastards, everything went down the drain. Now he can only hope that the Dragon Kingdom prince doesn't take his inevitable anger out on him. However, he will be more furious if he doesn't show up, so he has to no matter what. Hilden knocks at the door of the chambers, and the prince demands he enter while looking at the door quite angrily. Somewhere else entirely, a bandit tries to plead for his life while Marnak holds the blade to his neck. The bandit says that he will give them absolutely everything that he owns, which doesn't please Marnak, and so he kills him. Dakia is clearly not happy with all of this bloodshed, and Marnak says that he will bury them at least. He does so, but also secretly offers them to Mother, and it seems that he has amassed almost 4-0 divinity. All of this was mostly because of the numerous bandits that dared attack them. With this out of the way, they continue their journey, but suddenly Dakia comes closer to Marnak as she has something to ask him. She isn't blaming him for anything, so he shouldn't take this the wrong way, but he never lets any of the bandits go. She just wants to know why, however. If he doesn't want to talk about it, he doesn't have to say anything. Marnak sighs and smiles at the same time. He asks if she also asked Carmen and Siga, and she confirms that she did. Carmen told her that since they attacked them first, and they were clearly armed and willing to bring harm, they most likely go after innocent people too, and that is something that he can't let happen. And Sajida, like usual, said that he is only fulfilling his duty, but he can try to spare them if that is what she wishes. Marnak notes that in his case, he believes in the potential of people. Dakia is quite puzzled by this, but asks if he is talking about how even those bandits can be reborn in some way. Marnak confirms that it is precisely so. He firmly believes that even those bandits have the possibility to repent and start living good lives without bloodshed and in peace. Dakia angrily asks why he isn't sparing them, and Marnak explains that the first time is always hard for anything in life, so it is more likely that they will go down the path of darkness once again than repent. That is why he kills them without mercy. Dakia ponders the situation heavily and asks if they really have the right to bestow judgment upon them like this. Even the lords who seem omnipotent don't seem to have a clear vision about this topic. Mother speaks with Marnak, but he already knows, so she shouldn't worry. She gave him the authority to do as he wishes. Marnak says that he is not killing them to bestow judgment, but he is only taking responsibility for the choices he has made. If he spares any evil, and that evil once again commits evil, harming innocent lives in the process, some of the responsibility would weigh on his shoulders afterwards. So he would much rather bear the responsibility for taking their lives and chance at repenting for their actions. He has no idea about what he might pay for committing so many killings, but no matter what it is, this is the choice that he has made, and he has to live with it no matter what. To spare an evil man who then goes on to murder innocents is something that in his eyes, at least, is unforgivable. He thinks that if he can't take that responsibility until the very end, then no matter how much potential an evil person has for change, he promised to himself that day that he will never spare any of them. Dakia fiddles with her hair for a bit and asks if he can perhaps tell her why he thinks like this, only if he wants to, of course, as she isn't forcing him into anything. Marnak says that he certainly will, but they will probably have to save it for later as a group of merchants is arriving. Sajida recommends that they meet them as they will certainly have a variety of useful items, and they also might be able to sell the equipment from the bandits to them. They do so, and much later, while in a camp set up by the merchants, one of them analyzes Marnak's sword with great excitement as the metal it is made out of is extremely nice. It is an immortal alloy that was imbued with the essence of the ancient empire and its technology. What this sword is made out of is immortalium, which is exceedingly rare. Carmen notes that he must be talking about the metal of immortality, but the merchant is extremely excited as it is more immortalium than he has collected for well over 120 years. He would like to buy it no matter the cost, but Marnak tells him that he is not selling it. The merchant understands it full well, and Carmen says that he must have another reason for inviting them to stay here. The merchant explains that he would like to employ them as his guards until they all reach the Northern Kingdom's capital. They mention that they went through Eratico, which was almost eradicated entirely, so then he who wears the priestly robes must be G's demon slayer, the arch nemesis of the evil spirits themselves. Marnak is embarrassed by all of this praise, and the merchant explains that should they accept this job, they will all be rewarded well, and promises better treatment than the other mercenaries they have employed. Carmen asks for some time to discuss it amongst themselves, and the merchant gives them that time but looks forward to them accepting the offer. Later that night, while Marnak is giving a massage to Mother, he notes that since they accepted this well-paying job and all, they should look for a nice place to live once they have the money. Suddenly screams can be heard from the outside as countless giant bats have invaded their camp. Marnak protects Mother and is prepared to face anything for her. The large bats continue their attacks with the party trying their best to defend the merchants, specifically Marnak and Carmen who are in the front lines. Dakia also tries to help a merchant by attempting to shoot a fireball, but before she can even gather enough mana to do it, a sword appears into the bat's head, and the merchant runs freely. The sword was thrown by Marnak, who wanted to stop Dakia and succeeded. As if she doesn't know how to control her spell, she might have caused a lot of damage. Dakia gets angry and notes that it's not so bad as it seems. Maybe she could have just hit one of the bats in the air if she aimed well. Marnak says that even if bats can fly and are harder to predict in the air, there's no real guarantee that a magic spell that misses its target won't hit something else, maybe even an ally. So he asks her to stop casting spells from now on. Dakia continues to pout but agrees that it's dangerous. Marnak finds his way to the merchant leader with his sword still unsheathed, dripping blood on the carpet. The merchant notes that he'd like him to put that rather handsome sword in its sheath, but Marnak explains that it will depend on his answers. The merchant sees what's going on and remarks that if that's the case, he better answer wisely. Marnak tells him he should think before answering, as this might get messy. His first question is why evil spirit worshippers are attacking a merchant organization so suddenly. The merchant tries to play it off, saying he doesn't really know, but when Marnak raises his sword, he gives up and says he'll trust him with this information since he's so renowned. With that, Marnak is satisfied and sheathes his sword while hoping the merchant isn't hiding anything more. He asks if he will keep all this secret, and Marnak agrees since he's a mercenary willing to keep secrets. The merchant asks one of his subordinates to bring him the thing, and he returns with a small golden box. The merchant explains that the evil spirit worshippers began their attacks after this item was handed over to them. They were requested to bring this item straight to the capital. Marnak notes that since it's been so long since they got the request, they must have suffered many casualties, so why didn't they just give up on the request? The merchant tells him they received immortalium as payment up front and were promised even more once delivery was complete. If he's being honest, he doesn't know why they would want something like this. He asked another priest for advice, but he knew nothing. He presents Marnak with the item, a necklace that shines brightly under the light. Marnak instantly feels that this is a lord relic containing the divinity of Mother. This must be why the evil spirit worshippers want it so badly, but how did they even find out about it? He has Mother's hand, so how are they discovering all her lord relics? The merchant asks for his opinion on the item, since he's also a priest, but Marnak lies and says he has no clue. Now understanding the situation, Marnak brings up something more important. The merchant asks if it's about their conditions, and Marnak confirms that since the merchant hid something that put them at risk, they need twice the money promised for everyone, not just him. The merchant reluctantly agrees and notes that instead of a priest, Marnak should have become a merchant. The party meets inside a storage tent, and Sajida congratulates Marnak for figuring things out, saying there were plenty of traces that battles had been fought, especially on the soldiers' equipment. They must have fought plenty already, so it's no wonder. Dakia says he should have told all of them this, but Sajida explains that it was the merchants who kept it from them, and since they were going in basically the same direction, they would have been caught in the ambush anyway, even if they rejected the offer. Carmen adds that their most benevolent priest went ahead and doubled their reward money with ease. Marnak says he just got them what they rightly deserve, and with that everyone goes to their individual tents as they have a lot more traveling to do. After taking a well-deserved bath, Marnak walks around at night, and Mother suggests they steal the relic now. He notes it would be terrible if he was caught, but Mother reassures him, saying that as long as there are no witnesses, it's not a crime. This doesn't inspire much confidence in Marnak, who explains they should hold back until they figure out what that sly merchant is capable of. He already knows metal doesn't rot, so they'll simply let the evil spirit worshippers take the item, and in the process of graciously retrieving it, they'll steal the divinity inside and give it back like nothing happened. Mother hadn't thought of this, and tells him he's extremely smart. Marnak tries to continue talking with her, but then one of the soldiers screams that another ambush is happening, which Marnak laments as he just got done cleaning himself. A large bipedal creature with devilish horns charges forward and instantly takes care of the soldiers who couldn't do much. It goes straight for Marnak, who recognizes the creature as a carpal. He prepares a wide attack, putting all his force behind it. When the creature gets close enough, he unleashes it, but surprisingly, the beast has very tough horns that block his sword. Marnak continues to push and eventually manages to cut through the horn and decapitate it. With that finished, something else catches his attention as a bush radiates pink energy. Something jumps out and instantly goes for him. In that split second, Marnak manages to catch the woman ready to pounce on him. It's one of the evil spirit worshippers he met before, Pearly, who is excited to finally meet him again. She notes that she thought about him a lot and asks if he did the same. Marnak confirms that he didn't think about her a single time, but she says it's okay as she thought about him enough times to make up for it. Marnak laments having to deal with this pipsqueak again and says there's something he'd like to ask her. She asks what she'll receive for this information. Marnak continues fighting the beasts that attack them, and the party also comes out to help, making things easier for him. Carmen spots one of the beasts trying to escape, and Marnak offers to handle it. He runs after it, but the beast is fast and he can't catch up by normal means. He chooses to throw his other sword at it, killing the beast instantly. With that done, he walks to where Pearly Pearly is waiting, quite mad that he's late. But now that he's here, will he be granting her wishes? Marnak doesn't know what she's talking about and says first she'll be answering his questions. She agrees, and Marnak asks how many evil spirit worshippers are part of this ambush. Pearly counts and concludes there are 3, excluding her. However, they make her mad as they all act like she's not there, which is very mean if she's being honest. Marnak thinks she's just telling the enemy all this information for free, so if she were an ally, he would also ignore her. He agrees with her that they are mean, and also asks why they're attacking the merchant group, although he already knows. She says it's because of the necklace the merchant leader has, which makes Marnak ask how she knows about the item in the first place. She tells him she hasn't a clue, but she knows that the person who requested the merchant to take the necklace was also part of Liberati, and the organization of evil spirit worshippers she told him about when they first met. Marnak finds it strange, as it seems Liberati is having some kind of internal conflict, and he wonders why. Pearly notes that it's not as bad as it seems. It's just a slight argument, not to be taken seriously. Marnak asks what caused this, but Pearly doesn't remember even if she was told why. Marnak wonders if she is on any side at all, but she explains that she is neutral and does things only when she's given money or materials. Marnak asks why she would need materials, and Pearly notes that it's for her dolls, as she is a priestess who worships the great shaking string. Marnak thinks about it and comes to the conclusion that the thing in front of him right now and the thing that he met last time were both dolls. Pearly also remembers to tell him to watch out, as the guys that came with her were planning something without her. Of course, Marnak sits in silence for a short while and finally asks why she's being so nice to him. Pearly is pleasantly surprised that he actually asked her that and notes that as an entirely different question from the ones he was asking. Marnak just looks at her and then turns his back away, saying that he's not interested anymore. This makes her grovel on the ground as she wanted him to ask. So shouldn't he want to find out? Marnak notes that she should just tell him what she wanted to ask of him now while he is still here, but she refuses, saying that she will do that the next time they meet. Marnak smiles and notes that if it's so, this will be goodbye for now at least. He cuts off the head of the doll and Pearly also wishes him farewell while the head of the doll is flying around. Eventually, Marnak arrives at the camp, and just when he's about to get into his tent, Dakia stops him. He asks what she wants, as she should rest while she can, since they don't know when the evil spirit worshippers will attack again. Dakia says that she will, but she just wanted to ask him where he went, as she didn't see him return with the others. Marnak explains that he was chasing after the last Carpal and felt the presence of an evil spirit worshipper while he was there, so he looked around for a while. Dakia is quite spooked by this and asks if he actually fought one, but Marnak denies it as he didn't find anything of importance. That's when she suddenly starts cleaning his face with her handkerchief, which he immediately retreats from as she will get it dirty if she does something like this. Dakia explains that she brought it for him anyway, so he should stop running away. She continues to clean his face while Mother screams bloody murder at her, probably cursing her to the high heavens. When Dakia finishes, she hands him the handkerchief and wishes him a good night. After Marnak gets inside, tired from all of the action, Mother instantly transforms into her full form with handkerchief in hand. She notes that she will also be washing his face, and Marnak tells her that she doesn't need to do that, but she insists, so Marnak lets her do it. The next day, while they are traveling, Marnak notices a strange rumble in the mountains and thinks of Pearly's words that there might be an ambush soon, but that's when he recognizes what that sound is, but too late, as the avalanche has already started coming towards them. He warns everyone to remove everything from themselves and run while they can, but suddenly Dakia gets in front of the avalanche. Marnak thinks that if he can stall the avalanche just for a little while, most of the people will have time to get away. He looks at Dakia, and that's when he gets an idea. He explains to her that he needs her help, as the avalanche will be upon the merchants too soon, so at this rate they will not be able to escape. If she helps, they can save all of the people. Dakia is surprised by his words, and he notes that she has to use her magic on the avalanche right now. Dakia is shocked that he actually suggested that, and says that even if she does that, it won't completely stop the avalanche as she doesn't have that kind of magic. Marnak explains that she doesn't have to stop it in its entirety. They just need to stall it enough so that everyone can get out of the way, so she should gather all of the mana that she can and use it on the avalanche. Dakia notes that she won't be able to move while she's channeling the mana, and after she uses all of it, she will most certainly pass out. Marnak grabs her shoulder and swears on his name that he will protect her no matter what. This makes her blush a bit, and with newfound confidence walks forward to get prepared to summon all of her magic. She starts gathering all of the mana around, and after she is done, unleashes it in a beam which goes straight in the middle of the avalanche and causes a large explosion. Dakia, however, doesn't stop and uses every shred of mana that is in her body. That's when it's revealed that Dakia is worth 4 fingers, something extremely valuable for Marnak. Eventually her mana runs out, and Marnak immediately grabs her as she falls, noting that this is plenty already. After she has passed out, Marnak summons the giant beast and asks it to protect him and Dakia. It does so, and completely surrounds both of them as the avalanche comes crashing down. Eventually, after everything settles, the beast digs out of the avalanche before it can harden, and Marnak follows it with Dakia, who seems to be waking up right about now. With that, the beast removes a piece of rock that was hinged in its head, and leaves so as not to be seen by anyone. Slowly but surely, Dakia wakes up and asks Marnak if they really are alive. Marnak notes that they completely lost the people they were with, including their party. But yes, they are alive and kicking. He asks if she can move, but she says that it's not possible, probably due to the mana depletion she got, but he should know at least that she saw everything. Marnak's eyes widen, and Dakia explains that she saw him clearly summon a very large and quite freaky-looking giant. Marnak is now on full alert, and Mother even more so. Dakia continues by saying that she knew he wasn't a worshipper of the Lordess of Preservation. Unlike him, the people who usually worship that Lordess aren't as adept as him with the sword, and he is also much more powerful than they could ever wish for. Marnak tries to excuse this as him simply being more trained than others, but Dakia denies this and moves on to the next point. Secondly, he seems to be having a lot of conversation with the hand that he keeps with him at all times no matter what. She is sure that he was being extremely discreet with it, but eventually someone would have noticed, and that someone was her. Marnak again tries to excuse this by saying that is only a prayer that he does. Dakia notes that even if that is the case, she clearly saw him yelling for a mother, and that's when a large beast appeared out of a green portal. She tries to say that he is an evil spirit worshipper, but Marnak silences and warns her at the same time. Some people say that silence is like gold, so now she hasn't seen anything, not a thing, and since she is such a faithful person, she will keep her mouth shut, right? Dakia interrupts his yapping and explains that she doesn't care who he worships. Not at all. He is a good person, and even if he is a tad too merciless most of the time, he is still a good friend, and part of the reason she accepted to do this was that he would actually listen to her if she was in this extremely vulnerable state. As he knows, she was born a mage, and thus she received many resentful stares and hatred throughout her life. She can relate to his situation even if just a little bit, so even if he is someone who worships an evil lord, she will be treating him like she always has, and will also keep the secret naturally. Mother listens to this without saying anything, but after a short while, she comes out and starts pounding Dakia on the head, apparently out of sheer anger. Dakia is naturally shocked by this, and asks Marnak to do something about this raging child. He gently grabs Mother's hand and tells her to calm down as this woman is being genuine. He gets that she's worried about all of this, but he wants to try and trust her like she trusted him all this time. Additionally, since Dakia is a mage, she'll make her swear to appease her worry. Mother accepts, but before leaving, she signals to Dakia that she'll be watching her very closely. Dakia asks Marnak what that means, and he tells her that she'll be watching. With that done, he notes that now he has to make her swear in an ancient tongue. Dakia accepts, and starts doing it, shortly finishing the spell. Marnak tells her that now that she swore, he'll answer any question she has. Dakia asks why he isn't questioning her about what she swore, but Marnak explains that he understands ancient tongue, so everything is fine. Dakia finds it quite impressive, and seems ready to ask her first question, one she's wanted to ask for a long time. What kind of women is he into? Mother immediately gets in front of them, and Marnak notes that it's probably best to get moving as they need to find their party. Dakia says that if he's going to look for the Lord Relic, she would like to help. Unfortunately, it seems the evil spirit worshippers got to the merchant already, and have the relic safe and sound. The woman who cast the avalanche notes that the priest she engulfed is probably dead or dying by now, so they should just return as they got what they needed. That's when one of them notices something in the distance, the merchant. Extremely angry that they attacked his merchant organization, but even more angry that they actually dared to touch his precious items. The ice woman immediately engulfs him in ice, but this doesn't stop him in the slightest as his blue eyes glow even larger, and he breaks out of the ice while transforming his lower half into that of a horse. Androids are beings with bodies entirely made of metal, well known for absolutely adoring minerals. They can even replace body parts with them. Due to this, they're naturally covetous for any kind of rare metals, and most of them become merchants solely to feed into this obsession. Simply put, they're a species that, given enough time and money, will get stronger and stronger. Additionally, if the core is still kicking, they will not stop no matter what. The merchant charges in, and starts shaping his hand into something else. The ice woman tries to block his way, but with his new lance arm, he easily breaks through, which shocks the ice woman quite a bit. One of the other evil spirit worshippers tells her to hold on just a bit longer as he almost got it. The woman screams at him, noting that he's completely out of his mind if he thinks she can hold out much longer, as this guy's entire body is made purely out of frost steel. The silent man looks at the merchant charging in once again and slams the ground with one of his legs, creating a black substance around the merchant that stops his movements. With this opportunity, the ice woman summons all of her magic and engulfs his legs in dark ice. He still manages to get out quite easily, but now it's too late, as the other evil spirit worshipper tells the ice woman Karuna to get down and summons a large worm which spits acid on the merchant, taking taking out an arm and hurting him all over. She urges him to call that beast to spit even more acid, but the guy explains that it's too cold for him right now, so he won't be coming back. He wants to say they need to destroy his core, but that's when a large thud and scream catches their attention as Mar X's giant beast is rushing in like it's in a sports competition. The ice woman tells the summoning guy Luam to summon something again, but he explains that no matter what he summons, they won't be able to take care of that thing. With no other choice, she tells Pelham, the silent guy, to watch her back as she tries to block it with ice. This, however, doesn't do much, and Karuna demands that Pelham do his magic fast, as they'll be dead if he doesn't. Out in the distance, Marnak, who is still carrying Dakia, hears all of this and asks her if she can move now. Dakia notes that she can try, and sure enough, she's able to stand on her feet once again. They watch as the beast fights, and she asks if he won't help as she feels a bit bad for it. Marnak explains that he would like to, but since the merchant is also there, who is now in a truly manic state, everything will turn out fine. However, the situation is disadvantageous for him, as he is outnumbered quite a bit. That's when Marnak notices that the beast is throwing something their way, and when it lands, it's only a dead snowfield bat. Mother tells him to look inside, and Marnak does so while Dakia watches in horror. Sure enough, something was inside. Something precious, the Lord Relic. The beast gives Marnak a thumbs up, and Marnak thinks it's only natural that he return the favor. He asks Mother to reinforce a pre-existing authority, that one being the corruption giant. A blinding green glow envelops the giant fully, and soon afterward, the bats each get slaughtered one by one, as green beams come out of the corruption beast constantly. Marnak smiles with a depraved look, and the corruption beast seems to have evolved, now brandishing a set of armor. The beast of corruption starts to eagerly rip the beasts around it with ease, and the one who called them forth, Luam, looks at all of this with a shocked, yet defeated expression. Karuna tells Pelham to hurry up with his damn magic already, but before he can even attempt anything, he is crushed by a gigantic sword, something that sends Karuna over the edge of insanity, and she starts to run away as her fight-or-flight sense activates. That's when the merchant grabs her ankle tightly and notes that he will not let her go no matter what. She demands that he let go, but he is relentless. With teary eyes, she demands that Luam do something to help, but he is too focused on his own survival, as his eyes are filled with fear of the unknown and, most importantly, fear for his life. Before he can get too far, however, the gigantic sword strikes him, crushing his right arm and leg, and eventually his entire being. Due to the merchant's condition, Karuna eventually gets free of his grasp, and her mind is set on only one thing: escaping. Now that the rest are dead, she has a chance to get the hell away from this place. Unfortunately for her, the corruption beast descends in front and instantly grabs her while she screams. She pleads to be let go, but her fate is already sealed, as the beast is preparing to crash her into the ground with all of its might, which she notices but can't do anything about. The beast smashes her into the ground, creating a viscous paste where her body would be before deactivating. The merchant sees the beast in all of its armored glory, and how its face is hidden by the headpiece. With that, his eyes dim and dim until eventually, the flicker that represented life is gone. With the new and improved beast of corruption, Marnak can use it to collect the divinity from the nearby bodies, which gives him a total of 300. They give each other a thumbs up, and Mother is surprised that the beast can now harvest. Marnak deadpans that she didn't know it would evolve to look like this in the first place. Marnak descends to her level and notes that she has gotten more eloquent the more her seal is being lifted. Is she getting smarter, perhaps? This comment enrages Mother, and she asks if he thought that she was dumb up until this point. He says that it's not like that, as he reveres her and treasures her more than anything in this world. Dakia comes around and asks if she's not actually his hidden daughter, because he's very doting with her. And this enrages Mother even more, and she starts flipping Dakia with both hands, a sign that she doesn't understand because she grew up in a sheltered environment. She also asks for a favor to hug her, as she is very cute right now. Mother immediately gets close to Marnak, as she clearly doesn't want to do that. Marnak tells Dakia that this is enough. The next time she should try to get close to her with a snack in hand. Dakia agrees and promises that one day she will pinch her cheek. Marnak asks Mother if there are any new words that she can say, which makes Mother ponder for a while before she finds out that she can. Marnak eagerly waits to see what she will say, and Mother confidently screams out one word: I. Inside of the Dragon family mansion, the member who is after Dakia slaps Hilden again, as he brought him the news about them being hit by an avalanche, and then disappearing with it. Honestly, he is quite speechless at their extremely poor performance. Hilden thinks that he's talking just fine for someone who should be speechless. But anyway, what was he supposed to do? It's not like he summoned that avalanche himself. When he heard about it in the morning, he lost a bunch of hair because of how stressed he was. The Dragon family member notes that he heard Dakia left the Eastern Branch region, and Dalton confirms it. She is now part of the main branch's jurisdiction. He thinks about it and tells Hilden that the main branch always did a good job on everything, as they were also the first ones to capture Dakia in the first place. Hilden asks if he will be going to the capital, and the youngster says that he will, which brings a smile to Hilden's face. Finally, he is free from this lizard prince, and that princess he doesn't care for at all. He is free from them both, and can now go happily back to his family. The prince tells him to get up and get ready as he will need a guide on the way, and he can't think of a better person for it, so he should get prepared as he will get the special treatment. He will be riding on his back though, so he should dress in something warm. Halden tries to tell him that he is the head of this eastern branch and can't leave his position like this, but the prince notes that so far at least his failures have not been reported to his higher-ups. If he does tell them, however, what will happen to him, he wonders. Halden is now fearful as he did expect this guy to know all of this. He tells him to think of this as a paid vacation and get ready already. Halen's eyes fill with tears as he thinks of his family, but he will be back to them soon enough. The merchant caravan eventually arrives at the capital, while the merchant, who is now much smaller, tells Marnik about the knight in shining armor that valiantly saved him. Marnak tells him that he also said the same things yesterday about how magnificent he was. The merchant continues to talk his ear off about it, but Dakia approaches and whispers that for a knight in shining armor, that beast looked rather scary from her viewpoint at least. Marnak tells her that it probably didn't matter as he was basically dying when he saw him. Someone comes from behind and tells the merchant that it's almost time for the interrogation. With that, he jumps into his arms from Marn's shoulder and thanks him for helping them reach the capital. He will reward each of them quite well soon enough. They continue to walk and walk while the caravan slowly gets inside of the capital, and that's when Carmen tells his group about something important that he should have told them previously. Unfortunately, things might become a little crazy once they enter, and it's not a big deal, but they shouldn't be surprised by what's about to happen. Before Marnek can even ask what he means, a guard recognizes Carmen, and they all jump him shortly afterwards as he has to be arrested. They tie him up, and Carmen tells his group that he will take care of this problem on his own, and will be back as soon as he can. The party just looks at him because at this point, there is not much they can do. The prince eventually arrives somewhere near the capital, and demands to be clothed at once after his transformation. Dalton instantly obliges, but he is quite happy as now the headquarters people that ignored lowly branches like his will get a taste of this posh bastard too. The prince demands that he guide him to the capital, and Dalton says that he should hurry as he will guide him through the quickest route accessible. The prince is rather annoyed by his haste and notes that he has grown more confident. Back in the capital, the merchant explains that for Carmen, it's not rare to get arrested like this as he is quite the troublemaker around these parts. Marnak asks what he's done this time, but merchant says that they should hear from him exactly what, as if they go right now to the guards and say that they are here to visit him, they will let them in. Dakia suggests that they should go get some good food after visiting him as she knows a few nice places around here. Marnak agrees that they should, and with the pleasantries out of the way, the merchant hands them the promised reward, 15 gold coins per person, amounting to 60. Marnak opens the bag and is almost blinded by the glistening color of the coins. After coming to this world, this is the very first time he has seen so many coins at once. Dakia notices that he's acting like a goblin around those coins, and comes to the conclusion that this must be the first time he is seeing so many gold coins. Really, he truly has a cute side to him. The room falls silent as they all stare at her in embarrassment, and to break this atmosphere, Marnak notes that he is always cute. Dakia thinks that he must be joking around, and Marnak tells the merchant that there should also be some other reward for retrieving the item he had. The merchant explains that he will get that to him by tomorrow, as there is a difficult process he needs to go through beforehand. Afterwards, they go to visit Carmen, but Sajida parts with them halfway through as he has somewhere to be. Marnek is shown around the capital by Dakia, and they seem to be having fun. Eventually, they arrive at the building where the guards are stationed, and Marnek says that it has a simple but hostile look to it. Dakia notes that it's true that building is not cute like he is. Marnak tells her that she doesn't seem to be letting things go easily, and she asks if he's mad about her teasing him. Marnak notes that there is nothing to be mad about as he is, as she says, but they should go and see Kay before the food they got for him gets cold. Inside of his cell, Carmen is being fed by a woman who seems to endear him in some way. That's when he spots Dakia and Marnak, who says that he looks like he's at home in this place. Carmen smiles and says that it's because he comes here often enough. The woman that fed him notes that he comes here too often and presents herself as Athgrada. Marnak also introduces himself and explains that he has heard quite a lot from Carmen about her. Dakia asks what he did to get in jail this time, and that's when someone from behind them responds, he is here because he stole from Sir Enthus Vass's private storage. It was also that same man who put him on the wanted list. So what did he intend to do with the key that he stole? Carmen calls him his brother, and Marnak starts to analyze the stranger. If he is truly Carmen's brother, he is the son of the Black Wolf and the vice captain of the Queen's Royal Guards, the fabled Frost Knights, the White Wolf himself, Seti Valis. He asks once again why he stole the key and what he did with it. Carmen notes that he has already used it. It's gone. Sean is surprised by this, but instead of being mad, he seems worried for his brother and asks if he is hurt anywhere. Carmen confirms that he is not, and Sishin ponders what to do for a moment as he knows all too well by now their father hates thieves. But not only did he steal something from his personal storage, he can't even return it since he has used it already. He must remember what their father used to say all the time, that accomplishments made through unfair actions are worth as much as the trash people throw away. No matter what his justification is, case, stealing cannot be considered justifiable. Carmen explains that their father used to always say something else. Rules have to stand upright no matter what, for everything else to also stand as upright as them. Naturally, he agrees with that saying. But if this is the case, why did this rule neglect his mother as soon as he was born? Why did his mother have to leave the family without saying a word? With tears in his eyes, Carmen says that even a drunkard from the alleyways would take responsibility for his own woman. Is their father's honor really not on par with the common drunkard? No matter how many times he begged, no matter how many times he asked to know about his mother, he always kept his silence and avoided the topic like the coward he is. That is precisely why he stole the key, to find his dearest mother with his own 2 hands. Setian asks if he really stole the key for this purpose, and Carmen swears it on his name. Setian relents to this, and notes that he will talk with their father for him, something which seems to move Carmen quite a bit. Marnak notices that they are pretty close, but when Setian looks in their direction, he and Dakia immediately look away. Setian apologizes for letting them see this during their first meeting, and he's sure that his younger brother was quite a handful. That's when he recognizes Dakia and asks why she is here and not in Beatus. Dakia says that she is just traveling the world for a bit, which he doesn't agree with as the smiling young master is sure to be worried about her. Dakia explains that her father would never be worried about her, so he shouldn't worry. Brat asks how long Carmen will be staying in this cell for, and Setian explains that according to their father's orders he will be in here at least a month, but he will be talking with him about it today. Dakia wonders what to do with so much time, and Marnak notes that they must go back as soon as possible. Dakia tells him to think it over as she has never rushed them into anything. Setian notices that she called him Marnak, and he asks if he is the Marnak, the one known as the arch-nemesis of the evil spirits. Marnak confirms that he is, and so Setian asks if Kaymen was also a part of Eradicos Saviors. Marnak confirms that indeed he was, which reassures Setian, as with this it might be easier to convince their father. He apologizes for the late introduction and shakes hands with him. If he ever has the chance during his stay in this city, he should visit the Vaus residence with Carmen as they will welcome him warmly. With that, he excuses himself and leaves. Marnak says that he is quite different from him, and Carmen explains that he is truly a great person and his role model, not like him. Dakia says that he just got pretty mad at his dear role model, but Carmen excuses this as having to get things off of his chest. That's all. He also asks if that bag is for him, and Marnak explains that they brought it because they thought he would be starving, but it seems that their worries were unfounded. They leave them to their reunion, as Dakia knows of a pretty good spot to eat. Marnak accepts this proposition, as it's best to let these 2 lovebirds be. While in the inn, Marnak thinks that according to the Trumpeter of Death, there should be a Lord Relic around here. However, he can't know for sure, and there really isn't a good place around here to get some information. Maybe now is the time to use the thing that Treon gave him a long time ago. Daya suddenly knocks on his door, and Mother immediately tells her to leave, which Marnak thinks is a bit harsh. She comes in and notes that today she won't be rejected as she has brought snacks from the most popular bakery. These are breads filled with delicious cream, and instead of words, she would like a hug. Mother slaps the pastries away and says one word, I. Dakia asks what she means by that, and Marnak translates, she cannot be tempted so easily. That is what she said. The next day at L's main base in the capital, the priestess gives one of the workers there a drawing of Marnak. The employee doubts that he really does look like this due to how crude the drawing is, and asks if this person really is human. The priestess says that he is human, but he should have been able to tell just by looking, right? He also asks if she knows she is willing to pay for the request fees, but the priestess tells him not to worry, as she captured some criminals on her way here, so she has money. The employee thinks that if this is the case, she might be giving more than the minimum amount requested, which is good for him. She hands him a pouch with 12 gold coins and 33 silver coins, which seems to not be enough as the man's face drops. She asks, what's wrong? Was she perhaps too giving? The prince and Halton walk with a certain person, and the prince asks how much further they are from the destination, as it seems they are just going in circles at this point. The man tells him to relax as they will arrive soon. Halton thinks that if things continue like this, the prince will get mad soon, and it's pretty obvious who he will take his anger on. The prince notices his cowering and asks why he has that ugly mug, which makes Halton apologize instantly, as he didn't mean to disturb him. The escort smiles mockingly at this, which makes Halton angry as they are basically in the same position. Suddenly the priestess walks past them, and Halton is a little bewitched by her beauty. He asks the prince if he saw that beautiful lady walk by, but he doesn't really care, as there are plenty of pretty girls practically begging him to like them, so there isn't a need for another as they can be annoying sometimes. Halton wonders why he is so obsessed with the princess then, which makes him mad, but he will get mad if he asks more questions, so he will have to shut up. Eventually they arrive, and the escort welcomes the prince to Ella, while also telling Halton that he must return. He thinks that this is disrespectful as he knows full well his branch is inferior, but he is only an employee, and he is ordering a branch leader around like this. The prince announces that he is coming with him no matter what, which makes the escort sigh as, even if someone of his status requests it, They cannot have members from the branch here. Suddenly, the prince slaps him behind his back and asks if he just dared to sigh in his face while the escort is getting the beating of his life. Halton smiles as he's glad that someone else is receiving punishment and not him. All the resentment he had for this guy is now gone. What a joyous day. The prince tells him to move his ass, and Halton immediately does so, as this is also a chance for him to see the idiots from headquarters get beaten to a pulp by the prince. Back at the inn, Mother keeps rejecting Daka's treats, and this time it was quite harsh as she said that she's a being that cannot be fooled with temptation. With that, Dakia leaves with a sad expression. Marnek says that this time she was a bit too harsh. There are countless ways to reject someone, and most are not as harsh. Daya had no other intention. She just wanted her to have these just because she wanted to. He knows better than anyone else around that the mother he respects is someone who can acknowledge her mistakes and is also the noblest of beings. Mother starts to feel bad about her actions, and Marak tells her to apologize next time she sees her. She should also eat some of the bread Dakia bought, as he's sure it tastes wonderful, especially since it was a gift. He hands her one, and when she bites into it, she is captivated by the taste. Like a cat, she takes all of it and eats it in bed. Marnak warns her not to eat super fast, as she will have stomach problems if she does. Suddenly Dakia comes back and asks if she may have a piece of the bread too, as she didn't try it yet, but that's when she notices that Mother is indulging herself, and they both stare at each other. Dakia smiles, however, and asks if she's enjoying it. 10 minutes later, Dakia is sitting on the bed while holding Mother, who is still enjoying her bread, although angrily. Even later, Marnak goes shopping, and Dakia accompanies him as she promised to not tell anyone about his secret. Swore, in fact. So meeting the friend of the demon he's friends with shouldn't be a problem. But is he really living in this place? Marnek says that this is the marked location on the map, so it must be so. They go to the person standing in front of the house, and the man asks what brings them to his humble abode. Mark shows him an insignia of sorts, which is in the form of a shield, and the man welcomes them inside. When they do so, Dakia asks what he showed him, and Marnak explains that he got it from the demon he met a while ago, as he told him to use it to visit his friend. Dakia didn't expect demons to be detailed, and she also didn't expect for them to forget things, as they are beings of higher intelligence. Anyway, what surprised her the most about this is this place, as she didn't even know something like this was in the capital. Marnak says that he has never been to the capital up until now, which makes Dakia give him the title of Country Bumpkin. She also asks how he's not more surprised about these buildings as they are quite amazing. Marnak thinks that he has seen even grander and prettier buildings in his past life, so something like this is not that impressive. A mysterious man suddenly approaches them, and Daya asks if she should attack him with magic if he starts doing something weird. Marnak doesn't want to die crushed under a building, so he tells her to relax, which makes her even madder. Marnak asks the man if he's their guide, and he only nods, and so they start following him. Eventually, they make their way to a door, and when they open it, they spot a woman who is sitting in a bed and asks what they want from her. Marnak notes that he wanted her to help them with something, and she asks for their names. Marnak introduces the both of them, and when she hears his name, the demon grabs his clothes tightly and asks if he's really the infamous demon slayer of Giz. Is he truly that? While she holds him like this, Dakia clenches her teeth and tells her to let go of him right this second. Otherwise, she will blow this whole damn place to pieces. Marnak is more scared than the demon, and tells her to relax as they will all die if she does that. The demon asks who that is, and Marnak introduces her once again. The demon smiles and apologizes, as this was just a harmless prank, nothing to be so fired up about. She sits down and notes that she indeed crossed the line. She introduces herself as Writhing Curiosity, and the common people may call her a demon, among other things. She also asks Marnak what kind of priest he is, as he is clearly not a priest of preservation. He tells her that he is a worshiper of the mother of corruption, which makes Curiosity gasp, as she didn't expect to meet the son of corruption like this. She asks him to come a little closer as she wants to read his mind. Marnak asks if that really is a necessary step, and Curiosity tells him it isn't, but he shouldn't worry as she can't read much while in this body, so she will just find out how he's still fine even after all this time. Marnak wonders what she's talking about, but just when it seems like the mood is relaxed, Curiosity jumps at him, as he is much different than the other sons of corruption. But Mother comes to the rescue as she slaps his hand away. Curiosity is quite surprised by this and asks what this little thing is. Marnak notes that he already introduced himself, which makes her say that this is going to be really bad. He asks why that is, and she notes that he must be after his mother's lord relics, right? How many has he gotten up until now? 4, maybe 5. Marnak wonders how she knows so well, and also asks her to explain in greater detail. Curiosity says that she can't. He should rather ask Mother that. She looks at Marnak and shrugs as she doesn't know a thing about this. Curiosity is even more surprised and asks if he really just talked with a lord so casually. Are there no consequences for this? Marnak explains that normally he talks with Mother on a daily basis, as communication is the key to upkeep their relationship. Curiosity sighs as it seems that the son of corruption hasn't gone insane just yet. He also is talking to her without any payment, and she doesn't know a thing about what she's talking about. She also asks, since when he could talk with her so casually, ever since his body was improved perhaps? Mark explains that he was able to do this from the beginning. Curiosity is even more curious now, but warns him that putting all of his eggs in one crumbling basket is not really a good thing. Well, seeing his current situation, he probably didn't have any other choice, but she warns him now that he will have to work extremely hard in order to pay back everything he has received. Marnak attempts to ask her what she means, but she only says that the situation he is in right now is like walking on a tightrope. If she says any more than this, the guys upstairs will notice. Marnak knows that she's talking about the heavens, but will the lords of that place really realize? Curiosity licks her lips and says that he must already know. If he wants something from a demon, he must give something in return. Marnak expected this, so he asks what she wants, and she instantly asks him to sleep with her, which makes him frown. Marnak asks her to repeat herself as he probably just didn't hear her correctly, but she confirms that she requested to lay with him. Dakia denies this instantly, which makes Curiosity ask why not. Dakia becomes embarrassed and just tells her no. That's the final answer. Mother also jumps on her and starts pummeling her, but due to her tiny body, Curiosity doesn't feel a thing, so she just stops. Marnak looks away as he knows that Curiosity is right. She asks them to calm down, as this was just a harmless joke. She just wants the badge that he used to get inside this place. Did he perhaps not get that information when he first got it? Marnak angrily pulls it out and says that he unfortunately hasn't. Curiosity tells him that it's fine. Small pranks like these add a little fun to life, as that's the meaning of life, right? Marnak agrees, and Curiosity lets Mother go, while also noting that if he's looking for the Lord relics, he's going to ask her to find one. Isn't that right? Marnak says that she's correct, and Curiosity explains that the relic he wants is in her possession. Both Doya and Marnak are glad to hear this, and Curiosity shows her underground arena that they need to participate in order to get the relic. She does have the relic, but unfortunately she put it as a reward for winning the underground fights. The crowd cheers as the gladiators fight, and Curiosity sits down as she holds up her side of the bargain, so she wishes them good luck in the coming fights. Back in the arena, everyone cheers for a fighter named Bigfoot, a brutish man who is extremely large. The announcer tells everyone that his opponent is a rookie, who makes his entrance with wonderful jumps, which the crowd likes, as they have never seen anyone move like this before. A hooded figure comes to the betting table and puts it all on the rookie. This hooded figure was Dakia, and the rookie was Marnak. And a few days ago, Marnak asked Curiosity if he couldn't just take the divinity from the relic and give it to her once they are done. Curiosity didn't agree to this, as the other evil spirit worshippers will catch on to this instantly. What he needs to do is join the arena, as this is something connected to him and his dearest mother. She also asked if he knows about Liberati, which he confirms. Curiosity said that he will definitely run into more of them while searching for the Lord relics, so he should reduce their numbers beforehand. Additionally, he is now in the kingdom's capital, if he didn't realize, so does he understand what that entails? Marnak says that they will not be able to use their authorities as easily, since the resident priests spread around here will notice, and as for him, he might lose depending on a couple things, but he will not die from an attack that has no divinity in it. He tells her that even with this, he doesn't plan on killing them so recklessly simply because they are evil spirit worshippers. Curiosity heard otherwise, as he must have taken out quite a few of them by now, but Marnak explains that he had a reason. Curiosity saw how fussy he is, and gave him a reason to, as she showed him what the evil spirit worshippers did. She showed him the countless lives they have taken, the endless suffering that they have gathered. All they did was kill and slaughter. Marnak asked what that was, and Curiosity explained that they were all memories of the evil spirit worshippers. Is this reason enough to kill them? Marnak asked if this is really the truth, and Curiosity confirmed that sadly it is. Back to the present, everyone cheers for Bigfoot, as they probably have no faith in Marnak. He thinks that this was a great chance to wear a mask, specifically this mask that can change at will. He got it from the merchant a while earlier. Bigfoot tells him to get ready with his armor and weapons, but Marnak just flips him, which causes Bigfoot to rage, as he has never been disrespected by an opponent like this before. He attempts to unleash a mighty attack on Marnak, and when the attack hits something, it creates a shockwave that can be seen from the spectator seats. Marnak dodges his attack, however, and he mocks Bigfoot with a hand sign. This makes him even angrier, and so he tries to hit him with all of his might, but Marnak dodges it with great ease. He does this until he finds the opportunity to slap the snot out of him, the most disrespectful attack. This causes Bigfoot to unleash an even bigger attack that envelops the whole arena. Marnak has simply dodged, and the announcer says that in all their fights they have never seen anyone so light-footed. It seems that this rookie came without armor for a purpose. The public tells Bigfoot to hit him already, which causes him to charge in once again, as he knows he cannot disappoint the crowd any longer. Marnak sits motionless, while Bigfoot tries to wail on him. But in the second that he strikes, he grabs his head and jumps high into the air. Everyone, including the announcer, is shocked by this, and Bigfoot begs for help as he knows that he is going to be in a world of pain because of this. Marnak puts him in a wrestling position and lands down with great force, something which makes everyone cheer as they see Marnak stand victorious. Everyone thinks that it's over, but that's when Marnak starts climbing the nearby wall with his bare hands and jumps from it directly on Bigfoot. He lands directly on his chest and finishes the fight for real this time. The announcer tells everyone that the rookie is the winner and puts the megaphone to his mouth as they want to hear a few words from the winner. Marnak picks it up and announces to everyone that he will kill them all. This makes the crowd explode with cheer, and Dakia, who is with Mother, cheers also. After the match, Dakia drags Marnak around the city as she wants to eat a limited time bread, which is apparently the fluffiest in the whole city. She warns him to hurry as it's made from a limited amount. There's already a few people buying it. Suddenly Marnak notices someone similar, but before he can look further, Dakia grabs his hand and drags him away, leaving him to think if it was really that person or just someone who looks similar. When they get back to the tavern they are staying at, Mother climbs on the bed separators and imitates Marnak and how he dealt with Bigfoot. She even imitates the movements he did afterwards, with Marnak being quite embarrassed about it, but Dakia finds it amazing. Curiosity arrives in their room and notes that even here they are practicing techniques. Marnak apologizes if it bothers her, but she claims that it doesn't. It makes the atmosphere around pretty good. Additionally, if she were to repeat herself, the last match went pretty nicely and was quite memorable for those watching. For a priest, he sure went ham on Bigfoot. Marnak says that it's not like it seems, but Curiosity notes that she meant what she said about it being memorable, and she also heard from Bigfoot that he started rigging the fight in the middle of it, right? He told him that if he does not want to die, he should act like he's in pain no matter how hard he hits. Marnak explains that it wasn't rigging, but rather they were both like-minded individuals and came to an agreement. They put on a pretty good act that was performed quite well. Curiosity doesn't care what it was, as long as it performed well. However, due to this, she's thinking of adding more matches that have acting in them when the opportunity comes. However, they need a new actor as Bigfoot up and left because he wanted to become an actor or something like that, so she will extend him a hand and invite him to work for her, as she is sure he will become the star of the arena in no time. Marnak thanks her for the generous offer but refuses as he has a duty to release the seal placed on Mother. Curiosity just stares at them and notes it's disappointing but nothing can be done if that's what he wants. However, this act he performed will allow her to use it whenever she wishes. Marnak allows her to, as he was just mimicking something he watched in the past anyway. Curiosity says it doesn't feel fair to use it for free, so she'll reward him when the time comes, which Marnak accepts. Curiosity then asks if there's anything she can help with regarding the next match, but Marnak says no as his next opponent is an evil spirit worshipper. The crowd cheers as the announcer tells everyone about the fight. This will be the Headbreaker versus the new rising star, the newbie who made everyone scream in delight, the human slaughterer. Everyone calls out his name, but some also notice he now has a Bigfoot weapon. Did he perhaps kill Bigfoot and steal his weapon? That's what everyone chooses to believe. When Marnak gets in the arena, he tells the Headbreaker that his real name must be Gam, right? He asks how Marnak found out, but Marnak doesn't answer, glad that he just confirmed it. The announcer prepares everyone for a great fight and tells them to start, but the second it starts, Marnak rips his head out of his neck. Everyone is left awestruck, including Dakia, who knew it was going to be like this. Marnak simply leaves as he enjoys putting up an act, but when it comes to this scum, he cannot hold himself. Somewhere else, the prince is mad that Carr, the LA headquarters higher up, said kidnapping Dakia again won't be possible. There are 3 reasons. First, Dakia came here under a pseudonym before and they were able to kidnap her secretly, but she came to visit the capital officially this time, so it will be hard to even get close to her. Second, this time she has companions around her that aren't easy to deal with at all. The bastard son of Enthus, Valus, a member of the Red Bear Mercenary Corps, and most importantly, the evil slaughterer Marnak. The prince sees this as a good thing, as if they just show the priest and mercenary some cash, they'll just leave, making it easy to capture her. Knair notes that the priest is unbribable, as he's well known to have killed many evil individuals or things, and it's hard to think he would betray his companion like that. It's also rumored that he and Dakia are in a secret relationship. The prince slams his fist on the table, and Carr explains that according to their informer, Dakia visits Marn's room in the dead of night every night for a while. However, only their organization knows about this, so it's fine. The prince orders him not to let the information leak no matter what, which Knair agrees with. Finally, they get to the final reason, the White Wolf and the bastard son's brother, Seti and Valus. They received info about his meeting with the princess, so if she disappears, he will surely make a move, and who knows, his father might get involved too. While the prince laments everything, Knair laughs as he's glad this bastard is getting humbled. Halton suddenly begins laughing, which Knair doesn't know why, but soon finds out as the prince slams his head on the table and tells him to listen. He can tell the queen all of the dirty deeds they've done, and he'll be safe as his father is the only Dragon King magician in the world, so he'll just have to to lay low. He orders him to bring Dakia to the Dragon Kingdom without harming her, no matter the cost or way. At a Liberato meeting, one of them notes that this newbie, the human slaughterer, is definitely after them. Since it has come to this, they will not die with no purpose and instead steal the Lord Relic from the Arena Lord Mother. They're all allowed to use their authority, but they'll have to move quickly before the priest and Queen's Knights make any moves. At the same time, somewhere else entirely, a man explains the operation to a few other masked men who are ready to capture their target no matter what. They must not fail. When the next fight is ready, everyone is ecstatic to see who will win, but just when they're about to start, a sudden explosion occurs, and the kidnappers swiftly go on the move. The evil spirit worshippers see this, and they also get moving before things become too messy to deal with. The man Marnak was supposed to fight has no clue about anything that's going on, but suddenly the Queen's Knights, led by Carmen, announce that this is a crackdown on illegal fighting. The Knights move in and apprehend anyone involved, but that's when Carmen notices the kidnappers and tells them to drop their weapons and kneel. They also chase the evil spirit worshippers. Carmen issues order after order, saying that some should follow him and some should stay at the door, but Marnak tells him not to do that as he should focus on those guys. They are after Princess Dakia. The spectators also confirm this as they've heard them say it, which makes the kidnappers disperse, but not before Carmen tells everyone to chase after them and calls in Sajida, who immediately strikes one of them. Without much choice, the kidnappers withdraw as the knights give chase. Marnak barges into EU's room and explains that the evil spirit worshippers are going to Curiosity, while her kidnappers are clashing with the royal army. While he changes, he also notes that they must leave now and hands her his mask to make it harder for them to recognize her. With that, they get out of the room to leave. But that's when a few kidnappers appear who kill one of the personnel. Marnak tells Dakia that they will attack from now on, as getting surrounded will not help their situation at all. He charges in with great speed and strikes one of the kidnappers, which allows the other one to charge Dakia, but she's a mage, so she just burns his eye and kills him. Marnak congratulates her on a job well done, and they both go to the emergency exit. While Dakia asks if Curiosity will be fine, Marnak confirms that she will be, as a demon like her who has stood in the same body for a long time is very hard to kill. Sure enough, the evil spirit worshippers are having trouble with her, but they don't give up as someone goes to the relic and tries to steal it. Since it's a demon, it must pay a price for this power. Curiosity tells them not to be happy just yet, and shows them a pile of bodies, the ones she can use as payment for her powers. With that, she summons her true power, and the evil spirit worshippers will be in a world of hurt soon enough. While Carmen deals with the kidnapper who attacked him, he laments coming here like this as he wanted to get more experience. But since his soldiers are less experienced, they are losing badly. However, Marnak and Dakia are probably out by now, so what he needs to do is protect the soldiers as he is their commander. He tells the soldiers he just saved to gather their wits and join their brothers in battle. Then he announces that they will give up on defeating the enemy, and that from now on they will focus on defending. He tells one of the soldiers that he will be the commander from now on, and he should prioritize their lives. He asks Sajida if he can still fight, who confirms that he can. Now their mission is set to kill those bastards. Marnak and Dakia are unfortunately spotted, and they are now on the run, but one of the men gets in front of them and demands that they stop. Naturally, that doesn't work, as Marnak tears him up and grabs his dagger. Some more kidnappers come from the left, so Marnak uses the dagger to break the blade of one and tells Dakia to charge in. She does just that and kills one of them, which allows the other to attack her. Again, she is a mage, so she just blows him up like any good mage would do. Marnak takes care of the rest, and fortunately, these seem to be the last ones, at least for now. Dakia hands his mask back to him, as it's quite hard to fight with it on her face. Marnak takes it back, and Mother warns them that more are coming. And sure enough, their moment of peace is broken as more men come from all directions. Dakia asks what they should do, and Marnak tells her to destroy the ceiling, as he will protect her. She does just that, which allows them both to run away. After a short while, however, they are stopped once again by the kidnappers, who warn Marnak to leave, as they have no quarrel with him, and they will actually pay him more than she paid. Marnak notes that Dakia promised her weight in gold, so can they offer more? The kidnapper notes that they naturally can. Their client will give double. Marnak is impressed by their valuation, however. They cannot give him gold that smells as nice as this one does. Dakia blushes heavily and the kidnapper thinks that he's joking. But he is cornered. Can he really win against so many people? Marnak explains that a cat does not care if there are more than 10 rats, so why should he? The kidnapper is extremely angry and tells the others to jump in. They do just that, but Marnak pulls out his chain sword and meows. Thus begins his slaughter, and he doesn't stop until every single kidnapper is dead except one, their commander. Marnak just smiles in his face and cuts his neck. Curiosity also deals with the evil spirit worshippers, as only one remains. He asks how long she was alive for, and she says that she was alive before the first son of corruption was even made. Now it's his turn to answer. He is a priest of the mending needle, right? The inside of his head is in tatters. It must be his work. With her power, she demands he answer, but instead of that, the priest just summons his lord. She also notes that from some digging she found out why they were getting the relics. They plan to descend a part of Lord on Earth and break the balance that has been maintained for so long. Mending Needle arrives in her room and tells tells her to shut it as she is nothing but a lowly demon. There are only a few kidnappers remaining, but they are hesitant to charge in when they see Marnak's viscous green aura and heavy chainsword. Still, their leader orders them to attack. Even if he is intimidating, it's just one guy against them. Marnak tells Dakia to do her thing, which she is reluctant to do but still does it, while noting that he was the one who asked for this to happen. She unleashes a mighty flame spell directly over Marnak, which engulfs the entire corridor and makes the kidnappers scream around in fear and pain. With this opportunity, Marnak begins cutting them down one after another while they still plead for help. His eyes glow green, and even if he is being burned too, he is enjoying this action thoroughly. Eventually, they both get outside and destroy the entrance to make sure that nobody will follow after them. Dakia notes that she never wants to visit this place ever again, but more importantly, is he alright? She's pretty sure he got burned too. Marnak tells her to relax, as he is mostly healed, and the hair that is burned is growing back steadily. Is she alright? Dakia, with a pretty tired smile, says that she is. Suddenly they hear a scream of pain as one of the kidnappers who has managed to escape falls dead to the ground because someone with a familiar figure has slain him. Both Marnak and Dakia feel the pressure of the person that did this, the priestess that was chasing Marnak down. He instantly pulls out his sword and charges in, while telling Dakia to not do anything no matter what happens. The priestess hilts her blade and raises it in the air. Marnak tries to charge in as swiftly and harshly as he can, but with a single swing of her sheathed blade, the priestess puts him to the ground, causing him to bleed. She asks him if he truly thought he could win against her even if she went so easy on him. It is written by fate that they meet on this day, as he is her one and only disciple after Shanto passed away. Marnak began his journey to look for the Lord relics that contained Mother's divinity. Eventually he was able to find one, but the only problem was that the Lord relic was placed inside the Flame Seek's relic storage. While he was doing some laundry across the river, he talked with Mother about the weather and air, but she wasn't in the mood to talk. He knew that she was bored, but he told her to be patient, as he is trying to think of ways to get many Lord relics. The only skill Marnak had at the time was the line which the living cannot cross, and the relic keeper in this town is a priestess at a much higher realm than he is. Much higher. While deep in thought, he did not notice the blue-haired woman that was beside him, but when he did, he thought of her as very pretty but strange, as he hasn't seen anyone come at this hour yet. That's when she said that if he has some spare time afterwards, she would like his help with something and promises to reward him nicely. Marnak immediately jumped at the offer, as he was almost done with his stuff anyways, leaving the blue-haired woman quite confused by his sudden eagerness to help. Half an hour later, Marnak fully washed and dried the sheets that the blue-haired woman wanted washed. She congratulated him for such a swift job and told him to bring the basket over here. That is when Marnak realized that the person who asked him for help with laundry was the relic keeper that was keeping him from just leaving this place. For his reward, she handed him 1 silver coin and asked if he could help with this next time too. Marnak agreed very fast, and thus they formed a strange relationship tied with laundry. She would bring over laundry once every few days, and he did her laundry diligently each time for 1 singular silver coin. However, after a few weeks passed, the priestess stopped asking him to do her laundry. She explained that she is out of money while standing on the river shore. She used up all of the money that her predecessor left behind, so she will have to do her laundry from now on. Marnak thought for a second and said that he doesn't need the money, as he will help even without it. The priestess was surprised by this and asked why he would do such a thing. Marnak explained that he has nothing to do anyway if he is done with his, and goes home right away. But he thought that even if he was an outsider in this town, she never discriminated against him like the others. Additionally, he got tons of silver coins from her, so doing this much means nothing to him. The priestess thought about his offer and wanted to accept, but not for free, so she asked if he wanted to learn swordsmanship from her. This took Marnak by surprise, and he asked what she meant. She thought that this was rejection, but he grabbed her hands and accepted, as this is an amazing offer that she put in place. At the time, Marnak only had a good physique. He actually sucked at fighting for a long time. Before he could mutter even more words of gratitude, the priestess slapped him across the face with a wooden sword, and thus began their apprentice-master relationship. In this world, there are experts, which in the game was a class for high-rank and close-range combat attackers. In this world, though, it is known as a level. An expert is someone who has fully mastered their type of martial arts, and as a result transcended their limits as human beings. There are only a handful of these experts in the entire nation, but his master Priya was one of them. Her only teaching method was sparring, something very simple yet quite primitive. After they were done with training for the day, the priestess told him to come back at the same time tomorrow and clean her house instead if she didn't have any laundry for him. Marnak agreed, but asked if this building is the storage relic, and if he could perhaps take a look inside. She was suspicious of him right off the bat, but he explained that he was just curious about how the relic looked. That's all. After some deliberating, she agreed to let him see it, as it shouldn't impose a problem, but this will be a one-time thing. Marnak thanked her lots, and when he walked inside, he thought that he didn't even know what the Lord relic with Mother's divinity looked like. Suddenly his chest began to hurt as he approached an ordained cup with tons of green energy around it. This is the Lord relic. Afterwards, the training continued with Marnak, trying his hardest to hit the priestess, but she was always one step ahead, and the training always ended with him not being able to put even a finger on her. One day she had a thing to do, so she went out. This was 3 years after they first met. Marnak had been living with the priestess and taking care of her chores while also training. He really liked that he did not have to worry about food or shelter every day, but in all of this time, he simply learned how to survive rather than learning true swordsmanship. Marnak was pretty tired of this monotone cycle, so he decided to run away as he couldn't learn much from the priestess anyways, and he also needs to get the main quest done while also avenging Shantu. With that, he opened the relic storage room and grabbed the cup with divinity in it. He successfully ran away with it, and that's how he earned the authority corruption. Giant Mother also began speaking with him then, as she had enough divinity to do so. Marnak asks how she knew he was alive all of this time, but she explains that she didn't. He recovered tons of times before, even though she beat him up every day for 3 years. So she thought that he would just grow a new head if he were to be decapitated like he was. Marnak doesn't understand her jumps in logic but lets it go. The priestess also shows him the posters she made to find him that look exactly like him. She is sure. Marnak is very shocked that she managed to find him with these ghastly things. She gets serious for a second and explains that she doesn't care what he is, but she does care about her ego, so they will train again until he becomes an expert like her. Marnak knew she was going to say something like this and asks how long it would take for him to become one. The priestess thinks about it for a second. She trained without any rest every day for about 30 years, give or take. He is quite talented and has a sturdy body, so he will only have to train for about 27 years probably. Marnak thinks that if he were to do that, all of the main quests would have disappeared. Plus, he's not a genius like she's expecting him to be. To get out of this situation, he will have to tell her something convincing, and so he does. Back in the illegal fighting building, Carmen asks one of his men how many of them remain. The man explains that there are 24 remaining, with 3 heavily injured casualties and 11 who are only slightly injured. Carmen is sure that his brother did not expect this to happen, as 16 have already died. He clenches his sword tightly and thinks that it would have been better if they brought elite forces instead. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake, and out of a wall comes a crab-looking demon ready to kill anyone who stands in its way. Carmen notices that he is a demon, but he is much smaller compared to what they saw in Erratico. Still, this is not an easy enemy to deal with. So he tells the men to get as far away as they can and calls Sajida over, as they are going to stall the beast as much as they can in order to let the soldiers run away. Sajida throws one of his spears directly into the demon's eye and charges in, allowing him to slash the beast well, while Ada is attracting its attention. Carmen moves closer and successfully cuts the demon very deeply. Seeing that it's at a disadvantage, the demon begins growing countless heads on itself, which makes both its attackers back off, as they are sure they don't want to be caught in whatever it is doing. With a loud scream and hellish scream, the demon unleashes an explosion of frost all over the area, but Carmen was able to get behind cover in time. Sajida was also able to, but the attack caught a bit of his arm, which doesn't prove to be a problem, as he breaks the ice and charges in once again with even greater rage. Saga gets on top of the beast and keeps spearing it again and again, causing it to plead for forgiveness while also calling out for mending needle. Sajida is quite confused and stops for a second, which allows the demon to pull out tons of needles from it and throw them at the corpses and people around. Those who are hit are pulled near the demon, which makes Carmen give out the order to retreat. Saga tries to, but he is suddenly struck in the leg, which makes him unable to move. Fortunately for him, Carmen saw how this happened, so he instantly cuts the thread before Sa can be pulled in. The demon starts destroying the roof over their heads, which makes Carmen muster all of his strength into deflecting the debris that would have fallen on them. This gives the demon the opportunity to strike him with tons of needles, which makes him scream out in pain as they hit him. Marnak thinks of the thing to say to his former master in order to make her drop the training proposition, but when he wants to say it, a sudden explosion occurs behind them. So Marak asks the priestess if she shouldn't go and take a look at what was happening. She explains that she came across a certain person on her way to this place. He will most certainly get there first, so she feels like she doesn't need to go, since he will almost certainly take care of it. Marnak asks who she is talking about, and the priestess notes that it's the Black Wolf Enthus Vallis. Carmen is glad to see his father, who instantly cuts down his restraints and asks if he is still able to walk. Carmen confirms that he is able, which makes Enthus say that he should go, and he will be the one to slay this monster. With a defeated expression, Carmen agrees and slowly walks away with Sajida. Suddenly, from below, a white snake comes out, another demon who asks the other demon to give the precious item back with great malice, as it seems that this item is quite important to the snake. In this watches as the two demons begin clashing with each other. However, it seems that this woman is Curiosity, who has gone into a fit of rage after the other demon took her precious item. Seeing that their fight would take a while, Anthus unleashes a mighty attack on the crab demon, which cuts part of its head off, allowing him to climb it with ease. When Curiosity spots him, she begs for him to not do anything to her as her item is going to break if he continues attacking like this. Anthus does not see someone that can be reasoned with in her. However, he only sees a demon who is ready to destroy the city he swore to protect. He cuts two of Curiosity's heads cleanly and thinks that with this final one, everything will come to an end. Curiosity thinks that she was extremely unlucky, as if it wasn't for this bastard of a human, she could have gotten her precious item back. Does she really need to give it up and retreat to save herself? All she would need is a little bit of help, maybe from the priest of corruption. Out of nowhere, the priest disappears and attacks Anthus, which comes as a pleasant surprise to Curiosity. They began exchanging blow after blow on the ground, and Anthus notices just how much murderous energy this woman has. He tries to hit with greater strength, but this only causes both of them to send each other back, and Anthus is sent into a wall. After the dust clears, he asks her why she's doing something like this. The priestess says that she's just curious about him, since he is apparently the best swordsman of the northern region, or so everyone says. And thus notes that if this is all she wants, they can fight at a later date, as now he must protect the capital and its residents from these beasts. The priestess mocks him, saying it seems that his best talent is not his swordsmanship, but his non-stop yapping. Seeing that this woman will not see reason, he gets serious, which makes her get serious too. The moment they clash, the entire area explodes with force. Curiosity can only watch as these two swordmasters have a go at each other's necks. But suddenly Marnak, now dressed in his arena attire, appears and asks what he should do. She thanks him from the bottom of her heart for being here, but Marnak doesn't need thanks. He only needs orders. While crying, Curiosity explains that the monster she was fighting has the Lord Relic that he stole from her. There is something within the Lord Relic that her daughter has that is all she wants. He can have the rest. Marnak attempts to find the Lord Relic inside the demon, but it is mixed with tons of other divinities, so even if he cuts it thousands of times, it will be hard to find the exact location of the Lord Relic. He tells this to Curiosity, but she believes in him. She believes that he can find her precious item. Even with such trust, Marnak thinks that it will be hard, but suddenly Mother appears in front of him, as apparently she wants to help in the search. As Mother transforms into her human form, she confidently says that she can help with the search even in this form, but Marnak says that it's too dangerous for her to be like this. She still insists that she help this way, so he picks her up as he can't really refuse her, but if things get too dangerous, she must return to a hand instantly as he can't risk her well-being. Curiosity screams that she will help too, as she starts to surround the monster with her body, who even without a head tries to retaliate as it's still alive and kicking. Marnak descends down from it and holds himself in place with the sword, telling Mother that she should hold on tight, as this will certainly be a bumpy ride. As he holds on, however, a small fleshy creature appears and tries to get to him, but he cuts it in half with ease. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only creature, as countless started appearing from the demon's body, attempting to protect their host. Seeing that it has come to this, Marnak activates his text of corruption, and as the creatures rush in, Marnak moves through all of them with a single punch, killing them instantly. This move also gives Mother the opportunity to find the item, as she noticed that it is near the head that the demon was supposed to have. Marnak congratulates and notes that he would pat her head for how well she did, but he will hold back since more beasts are attacking them right now. He takes care of one by throwing his sword in its head, and then tells Curiosity that they found it. The item is near the cut on the neck. She thanks them for finding it so fast and says that she will eat everything except his neck. She starts doing just that while mocking the man-made demon, as he is nothing more than a worshipper of a loser from heaven, and he dared to look down on her like this. As Marnak continues to run along the demon, he eventually finds where the item is hidden with the guidance of Mother, so he starts digging for it in the demon's body until eventually he finds it, the small lockbox. He also notices that there are no hands around here, or rather they can't get to this place. Is it because of this Lord Relic, or is it something else? Mother tells him to hurry up as they don't have the time to dilly-dally like this, which Marnak agrees with. So he tells Curiosity that they got the item, which she thanks them for a lot. She can't thank them enough, honestly, but she also says that they should get down from there as she will finish this. Marnak tells Mother to transform back into a hand, which she does, allowing Marnak to just bolt out of there within a second. Curiosity grits her teeth and screams at the skies for Mending Needle. He is hiding in the heavens like a cowardly but she promises not even when she draws her last breath, she will never ever respect him for what he did today. She will have her revenge. As she starts eating the demon, Marnak jumps away and lands just in time to see that the backups have arrived, ready to kill anything that's not human shaped. That's when they also see the demon Curiosity eating the other demonic being. Marnak hides himself as getting questioned right now would be even worse, since he can't explain everything to them. The priestess continues to fight Anthus with their attacks breaking the ground every time they clash, but when she notices that Marnak has left, she just backs away and stands still, making Anthus ask what she's doing. As she sighs, she says that now he can do whatever he wants to do, as the reason they were fighting in the first place got away safely. Anthus asks what she's yapping about, but knows that this woman is too enigmatic to get a straight answer, and notes that she will have to take responsibility for what she did today. The priestess asks how that is, as she doesn't think that she would ever lose to someone like him. One of Enthus's men brings him his molar tooth sword, and Enthus orders him to arrest the priestess in front of him as respectfully as possible. She is an expert, so he shouldn't provoke her in any way if he wants to guarantee that his head will still be attached to his body. The soldier immediately agrees, and sheepishly walks up to the priestess, while noting that he needs to arrest her because he was ordered to do so she should please cooperate calmly, as he promises he won't tie her too tightly. The priestess tells him to wait and starts rummaging through her pockets, eventually finding what she was looking for, a paper. She gives it to the soldier, who is immediately shocked by the contents. The priestess apologizes to him as she seems to have given him a drawing of her cute disciple as he was looking for him previously. Before the guard can even wonder who that man is, the priestess pulls out the real thing she wanted to give him, a paper that says no matter what the owner of the document does, the kingdom cannot make them take responsibility. The man asks if this is even real, but the priestess says that she wouldn't have shown it to him if it was fake. It even has the stamp to prove it's genuine. So the man asks where she got this, and she remembers that she killed an evil cult worshipper a long time ago and got it from the king at the time, as she was apparently the savior of his kingdom, so he handed her this as a reward. With that, she believes that she can be on her merry way as she has some places to be and people to meet. Marnet continues to run through the building corridors, hoping to get out soon enough, but that's when Curiosity jumps on him and thanks him again and again for what he did. She would like to thank him even further, but before she can go any further, Mother gets in the way and looks at Curiosity with a tear in her eye. Because of this, Curiosity starts hugging her instead, and continues to do so until Mother is nearly out of breath from her constant hugs. Curiosity drags them to the dining hall where Mother sits slumped, but Curiosity comes over with some warm tea and cookies for them, with Mother clearly wanting some for herself. As Mother takes a bite of one of the cookies, she falls into cookie heaven and starts chowing down all of them in quick succession. Curiosity asks what she said, with Marnek noting that she's just saying they are very nice. It might also be too late to give her this, but here's the box she wanted. Curiosity thanks them once again. She knows that she thanked them a lot, but she really means it. Marnak asks where her daughter is, with Curiosity saying that she's been dead for a long time now. However, he doesn't need to feel bad about it as her daughter was only human and lived during the ancient empire era. It would have been more strange if she were alive. Marnak asks about her husband, but Curiosity says she doesn't have one, as when she possessed this body, she was already pregnant with her child. She slowly opens the box, telling them that she doesn't open it just for everyone. Inside is a frame drawing of Curiosity and some other trinkets scattered about. Demons usually try to avoid having children with the bodies they possess, as their goal in life is to enjoy the world to the fullest before eventually leaving. But when one brings a child into this world, they can't help but love them unconditionally and grow attached. But that attachment soon turns into sorrow. The sorrow becomes too large, and since they occupy bodies to feel good, they would rather avoid that. Marnak asks her why she gave birth to that child then, but of course, she was just curious. It's not that unusual though, as other demons tend to do it too, at least once. However, she was able to give birth to her beautiful, amazing daughter Silent. He certainly doesn't know this, but the sword that he brought with him the first time they met, the one with the teeth, was made by her daughter, even though she doesn't really want to brag about it. Marnak is extremely surprised by this, and Curiosity asks him to bring it out, as she will show him something quite interesting. He does just that, and Curiosity starts saying some strange words, which eventually activate the sword, and it starts displaying a message. Her forever lovely mother Alicia, and the sixth creation of the Empire's best blacksmith Silent. Marnak asks if there are other features hidden in this sword, but Curiosity wouldn't know where to look. However, it's her daughter that made it, so it might actually just be interconnected with her other creations. She always loved creating interesting stuff, even if it was sometimes quite outlandish. Marnak asks if she also doesn't want this sword since it was made by her daughter, but Curiosity says that she doesn't, as what matters to her most is what her daughter gave to her personally, the other stuff she made. She made hoping that other people would use it, and even if she were to pick up every item of hers, she wouldn't even use them since she would be too afraid to break them. She knows better than anyone that is not what her daughter would have wanted for her creations. Mother starts tugging at Marn's robe and says something, making Curiosity ask what she needs. Marnak explains that she wants more of the cookies she served them, so Curiosity tells Mother if she goes to the left of the kitchen in the second drawer, there's plenty of cookies. She can go ahead and take as many as she wants. As she walks to the kitchen, Curiosity notices that she's kind of cute, but now she doesn't know how to express her gratitude to him. Does he perhaps want to do something fun? She promises that she can give him a really nice treatment. Marnak immediately refuses and tells her to not speak those words in front of Mother, as she just might bring the whole town down. Curiosity says that it's a shame, but he can change his mind anytime, as she really isn't joking about it. As Mother comes in, Curiosity wonders what to reward them with. She puts the cookies down and starts speaking through Marnak's translation. If she's that thankful, they should give them enough gold coins to match the numbers of cookies that she has. Curiosity likes how realistic she is. But unfortunately, money will be tight as it will take a bit to repair the underground arena as well as the broken eye. She also doesn't like to just give out money to her saviors as that disappears too fast, so she must find something special to give them. At first, she thought of joining them in their adventures, but she doesn't enjoy fighting much, and she is certain that blood will follow in his wake, as it's done up until now. That's when she remembers that she had something, so she runs up to get it. As she does so, Mother asks Marnak if she can pack more of these cookies, with Marnak noting that he will ask. Curiosity gets back and gives them a brown pouch, which, once Marnak opens, reveals to be a key to the ancient ruins. She thinks that it's a suitable reward for them, and more than anything, that ruin also contains one of her daughter's creations. After everything is set, Curiosity sees them out with a bag containing cookies and other things that she decided to throw in. Marnak and Mother thank her for the gifts, with Marnak asking if they will be seeing each other again. Curiosity says that she played around a little too much. Her eye is rather dysfunctional right now, so she will need to be out of the capital for a while at least. Marnak sees this as a goodbye, so he tells her to be well, but before he leaves, Curiosity tells him to continue to be good to the Mother of Corruption. He should keep doing what he's been doing all of this time, so that Mother can keep that smile on her face. Marnak turns away and says that he would have done that even without her telling him. As they leave, Curiosity thinks that the item that is in the ruins will be quite helpful to them, and in the case that the Mother of Corruption gets all of her power back, the entities in heaven, especially that rat bastard that stole her daughter's gift-mending needle, will suffer for what they have done. Dakia is glad to see Marnak well, with him noting that everything has been solved rather peacefully, but has the priestess been around here to look for him perhaps? Dakia says that she hasn't. She only got a message from Carmen, and now they are here. Marnak asks how Carmen and Sajida are doing, so she explains that they are not critically injured, but treatment doesn't seem to be going that smoothly either from what she heard. Since he is already here, Marnak decides to go and see how they are doing with his own eyes. Carmen is very glad to see him alive and kicking. Marnak is also glad that he's lively, but he notes that an injury like this wouldn't just make him all sad as he only had a few broken bones and bruises to fix. Nothing a priest can't fix. The real problem in all of this is Sajida, as he fought too, and he got the brunt of it. Sajida says that it's nothing much. He also just needs a healing priest, as he didn't get that bad. Marnak asks him to show his ankle a bit, and when he does, he finds exactly what he expected, a mix of different evil lord divinities. This is why the priest couldn't use his powers on them. He asks Mother if she could deal with this, which she confirms, but only if she absorbs the divinity from the relic they got. Marak thinks they can't do that here since it would expose it, so they really need to go to the ruins and do it there. It's pretty isolated and the divinity won't be felt at all. Carmen tells him not to worry, as apparently the powers inside of them are weakening day by day, although he said that it would take some time to fully heal. Marnak asks how long it will take with Carmen's girlfriend, explaining that it could take months or years, but that's in Carmen's case only as Sajida is having it much worse. They are looking for ways to get rid of it though, so it won't last that long. Carmen apologizes, as they won't be able to continue escorting Dakia in such states. She tells them to not worry about it and focus on getting better as fast as they can. Marnak says that since they are in this discussion, him and Dakia will be gone for a few days, as he thought of a way to expel the powers from them. She asks what he means, but he tells her to roll with it. Carmen thanks him as he really is the best, even though he doesn't like to bother him that much. Anyway, they also have to talk about something in private. He gives his girlfriend a wink, making her drag Dakia away. Carmen explains that there is no woman with a larger heart than Dakia, so he should take this as an opportunity to grow closer, as it seems that she also likes him. Sajida says that he thought they were already together, but Marnak says there's nothing going on between them, with Mother screaming at him constantly. Carmen says that it's his chance then, as she's a really good woman. As they walk to the tavern, Dakia says that she's excited for this adventure, even though it will be pretty dangerous to go with only the both of them, but she trusts that he will protect her if anything arises. When they get into the tavern, the priestess is waiting for them and tells Marnak to sit, as she has been waiting for quite a while already. Marnak does just that, but sits on the other side, which angers her a bit. Marnak notes that she came later than expected, but she explains that it's because the Northern Kingdom Queen has asked her for a favor. There are some evil lord worshippers going wild in the northern capital region, so she asked her to get rid of them. Naturally, he will come with, so he should go and pack his bags. With a rather powerful tone, Marnak says that he will not be coming with her, as that's the opposite of his direction, and there's something he must do there no matter what. The priestess is extremely sad now, as she went through all of that shame and effort to fulfill what he asked of her. Did she hear him wrongly, perhaps? Marnak says that he meant what he said, with the priestess immediately crying as she can't believe that she has done something like this to her. Marnak tells her to stop capping, as he knows now that she can just cry on command whenever she wants. The priestess then chooses to pick up her sword, while saying that a woman's tears are her weapons. Marnak tells her to put both hands on the table now, as if she tries to knock him out and drag drag him there, he will be very mad with her. Rather reluctantly, she throws her sword away and says that she didn't want to do something like that, but Marnak knows she most definitely wanted to do that. Marnak says that he can't really come with her at the moment, but once he has completed his objective, he will return to her, he promises. The priestess thinks about it for a bit, but accepts his proposal as she is quite benevolent, so he can go back and do his own thing. But that is only if he's strong enough to not get beaten up by others. She picks up her sword while noting that the inn has a nice backyard perfect for a light spar, so he should hurry up and get his sword ready. When Marnak arrives in the backyard, the priestess says that the conditions are simple. She will use the amount of strength that he has, so he should try and slaughter her with the best of his abilities. Marnak gets into position, and before the priestess can say go, he immediately tries to attack her, something which apparently she also used to do. They give each other a smile before the priestess beckons him forward, making Marnak continue to attack again and again, but his attacks just don't go through as she deflects all of them with perfect tempo. She asks him what the most important factor in becoming an expert is, with him replying that it's swordsmanship honed to reach the peak and a toned body. She explains that those are just the basic requirements. If that's all it took, she wouldn't have become one after picking up the sword only for 5 years. Marnak says that she can be quite arrogant at times, but she says that it's just the truth. Anyway, the most important thing for an expert is the mind, as they need to have the ability to imbue any sword with their will. Only then will the impossible become possible for him. In order to become an expert, he needs to have his mind completely devoid of others. However, he seems to be quite dependent on something. Just what is it? Marnak can't answer as he can't talk about Mother, and that each time he rises from the dead, his dependency on that authority grows more and more. The priestess notes that he must know what she's talking about with him, saying that he does. She notes that she was glad at first when she found him, but her heart turned cold when they clashed blades. Marnak asks if that means he's far from being an expert, but she says that it's more like she has a mother's heart, as she feels like the son she raised got stolen by some snake woman. Marnak notes that this is pretty specific even for her. She explains that as long as he's dependent like that, she won't force him into anything, but he should at least accept this. This is an ancient relic ring that she got from the Flame Sect. The person with the black ring will always know where the other one is approximately. Marnak accepts her gift and then asks how she's an expert and also a priestess if that's the case. She explains that being a priestess doesn't come from just faith. It is more like one becomes a priest because they were given authority to do so. Even experts see lords as an object more than anything. They are not swayed by simple things like emotions. That is precisely why she took him in as a disciple, even though she notices that he uses evil lord divinity. That is why he must become an expert too, as he will be able to differentiate between his real emotions and the ones that Lord planted inside of him. Marnak is surprised that she knew all this time, but if that's the case, why doesn't she just take someone else as a disciple who listens more and stays by her side at all times? The priestess says it's easy. She was raised to become the sword of the Flame Sect. She was all one without realizing. Then she met him, and the happiness she felt when they were together was much more than what she felt throughout her entire life. After she lost him, her sadness became even greater, so she can no longer go back to those sad days without him, because he is important to her. He brings only happiness to her. Back at the Dragon Prince's meeting, his servant is getting attacked by kidnappers who think it's his fault they lost the princess. He continues to run while praying for someone to save him. If they do, he'll even kiss their ass if needed. Suddenly, an explosion occurs with the Dragon Prince coming to save him. He asks if the prince came for that reason, with the prince wondering why he would be here if that isn't the case. He tells the servant to follow now as they need to get moving. The servant is now very happy, noting that he will serve him all his life, but the prince has heard what he said about kissing ass, so he shouldn't even think of doing something like that to him, or else he'll rip him in two. DY and Marnak arrive at the coordinates of the ruins, but it seems it's already encamped by some people. Dakia suggests she distracts them with fire, but Marnak tells her not to as she might burn the whole forest down. He will try talking with them first, but she should be prepared to intervene with magic. Mar goes up to the guards who immediately prepare to fight, but he explains he's a priest of preservation, asked to take care of some mountain bandits in this area. The guard says he must relinquish his weapon if he wants to enter, but Maret can't do that until he identifies them as bandits or not. The guard tells him to buzz off, but Merak notices his manner of speaking and realizes he must be a mage. He demands someone more reasonable, which angers the mage who charges in, but Marnak just gives him one head thud and puts him to the ground. Dakia notices he's being attacked and summons water while also starting to summon lightning to zap everyone. She starts charging up her attack similar to a certain Super Saiyan, as he was just about to fight everyone. Suddenly, a large horned woman comes out of the camp and thanks the lords for the water as they haven't had some in a while, but that's when she notices the two strangers standing there. Marnak introduces himself and Dakia. The woman introduces herself as Fos Serena, the captain of the Royal Archaeology team. This meeting is a blessing though, as their mages aren't proficient at water magic, so she's really grateful they made some water. She apologizes for that and she would have fired him on the spot if he wasn't a damn mage. Anyway, how did they find this place, as the excavations are always kept top secret? Marnak says they found the place using a key. Foe Serena is excited and asks if she can come with, but Marnak says it isn't possible. Foe Serena rephrases she doesn't want to go in right away. After he's done getting whatever he needs, she would love to have the key afterwards. Marnak doesn't answer, but Foe Serena asks what he knows about the ruins. Marnak says he knows as much as the average person. She explains that the ruins can be categorized in two. One is isolated and can only be reached by key, while the other is buried underground. The goal of the excavation team is to excavate the latter. They're just curious about the relationship between the ruins and the items inside. With that, Marnak agrees to let them have the key, but they'll be tired after they get out, so he wants some shelter at least. Fozen promises them this, but Marnak wonders if this won't create problems with their headquarters. Fozen says he has nothing to worry about, as this is all there is of the archaeology team. Marnak asks why they are so few, and Foseren notes they don't bring in money since they don't find relics often, so they don't get much sponsorship. After their talk, Dakia uses the key to open the portal with others watching intently. Once they enter, they arrive in a very beautiful place with quite a nice view. Now that he's alone, Marnak can use the divinity to create a new authority. Mother starts consuming the divinity from the relic and from their storage to create a weapon. Marnak is very glad to have this, as this sword corrupts everything it touches no matter what, but unfortunately, this seems to affect him too, as his arm falls right off. Dakia is quite worried about Marn's hand, but he says it will heal pretty soon even if it doesn't look like that now. Suddenly, Mother appears in a more grown form and hugs Marnak as she hates seeing him injured. He's quite surprised by her growth spurt, but she's more concerned about his hand as she asks if it hurts. Marnak tells her it's fine, and that's when Dakia comes up with a brilliant idea for Mother to wield the sword. Considering she's grown, she must be pretty agile, and her hand won't be injured since it's her own divinity being used. Marnak is concerned about her being injured, but Mother insists she do it, so Marnak says they should try it out and see if it works. He summons the blade, and with confidence in her eyes, Mother grabs it, but it starts hurting her, so she instantly throws it on the ground. In panic, she starts crying, with Marnak immediately comforting her, saying she shouldn't blame herself and he'll always be there for her. Dakia finds this strange, as she is the mother of corruption, so how did she get hurt by her own authority? Mother thinks she's trying to embarrass her, so she spouts out a new word. Mark suggests it's because she hasn't gotten all of her divinity back, but anyway, he's very glad she can say a new word now. She shouldn't worry about not being able to hold the blade too much, as her being here is more than enough for him. Dakia interrupts their talk by saying both their hands seem healed, so they should go inside. Marnak agrees and asks Mother to summon the corruption giant, which comes out of a giant portal ready to rumble. Marnak greets him, hoping he has been well, making the giant scream out as he stretches his muscles. Marnak then asks him to hold the blade for a second, which the giant does, but soon enough he starts feeling the corruption blade damaging him, and sure enough, his hand falls off too. The giant is kind of mad at Marnak for making him do this. Marnak apologizes but says they should be entering the ruins now. The giant goes first and rampages around everywhere, with Dakia wondering what they should be doing. Marnak tells her to just observe, as neither of them have the ability to detect traps, so they should let the giant rampage about, as it will clear out any traps. As they're fighting, both Marnak and the giant feel a new presence, another stone golem. Dakia asks if she should use her magic, but Marnak tells her to hold off for now, since giants are pretty resistant to magic. The giant notices that the golem is similar to the ones that beat him up before, so he's fueled by his thirst for revenge and charges in. Both the giant and the golem seem evenly matched, with Mother cheering him on to boost his fighting abilities. After doing that, she goes next to Marnak and picks up the bead she couldn't process before, presumably to try again. Sure enough, she does just that and manages to get divinity from it, which is quite a lot. Marnak picks her up and says that she's as strong as a lordess now that she consumed that tangled up bead of divinity all at once. She's truly amazing. Dakia just watches him throwing Mother around, noting that they get along quite well. Perhaps one day they can get along that well too. Marnak is puzzled by this, as he thought they were already like this. Was he wrong? She starts blushing and says that it's not like that, with Marnak thinking that the moment he calls for her she comes, so she is quite useful. Eventually the giant overcomes his great enemy and celebrates by crushing its head in the air. Marnak thinks that he'll use the 10-0 divinity to reinforce authority depending on the situation. He can't have an authority like the Sword of Corruption just yet, as it will be useless in an urgent situation. He tells everyone that they should go and asks Mother to turn back into a hand, as it's safer that way. As they walk through the strange hallway, the giant sees something in front of him but can only do that much, as he's pushed away instantly by what seems to be a robot. Marnak grabs Dakia to protect her from the rubble and dust, which also allows him to look at their opponent, who seems to be charging up something. Marnak seems to know what this is, and activates the text of corruption. He tells Dakia to hold on tight as he'll be running at top speed. The giant continues to fight the mecha without relenting. Dakia asks Marnak if it's okay for them to leave the giant behind, but Marnak knows he'll be fine. He'll just come back on his own once he stalls enough time for them. Eventually, they make it to a large metallic door which suddenly opens and reveals a bunch of robot soldiers all equipped with steel blades. They immediately charge the group, with Marnak revving up his sword and telling Dakia to take the right side while he takes the left. After their fight, as Marnak is staring at the last robot, Dakia asks if she was useful, which Marnak confirms, but adds that she used a lot of magic today. Should they take a rest? She tries to say that she can still fight, but is interrupted by the arrival of the mecha, which immediately points its gun at them. Marnak notices and drags Dakia away to safety as the mech unleashes a hail of bullets until eventually running out of ammo. Marnak uses this opportunity to run away, but then notices that the bullet casings are being dragged back by the mecha, which has a powerful magnet in its other hand. Dakia asks what they should do, and Marnak asks if she can hit the mech's weapon with her magic, preferably with an explosive spell. She notes that she can, which Marnak is pleased to hear, but she should fire when the mech is about to fire again. With that, they patiently wait for the mech to decide when to shoot, and when it does, Marnak screams at Dakia to do it, which she does, sending a giant fireball at the mech's arm and interrupting its aim. Marnak notes that she's got this and starts running away, as Dakia continues to blast the mecha with her fireballs, but he knows she probably doesn't have that much mana left. They need to find an exit fast. Eventually, they make it to a gold-laden door which Marnak desperately tries to kick open, but it doesn't budge at all. He realizes they don't have a lot of time to waste. He puts Dakia down and explains that this must be the door they need to go through, so he'll try to inspect it as fast as he can since the mecha will certainly catch up to them in no time. He tries to use his chainsword to cut the door open, which seems to work, but the door suddenly heals itself and a message pops up in his head. No shortcuts. Marnak thinks that they're forced to fight that mechanical monstrosity, but how is he supposed to take on a towering metal giant? He asks Dakia for one last push, and then he'll take care of the rest, he promises. As the mecha pulls its bullets back, Marnak throws his sword at it to make it stop and tells Dakia to hit it. She starts chanting and lets out one final large attack which makes her fall to the ground, meaning that Marnak is the only one left to fight, since there's no time for anything else. He uses the sword of corruption to try and pierce the mech, but the corruption proves to be too fast, so he tries to use his other hand to push it. His strength starts leaving him as this hand too suffers the same fate. That's when a glimmer of hope appears as Mother transforms back into her human form and pushes the sword for Marnak, which eventually destroys the mecha, with Dakia being conscious enough to notice this. Marnak falls to the ground, making Mother jump for him and try to take hold of him. Eventually, Marnak wakes up with a scream, asking Mother if she's alright. She's right beside him and notes that she's doing fine, which Marnak is very thankful for. She also explains that she took it upon herself to move him and Dakia to a safe place. But did he see how cool she was? Marnak confirms that she was very cool. If it weren't for her valiant push, they couldn't have defeated that mech. Dakia wakes up and asks if she's dead, with Marnak confirming that she is in fact not, but can she walk now? Dakia says that she can since she got a lot of rest, but asks where they are now. Marnak notes that they have reached their destination, with the door asking them one simple question: what is eternally lovely? Dakia is quite puzzled, but Marnak already knows the answer, which is to be expected from a mother-daughter duo. The answer is Aisha, the real name of her mother. The door opens, and a hologram jumps in front of them, introducing itself as the best blacksmith in the Empire, Cylon, or a hologram to be precise. Marnak is quite surprised. First, they faced a robot with a Gatling gun, and now they're dealing with a hologram. Just what kind of stuff was going on in the ancient empire? The hologram repeats itself, which Marnak thinks is because they kept standing in the same place. That is proven to be true, as Cylon says that they have managed to get through the Guardian she created. Quite amazing. Dakia asks Marnak how he knew the answer to that riddle from before, which the hologram answers for her. She asked because they entered with the key left behind by her mother, but if they didn't know at least her name, she would have had no reason to spare them. Marnak tells Dakia that it would have been quite awful if they got the name wrong. Cylon says that it was probably very hard to get here, so they should go inside and rest as they deserve it. After Marnak takes a bath, he wipes down Mother's hand with some cloth, until Dakia comes around and says that the bathhouse in this place is really nice, as all of her past exhaustion has washed off. Marnak notes that he was refreshed too. Did she have a good time inside though? Dakia confirms that she did. She has never seen those types of contraptions before, but there were detailed explanations for each written in the ancient language, which also allowed her to wash her clothes while taking a relaxing bath. The grudge she had against Selen before has waned by at least half considering how nice this place is. She instantly pops up when she hears her name and asks if they rested well. Anyway, she brought the things they dropped on the way here, one of them being the ring that the priestess gave to Marnak, something that she would have been very mad about if she knew that he lost it. After they are done getting the items, she tells them to follow as she will be handing over the item they are after. They are all guided to a beautiful hallway that is quite large too. Silent asks who among the two will take her number one item, but that's when Mother reveals herself and says that she is also here. Silent is surprised by this and asks which one will pick up the item. Marnak notes that it will be him, which Silent takes note of, but it would be unhomely to just send the other two away empty-handed, so they should follow as she will create what they want as a reward. With that, she splits herself in 3 holograms, with Marnak following the one in the middle, and eventually getting to the best piece Silent made that goes on his dominant hand. Marnak wears it, and it immediately adjusts to his hand, but then it starts to emit energy as something is written on it. Silent notes that it's just registering him as a user. All he needs to do now is yell, "Activate," and press the button. Marnak is quite embarrassed by this, but does it, making the item grow on his body and transform into a mysterious robotic appendage. Silent can't believe that he really yelled, as all he needed to do is press the button. What a buffoon! She apologized for laughing so much. She will explain how it works in return. The hallway suddenly opens up even more, and Cylon tells him to hold out his right fist. This item is basically reading his mind, so all that he must do is imagine a small cannon being fired from that hand. Marnak does just that, and a cannon comes out of his hand, which immediately shoots, creating a large explosion. She explains that the special cannon is not great at long ranges, but does exceptionally well in short ranges, and the energy used by it is the mana all around, so it recharges on its own. He can charge up to 3 attacks at once, which takes 20 minutes to complete. She also spouts out a lot of useless exposition which confuses Marnak, but she comes around to something interesting. He should combine any other numbered items he has as something interesting will happen. Marnak pulls out his chainsword, and sure enough, number 1 begins engulfing it in some strange miasma before eating it completely, giving him 2 new options. The first one seems to be to summon the blade, but the second one is actually a hidden blade of sorts. Silent notes that this item is her life's work, her final effort to combine divinity and mana into one. Marnak agrees that it is truly amazing, which she knows already, but she also tells him that it's made out of immortali, so it's pretty sturdy, as even if it breaks, it will be able to regenerate. Marnak immediately thinks about the corruption blade, so he pulls it out and holds it with his transformed arm, but after a while it starts to do something and rusts the hand away. As soon as the rusting begins, Marnak gets notified that he has 70 seconds until restoration is no longer possible. He is surprised at that Amantha will have enough time even after defeating a giant like the one from earlier. With this, he now should be able to use the Sword of Corruption pretty efficiently. Dakia also gets back from her shopping, asking what he got. Marnak notes that he just got a bracelet that turns into armor, but what did she get? She flares up her hair and asks him to guess, with Marnak noting that it must be that thing on her neck. Dakia confirms as Suchit helps her with controlling mana just like the ring she had, but it does not have a limit, which is amazing. Additionally, she can also form it into a mask, which she finds pretty stylish. Marnak is glad that she found something so useful, but suddenly Mother pulls his clothes, making him ask if she did not like her reward. She asks for his left hand, which he gives, only for Mother to put a ring on it. They can identify each other's locations with it, and it can also protect them once a day if needed. Marnak knows that she was probably jealous of the ring that his master gave him, which is pretty funny, but he still thanks her and parades her around. Silent also appears and asks what they will do now that they have gotten their rewards. They can either leave now or stay a little while longer. Marnak asks Dakia what they should do, who is fine with leaving the bath they took. Really invigorated her after all. Marnak feels the same, so they choose to leave. Silent is fine with that, but she has a condition. The key they used to get in, she would like to have it. Dakia asks what they should do, which Marnak ponders. They did promise that archaeologist the key, but he also does not want to end up on Silent's bad side, so it's probably best to just give it to her. Dakia does just so, which Silent is thankful for. With that, it's time to say goodbye. Suddenly, a hand appears out of the wall and pushes both Marnak and Dakia through a portal. Before doing so completely, Silent tells Marnak that if he collects all 10 numbered pieces, something very interesting will occur, so he should do his best. The hand promptly pushes them out, which Marnak did not expect, but it certainly is pretty funny. Dakia is amazed that she just created a portal like it was nothing, but then she suddenly smells something, which is blood. Marnak confirms her suspicion and takes off his robe. He intends to give those people a pretty warm welcome as the human slaughterer. Inside the cave, Focina and 2 subordinates are running away from a pretty large number of giant bats. She recognizes this as an ambush, but suddenly one of the subordinates falls to the ground, becoming prey to the bats. Before they can get to him, she smashes one of them with her hammer and asks where that Thrawn bastard is. One of the subordinates told her that he was at the very front of the group he's probably still running. running. She orders the subordinate to tell him that he better dig with his magic like his life depends on it, because it does. The subordinate does not wish to leave her alone, but she screams at them to relay the message. With them out of the way, she decides to eradicate the bats and see her job through. She begins pummeling the bats one after another, leaving only their corpses behind. A stranger follows her trail of bodies, amazed at what a single-horned creature can do. The person next to him doesn't care about Thaiths, more worried about his bats. They should just leave before they all die. Focina appears behind them and asks who said they can leave. But at the same time, a woman appears behind her, asking why they need permission from her. Focina was caught by surprise, yet she still finds time to strike, only for the woman to catch it. She really should be careful about throwing that thing around, she might have gotten hurt. Does she not know? And Focina notes that she did to hurt her and charges a powerful strike. The bald stranger snaps his fingers before she can do anything, and something dark envelops Focina, restricting all of her movements and leaving her at their mercy. The bald man asks where the relic is, but Focina really doesn't know. The woman looks at their beastmaster only to see him being cut up by a mysterious person with a blade that's itching for more flesh to rend. The bald man immediately tries to grasp him too, but using text of corruption, the dark tendrils don't dare approach. He cuts through them like butter. The woman realizes he's using divinity, but it's already too late as Marnak smashes her into tiny rocks. He turns around to the bald stranger, demanding to know how many of them are here. The bald man knows he's in danger, so he summons a bunch of energy to crush the man in front of him, and it seems he has succeeded. He smiles at his achievement, but suddenly the chain blade begins to rip through the flesh of his summon, and Marnak comes out looking like a true slasher ready to take another life. One day from the skies high above, 4 stars fell into the earth. The angels also descended, calling for a lord war. They called all those who follow heaven's will to take down the fallen lords, and they would guide them. This was the will of Lord. The 4 stars gathered warriors who would carry their will, with the strongest asking if they had the homage needed to serve the fallen lords. The only homage the stars asked for was murder. They shall not doubt, they shall never question, and they will do as they are told. This was all surely for their sake. The stars that descended named the group of warriors they gathered, Annihilation Crusade. Marnak once again asks how many of them are there, but the bald stranger doesn't say any words and attempts to unleash another ability. His efforts are short-lived, as Marnak immediately grabs him and asks again. The man asks why he should answer, and Marnak gives him a reason by punching him hard. He relents. There's only one other team than them. If he would let him go, he would show him. Marnak just snaps his neck. He doesn't do business with these kinds of people after all. The stone woman from before seems to have survived his attack, now ready to hit Marnak back for what he did. But that's when she notices the blade that has been fixed in her chest long ago. She begins to feel the effect of it as her skin slowly melts, and Marnak only needs to walk through her in order to disintegrate her. He asks Focina where his next fight is, but she asks to be picked up first. That would be nice, right? He does just that, making Focina think that he isn't all bad, but he certainly is strange. She doesn't know who he is, but could he perhaps help her? Marnak introduces himself with a straight face as the human slaughterer, which Focina is pretty freaked out by. However, seeing his body, she notes that if he helps her, she will do whatever he wants. Marnak suddenly feels something on his abdomen, that being Focina's hand, who just could not help herself. Marnak plays his role, and tells her to lead him to the pigs that need slaughtering if she does not need to be slaughtered herself. Focina agrees and asks for his help again, but he's not helping her because he's kind. He just wants to murder people. Before leaving, however, he consumes the body of the bald man, but there is nothing left to consume of the stone woman. In the future, he will have to not use that on targets, which he can get a lot of divinity out of. He crouches down to give Focina a piggyback ride. He's going to run fast and she won't be able to keep up. After all, if she doesn't want to die, she better guide him the right way. Focina just seems happy to do it, making Marnak even madder. He doesn't do this for her, he just wants things to kill. As Marnak runs, Dakia looks at him from behind and then chooses to follow. After they get far enough, Thrawn tries his best to cut through the hard stone, the others encouraging him by saying that their captain is waiting for them. Suddenly they all see that the bats have returned, making Thrawn push even harder than ever before. This proves to be quite effective as they have made a hole, but it's not enough, and they must keep digging. They get inside just in time, with Thon using his magic to seal the way back just as a bat slips its head through, decapitating it. Thon is glad that they survived, but it was thanks to Focina's sacrifice, whom he will never forget and hopes to pay back one day. Unbeknownst to him, she is having the time of her life. The group that was chasing after the archaeologists come around to the hole, with one of them wondering why they are so hard to catch. The leader notes that they are stronger than expected, but the other team member wonders if they really have the relic. The leader tells her to not even doubt it, as the high-ups can track down relics. This is Jamal, but the other woman notes that this is not the only problem they have now. Jamal knows that they cannot just look for the relic everywhere. She heard rumors that the other guys already used such a relic to create a perfect incarnation. The leader asks what's it to them, but both women say that they can do something similar, perhaps even bigger. The leader understands, but they should really keep chasing down the archaeologist right now, who uses her magic to split the rocks into two, making them fall. Before they can get going, the bats start to trash about, showing showing that the other group is in trouble. The leader knows that, and since Jamal doesn't really like that group, since their mission is to get the relic, they will do just that. Focina keeps groping Marnak, who asks her what she's doing. She asks if he's interested in archaeology, but he wants his damn question answered already before he murders her. She explains that she's the captain of the Royal Archaeologist team. She could get him a job right away if he wanted. Marnak screams at her to stop groping him, or he will cut her fingers up. He also asks why she's not worried. He thought that her team was in danger. Focina does not know if they are dead or not. There's really no point in feeling sad. They eventually arrive at a pretty big hole, where her men would have surely gone. This is actually where Princess Silen died. Marnak knows that name, and is shocked that the strange woman he met was actually a princess. Focina explains that this was her lab but also her fortress. In the ancient empire, there were no problems during the rule of her mother and the Emperor Jongla. However, when the time to choose a successor came, Silen rejected the throne, so an adopted son from a royal family took it. Naturally, since Silen rejected the throne outright, there were no problems in the beginning, but sometime later, Silen created the Immortali. What she is going to explain from here on out is just a theory, so he should take it with a grain or pound of salt. For the ancient empire, which had been built after ending the era of the evil mages, there was no enemy that could match them. However, thanks to the Immortali, Cylon gained fame. The emperor expanded his army a lot in order to reinforce his authority, but what should have helped him actually hurt him in the long run. A group of revolutionaries formed, pushing for Cylon to become empress. Cylon still did not care for the throne, which made the revolutionaries want her in a high position even more. They thought she would be much better than an emperor whose only concern was for power. In the end, a civil war broke out between the revolutionaries and the military. Both sides attempted to convince Cylon to help them since she was the sole producer of Immortali. The emperor believed that his sister would take his side, while the revolutionaries believed that Sion would not turn her back on the hardworking people. However, she took a decision that surprised both of them: neutrality. Because of this, both sides treated her as an enemy. She became someone they had to capture and use for their own sake instead of the person she was before. They all went to their laboratory ready to make her obey, but they were only met with metal soldiers who were too powerful to defeat. Marnak felt those metal soldiers on his own body. Unable to get to her, both sides began to take innocent lives in order to make her move. Cylon did become enraged by this fact, and so she decided to put an end to the civil war. Since both sides are evil, she would get rid of them both and end this pointless war. Most historical texts state that an army of heartless metal kept pouring out of her laboratory, so it's believed that the androids sided with her. In order to face this new threat, the Emperor and revolutionaries ended up as allies. With that alliance made, they put all their resources into one single project: the experts. An entire squad of just experts infiltrated the lab, and in the end they were able to assassinate Salon, ending her plans. However, no expert returned from that place either, but nobody knows why. There are no records left. After all, Salon's lab became a restricted area, so nobody was able to enter and see what happened. Marnak asked what happened to the Empire after their victory, with Fozer noting that it was just common human folly. After their common enemy was defeated, the Emperor and revolutionaries began fighting again, causing the fall of the Empire. Marnak listens well, but is curious to find out if she knows about Sion's numbered artifacts or whatever they are called. Focina has no clue about them, and Marnak gets what happened. In all likelihood, the experts were defeated. Her demon mother helped her play dead, and then she created the numbered items. Marnak suddenly remembers something Focina said. If she speaks true, then are they not allowed in here? Focina confirms as such, but this makes Marnak wonder why she brought her subordinates here. Serena tells him that it's a long and honestly pretty boring story. She's also sure that most things have faded away with time around here, but one important thing still remains: the instructions to create Immortali. Suddenly they both hear a scream coming from the distance, making Marnak rush in even faster. Most of the archaeologists that did not manage to get inside are now dead. One of them is still alive, but against what he is facing, living does not seem to be enough. The metal beast approaches, making him start to flail his hammer all around, but the metal soldier cuts it top, rendering it useless. With that, the man is at its mercy. However, just before it can land a strike, it blows up and gets sent flying to the wall. This was because of Marnak, who had made his glove into a railgun, which is quite effective. Marnak sees all the people that died before they came and finds it a waste of life. He can't help but feel responsible. Foss Saren asks what happened, with the man being glad to see that she's still alive, but she tells him to shut it and answer her questions. Firstly, where are the other members? The man explains that the walls suddenly got up and split the group. They touched nothing either. The guys after them probably did something though. The fight does not seem to be over as the metal soldier is getting back up. Marnak attempts to hit it, but it blocks his attack with ease. That is when Marnak notices that this guy is made up of immortalium entirely. However, compared to the gigantic metal beasts he has faced before, this guy is too sluggish, allowing him to deal a deadly strike that seems to deactivate the soldier. Foe Serena immediately grabs him and tells the remaining archaeologists to come and help already, instead of standing around, which they do as they hold the reactivating robot robot down. Marnak approaches, knowing that they would have just been eating away at each other's immortali if this was a normal blade, but this one can regenerate, allowing him to saw through the robot's head with ease, ending the fight. Everyone is happy that they lived through that encounter, but Mother is more ecstatic by the fact that if they sell this much immortalium, they will be literally swimming in the gold they will get. Suddenly the robot begins to let out a pretty thick smoke. The others think that it's poison, but it's the immortali melting away, which is probably by design. Marnak continues to play the role of an insane man as he goes deeper, with Dakia following from a distance too. He decides to sprint, surprising the others with his speed. As he runs through the halls, he hears some fighting behind a door, so he crashes through and prepares to slaughter more robots. However, what he has met with is surprising. The archaeologists are cheering on Jamal, who seems to be at her limit against these androids. Marnak is pretty confused. Why is an evil worshipper protecting the archaeologists? Jamal asks the archaeologists to stop messing around and help, which they would love to do, but they don't have any weapons and would only interfere. Suggests they go in and help after she dies, which Marnak doesn't know about. This might actually be an opportunity to find out more about Liberio. An elderly archaeologist reasons that they should help her. They will also be in danger if she dies. The others can't deny that logic and charge in, but Marnak screams at them to stop. What they are charging into is his murder target. Anyone who dares to even look at it will get murdered. One of them wonders if that's a new type of monster, but another realizes that it's a person. He just happens to be shirtless and also wearing a pretty rad mask. Marnak charges into one of the androids, creating a dust cloud. Jamal is very glad to have lived this encounter and watches Marnak fight the remaining androids. He transforms his glove into a power fist, which the android sees but is too late to react, and gets absolutely destroyed. Jamal notices an android that has moved up behind Marnak and uses her stone abilities to allow him time to counterattack. She is happy that it worked and pummels it into the ground again. The android begins speaking, calling for an emergency response, which is to deploy the advanced artifact. Marnak is naturally interested in this, but he does not have time to search for it right now because Focina arrives, happy to see that her team lives. Instead of looking for it, he uses divinity, which Jamal notices. Marnak attempts to find the artifact, and it seems like it is not coming from the way they got in, so it should be safe. He orders Focina to get her men and leave. They will only get in the way if they stay. Serena apologizes for the inconvenience. However, she still has about 20 more guys left around the area, but would he save them if he spots them? Marnak sighs and says that perhaps he will. With that, Focina gathers up her team and they all leave, but Marnak stops Jamal, who is trying to leave with them, and notes that she's coming with him. She says that she just has a few questions for them, but Marnak will not repeat himself. If she dares to deny him one more time, she will die, since the archaeologist team is pretty far away. Now Marnak tells Dakia to come out of the shadows, who is glad to finally take a breather. Jamal notices how Marnak's way of speaking has changed, so she tries to leave once again by creating a hole through the wall, but Marnak grabs her by the lower jaw and notes that she will die if she uses divinity. He only wants some questions answered. How many people are in Libero? Jamal is scared for her life and says that she does not know. They are all split into smaller groups, so they do not know how many there are in total. Marnak then asks how Liberat detects the relics, which Jamal is reluctant to answer, but she gives in after Marnak moves his blade closer to her neck. She explains that they have a relic map, but she does not have it with her. The higher-ups are the only ones allowed to carry it. Marnak asks how many relics they have collected so far, with Jamal only counting 4. Marnak has received this answer before, so he tells her not to tell lies. He was told there were 4 a long time ago from another evil worshipper. Jamal is speaking the truth. The map was damaged because of fights against other factions, and the map is pointing in all sorts of directions now. Marnak asks what she means by that, and so she explains. The Karis faction, which are trying to take down the Lords, and the Berso faction, which are attempting to summon the Lords, are fighting. The factions have 2 relics each, and she also heard a rumor about Karis knocking down a Lord recently. Marnak is pretty interested in that, and so he asks for a better explanation. Jamal does not know anything because she is from neither faction. Before Marnak can ask anything else, the door of the room bursts open, and out comes a mighty metal knight ready to kill without delay. Jamal begs to be allowed to use divinity. She vows to not betray him. Mother tells Marnak that the safest thing is to kill her, but something has been bothering him. She protected the archaeologists and did not attack him, and what's more is that Schnet probably would have told him to let her live. That bastard still lingers in his mind, so he will let her go just this once. Jamal immediately uses her powers to create an opportunity by making Earth gather at the knight's feet, allowing Marnak to charge in with a powerful strike. The air flies around because of it, but the knight has not even moved and blocks the attack with his head. Marnak is shocked, but instead of attacking, the knight bows down and calls him the successor. He, the third knight Taro, pays his respects. Marnak does not know what is going on, but Taro wishes to guide him to the administrator of the laboratory, asks what's going on, and Marnak explains that he was told this was Salon's laboratory before, but he's still scared of this metal man, so he asks if he's not just going to surprise attack them. Turo swears on his very name that such a thing will not happen. Mar takes that for granted and asks him to be their guide, which Tizio happily does. As they walk, Jamal asks what's going to happen to her now that the situation is resolved. Marnak does not want to kill her, but keeping her alive would also create problems. Mother just tells him to not worry about it and off her, but Doya turns to Jamal and notes that she must want to return to her friends. She can go if she wishes. Jamal denies that notion. She has already forgotten about Giselle and Zarn. She doesn't even know who they are. Daya notes that her words would probably make them sad, but Jam only hopes they understand, even if she does not know them. Dakia tries this to see if she would give out any information, but Marnak doesn't really care since they can't let her go and also not kill her. She will be following along. Perhaps she will do some chores, and maybe he will ask more questions. Doya understands, but since she will be accompanying them, would it be alright to use his real name? Marnak agrees and also takes off his mask, since it was getting stuffy. However, Jamal is shocked. Is he truly the priest Marnak? He asks if he's that popular, and Jamal confirms as such. He's the one who screwed with Liberio multiple times. There are portraits of his face everywhere. So will he also kill her once he gets his questions answered? Marnak tries to tell her that he really doesn't plan to do that, but she vows to do well. All she wants in return is her life. Marnak agrees. She just needs to let go of his leg. If enough time passes, he might even let her go. Jamal swears loyalty unto him and vows to be useful, but Marnak tells her that they should get a move on. They eventually arrive at a large vault door, which TS easily opens and tells Dispense that he has brought the successor. The claw-like machine asks if his words ring true, and Turo confirms as such. He is standing right beside him. Dispense apologizes as his sight sensor has been broken, but if he is truly the successor, he must have some proof of it, right? Marnak puts his hand forwards, allowing Dispense to see that he has one of the numbered items. Mother has not abandoned them after all. Marnak notes that there's one thing he wants to know. Have any of the people that came in this place left? Dispense explains that there are a total of 24 humans left. There is a group of 2 and another group of 22. They're putting up a fight, so it's taking a while to take care of them with their broken soldiers. Turo is the only knight they have left, after all. Marnak understands, but would like for them to not kill any of the 22 and let them go free. Dispense does, as he is told, and notes that they will focus the rest of their forces on the group of 2 people. Jamal asks for Jael and Zar to be let go too. She promises to try even harder. She will even wash their clothes. Mother begins to berate and mock her, but Marnak tells her to calm down. This woman is much better than the other evil spirit worshippers. She is considerate of her friends despite the given situation. He tells Dispense to let go of the others too, but he does not want the paths of the 2 groups to intersect. Dispense agrees. They will send the archaeologists to their colleagues, and the other group will go on their merry way. Additionally, he has something special for him. Mother left this piece behind a long time ago, and he would probably have some use for it. Marek's glove immediately absorbs the pair of leggings, giving him a new ability probably related to boosting. He thanks Dispense, who notes that there's no reason for his kindness. They just gave them to him as their mother has instructed. Mother believes they stumbled upon a gold mine, which Marnak also believes, but he is also curious as to why they all look so banged up. Dispense explains that the reason they are all in this shape is because of the people who attempted to ambush this place in order to kill their mother. After a fight with a squad filled with experts, all knights except Turo were defeated. 99% of soldiers were lost, and even Turo is not in a viable state to fight. Marnak gets that, but if they are still here to tell the tale, does that mean that they defeated the experts? Dispense notes that he could say that since they managed to survive, but they did not really win the battle. They utilized the fact that they were all living organisms to their advantage. They used everything they had to lock them up and let them starve. Marnak believes that it's truly amazing they were able to do such a thing, which Dispense thanks him for. However, he would like to ask a favor of him. They would like to reconstruct an army of ancient soldiers just for him, if he would allow it. Marnak is surprised, and Dispense explains that their mother was against it. However, it is important who is using these soldiers. Mark thinks about it for a bit and asks if these soldiers will be obedient to him no matter what, which Dispense confirms they will not dare turn against him. Marnak knows that the world turning against him is probably inevitable, so it would be nice to have an army that he could count on. Marnak allows it, but he would also like to ask how long it will take. Dispense notes that if they are to reconstruct the entire army, they would need a measly 100 years. Mark asks if they can't just reduce the army size and make it faster, but Dispense asks how many soldiers he needs, enough to conquer 1/8 of the Empire. Marnak tells him that the Empire has fallen, which Dispense is very happy to hear, but if so, he can make a smaller army and have it only take 50 years. Marnak asks if a year is too little time, which surprises Dispense. He would love to give him the soldiers now, but with the facility broken and no resources at hand, they will need at least 20 years to reconstruct the army. Since they are talking about reconstruction, he does a bit of tinkering on himself, allowing him to finally see again. It has been long since he saw human faces, but anyway, why Why is he in a rush? Is he in so much danger that he wishes for the process to be rushed? Marnak confirms that, making Dispense angry. He has enemies who will all perish under his might. Even if a year is little time, he will do his best with it and recover as many soldiers as possible. He can take a rest in the lab center for exactly a year. Marnak refuses as he has a lot to do outside. Dispense does not get Ith is in danger, and the outside is dangerous. They can promise him a leisurely stay, and they can also cut down the time to 11 months. But whatever he does, he just shouldn't leave them alone again. Mother says that 11 months is not bad, but the main quest is the problem here. This is why he also rejected his master's teachings. The fact that Liberio also brought down a lord isn't any consolation either. He just can't let something like that go. Somewhere else. A man is screaming for help, begging for someone to come and save him. A bunch of appendages sprout out of a cave and soon grab him inside, where his flesh is rendered and bones crushed. One of the cultists finds it funny the thing in there used to be a lord, meaning that the lords aren't really that amazing. Another calls his words blasphemy, but the man finds the real blasphemy to be the act of bringing down a lord like they just did. The other cultist notes that it's still a lord. Does he not feel the divinity? The man certainly can. He will not deny its power, but is it truly a lord? A lord should have dignity like the one he serves. What is in that cave is no lord in his eyes. He also heard that the orders are collecting warriors. What happened with that? They probably wouldn't have heard about that since they're here babysitting this thing. The Annihilation Crusade or whatever they are called are keeping busy, but they can ignore them and just keep doing what they are doing. The Lord screams out in hunger, the man knowing that it will be complete soon. They will need more testing subjects, with the other cultists explaining that they have already decided on a region of harvest, the Northern Kingdom. Eric apologizes as he has something to do, so he must leave, but he cannot give up such an amazing inheritance. He vows to not abandon them, which surprises Dispense. He will trust him, and he should do whatever he feels is important. They will focus on creating a strong army. He will give him the continent or the entire dimension if he so wishes. Turo suddenly bows down and asks to be taken with him. He is sure that he will be of help and would love to serve him. Marnak understands, but his size is a little suspicious to just walk around. Turo says that can be easily fixed as he can become as small as a bean or as big as a bear if he so wishes. Mother says that the pocket is reserved for her, and so Marnak asks him to decrease down to human size, which Turo immediately does. With that, Marnak allows him to come with. Suddenly a tube opens up right above Turo, and Dispense grabs him as he's in for some much-needed repair. It will take about 3 hours for him to be fixed, so they should wait a bit. Additionally, they have also recovered the soldiers he has previously destroyed. Mother believes that they have struck it rich, and Marnak asks if they can take them as they want to sell the Immortalium. Dispense asks if he's poor, which Marnak doesn't deny, but he has money right now, an ordinary amount. Dispense becomes worried about his financial status, but Immortalium is precious. It's better to keep rather than sell. Since it's like this, they will make sure to mine gold and jewels when they are mining for resources. If he waits just a bit, they will give him all the gold and jewels he would ever want. Marnak asks if this lab can be moved, which Dispense confirms it can move through earth, wind, and fire. Even the sky is no match for it, but all those features are temporarily unusable due to them needing to be repaired. Marnak notes that it's quite amazing. He will count on him in the future. Dispense thanks him and tells him to sit. He will notify them when the repairs are done. Dakia congratulates Marnak on his inheritance, and Jamal thinks that she can strike it rich if she sticks next to him. After Turo is repaired to a minimum, he is let go even though he could have used some more. Once they have enough resources, he will repair him so that he can go against even an expert. He also placed a communication device in him so that they could communicate at any time. He is sure that he'll be busy, but would he mind getting in contact with him from time to time? Marnak agrees, and so Dispense sends him off, promising to make him the king of the world. They return back to the tavern where Carmen and Sa have fully recovered, all with the help of Marnak, of course. Since this has been dealt with, Carmen would like an introduction to the newcomers. Marnak tells them to come this way, and Turo does just that. He is the third knight that serves the successor, Turo. Carmen asks if he's an android, which he is not. Marnak tells him that he's a relic from the ancient empire, a smart one at that. Carmen shakes hands with him, and Sajida goes to do the same but also asks for a duel when he has time. Tizio says that he will need the successor's permission first, who allows it. With that, they promise to fight someday. Next is Jamal, who bows down and says that she will work like a dog. Carmen asks if she has done something bad to him, but Jamal denies that. She is just simply touched by her master's Golda, his generosity. She will also do anything if she can earn money. Marnak doesn't even know what to say, and just sighs. The Annihilation Crusade is being summoned to go on their first crusade to the Northern Kingdom, where they will kill the fallen lord there. Every warrior will feel that a lord war is upon them. At night, the party talks about something quite suspicious. Only a week after they left the capital, there have been rumors about missing persons around Battis. This makes Dakia wonder what her brother is doing, with Marnak noting that they would arrive in Beatis in 2 to 3 weeks, so they should investigate slowly. Additionally, the Smiling Lord is also there, who is Daka's father. She thinks about him and notes that they will meet anyway, so she would like to tell them that the Smiling Lord CTO IRL is not in his right mind. This surprises everyone, and Carmen asks since when. Dakia says that it started 3 years ago, but Marnak is curious about who's acting in his place. Perhaps her brother? But no, it's Douglas Martin. Marnak is surprised that it's an outsider. However, Dakia explains that Martin is close to his father and also an honest man. He always praised him, but this is still all so strange. Marnak feels that he shouldn't have been able to appoint someone if he lost his mind. Dakia tells him that there was a document which states that if anything happened to her father, Martin would rule in his place for 5 years. Everyone was suspicious at first, but Martin swore to take on the duty, and since he has done good work, nobody is suspecting him of anything. Jamal asks if someone else is after the Smiling Lord, which could be a possibility, but it does not seem to be the case. Dakia is lost in thought, but the food soon arrives, a platter of all the goods they can think of. As they eat, Marnak hears someone asking the tavern keeper if he has seen any suspicious fellows around lately, specifically ones in robes. The tavern keeper notes that most travelers are dressed in robes, but the 3 people at that table match his description. The man looks at the party and thanks him with a gold coin. This is also payment for staying here a night, and the man vows to intervene if something happens. Jamal almost chokes on her meal as if they are recognized. They are done for. The man approaches the table, introducing himself as Admo of the Annihilation Crusade. Behind him is Tatiana, and even if customary, they cannot name their Sochin. Marnak begins chanting his usual rhetoric while also introducing himself as Marnak, servant of the Lordess of Preservation, who looks over the daily life of the common people. Admo apologizes for interrupting his meal, but Marnak is more surprised by something else, as Mother cannot see how many fingers they have. Perhaps he is a demon. Perhaps the Annihilation Crusade has those in their roster. Admo attempts to leave, but Marnak stops him and notes that he has heard a few things about the Annihilation Crusade. What brings him to this place? Admo finds no harm in telling him they are looking for evil worshippers, as they are probably the perpetrators of these awful incidents. Marnak feels the same. These evil worshippers need to be lynched in public. However, how can they tell someone is one of those? Admo notes that he probably did not hear since he is on pilgrimage, but the forces have sent an emissary recently. 4 angels descended to their lowly ground and blessed them with their presence. Marnak coughs and Jamal almost loses consciousness. Marnak cannot believe that 4 incarnations of violence descended, but Admo feels blessed that they are here. Marnak knows what this means. The main quest has just begun in earnest. The group goes to their respective lodgings to rest, but Dakia knocks on Marnak's door, and he tells her to come in while he combs Mother's hair. Dakia wanted to talk with him about some future plans. She slowly enters the room, which Jamal sees and is quite shocked. There's only one thing a man and a woman can do in a room while they are alone. That slimy priest is scheming to take over the Irel household, starting with Dakia. She knew that he would become a source of wealth. It seems like the forces of fortune have truly smiled upon her. Mother is quite upset at Dakia just busting in like this. She should discuss what she wants with the others, and not bother them. Marnak tells her to not be so mean while giving her a massage. Dakia has been with them all this time and is quite helpful. He turns to Dakia and asks what she wants to discuss. She begins to fidget with her legs and hands, saying that ever since she knows herself, she has wanted to be the head of the household. That is why she wanted to have a sort of revenge at the people who looked at her with disdain just because she was a mage. She wanted to be a wise head of the household and prove to them that they were wrong. She tried really hard. She studied too much, honestly, and she even trained her swordsmanship to her desired level. She would lie if she said that she didn't want the recognition of her father and brother. This was doubly so against her brother, as they were in the same position. Yet his eyes were always filled with hate when he looked at her. Marnak wonders why that is. Dakia takes a deep breath and explains that their mother passed when she brought her into the world. She had a choice to kill her and live, but she was not a selfish woman and gave herself up so she could live. That is why her brother was so filled with hate. He believed that she was the one who took their mother, a demon who would bring dishonor to their family. Marnak takes all of this information and tells her that it really isn't her fault. She did not choose to be born a mage or chose that her mother would die as she gave birth to her. Dakia knew he would say something of the sort, but anyway, after their father went insane, her brother took on his role as family head. He made sure that no matter what, she would not gain power. Although that wasn't anything new, he was doing that ever since they were young. Her sudden engagement was one of his plans too. Most of their household agreed as well. Thus she decided to take her life into her own hands. She ran off, at least until the engagement would be nullified. Even if she were to go back right now, she wouldn't be able to do much. Marnak asks if she thinks her brother was the one behind the kidnapping, but she doesn't really know. Whoever it was, they just wanted to get her married in order to resolve a disturbance in their household. She feels bad for saying this because it's quite common, but she feels bad because she doesn't want to get married to someone she has not even met. Marnak is confused. If she was not able to do anything, even if she returned, why did she request their help? Dakia knows she cannot hope to beat her brother, but kidnapping the daughter of the Smiling Lord is quite quite the crime. She thought that perhaps she would use that to nullify the engagement. Marnak wonders what she's worried about if that's the case. But Dakia has begun wondering, is becoming the head of the household just to prove everyone wrong what she truly wants? She has realized that she's not fit to lead people, nor does she think that it's bad to wander around with him and everyone else. She has come to him for his guidance. What should she do? Go with the original plan and face her brother, or just take her money and leave with them? Marnak smiles and says that nobody is truly born a leader, although it's also true that her becoming the household head would cause problems. However, he is sure that with effort, she will become the best leader. The Dakia he knows is somebody who doesn't accept her fate so easily. Dakia becomes embarrassed as he's being too nice. She really is not that great. Marnak thinks that she is, but he will not give her the answer to her questions. She must overcome this on her own, so that she will regret it a lot less in the future. Also, he's not nearly wise enough to answer people's questions. Dakia understands she would answer her own question. Since they have talked, she decides to leave, after wishing both him and Mother a good night. Marnak wishes the same to her, but before she leaves, Dakia tells him that if he ever needs her, he should let her know. She'll always take his opinion into account. Mark is quite surprised by this, but Mother tells him not to stop massaging her, causing him to apologize. Jamal heard the door open and swiftly went to listen in. She heard Dakia telling Marnak to call her whenever he needed something, causing her to think about some pretty weird stuff. However, this means Marnak has completely enchanted her, and soon he'll make her rich. 10 days later, as they walk toward their destination, Dakia wonders how far they are. Mark tells them there's a village up ahead where they can rest for a while. Carmen is glad to hear it as they ran out of food 3 days ago. Marnak tells him it was fine. They hunted the rest of the food they needed. The most important thing is that they haven't seen civilization for 10 days, but they all need rest, so they should look for an inn first. As they walk around, Mother tells Marnak something shocking, which catches him off guard. She cannot see the number of fingers these people have. Carmen sees Marnak stopping and asks what he's doing. Marnak turns to him and says they'll have to be on alert from now on. This place isn't really an ordinary village. They eventually find lodging, and Carmen tries to make sense of what he said. This village really does have a connection to the evil lord worshippers. Marek confirms this and thinks it isn't possible that everyone in the village is a demon or part of the Annihilation Crusade. Dakia believes they should split up and investigate until sunset at least. Carmen agrees as they can't ignore it if what Marnek says is true. Since this is quite a big village, they should split into 3 groups of 2. Dakia immediately wants to say she'll team up with Marnak, but they've already decided the teams. He'll go with Jamal, Toizo will go with Dakia, and Carmen with Sajida. Everyone agrees as the teams sound pretty balanced. Dakia can't complain now and accepts it too, with a sad face. With that, everyone leaves, but Dakia and Marnak stay behind. She asks why he teamed up with Jamal. He doesn't trust her yet, right? Marnak confirms as much, but she believes he doesn't really need to worry anymore. Marnak also agrees, but he wishes he could just continue not worrying about it. Dakia understands where he's coming from. However, next time he will team up with her no matter what. Marnak and Jamal ask around the village about strange incidents, with most agreeing they've happened. Among other things, people have gone missing from the village to the point that others can't even sleep at night because of the anticipation. Jamal notices everyone is saying the same thing, but Marnak recognizes they're not really lying. Jamal shyly agrees, making Marnak believe she has something to say, so he encourages her. She's surprised he found out, and asks why he thought this village was connected to the evil lord worshippers. Marnak tells her that the lord he serves noticed something strange about this village. Jamal is shocked to find out he communicates with his lord. That's truly amazing. Normally these lords only spout incoherent and nonsensical stuff. Marnak shuts her up as she doesn't know who might hear her. Jamal understands. She'll deal with anyone who dared to hear her, but Marnak tells her to stop with a karate chop to the head. Before killing anyone, she must get his permission first. She understands, and since the sun is about to set, Marnak also suggests they go to the miller before it gets too dark. Jamal asks why the miller, so he explains that millers collect taxes, so they must know something the ordinary citizens wouldn't know. The miller also knows about the disappearances, but adds nothing new from what they already knew. Mark starts to suspect something, but just before he could gather his thoughts, a strange sound begins to bellow. The miller tries to say it came from the village chief's residence, but he doesn't get to as his head begins to split open slowly. Suddenly, he breaks out in a bunch of violent tentacles that immediately attack the two. Marnak summons his bracelet, and with it punches the monster into pieces, which dies on the spot. Marnak knew something was strange. They were talking about disappearances, but none of them talked about who exactly was missing. Perhaps it was because of this thing that Mother couldn't see the fingers. This is a parasitic monster. Jamal asks if these are really parasites, which Marnak confirms. It seems everyone in this village is a person who went missing and was captured out of nowhere. A flurry of white magic appears behind them. Marak recognizes this is Daka's magic. He wonders what situation she's in to use so much mana, but she really is in danger against someone or something that seems giddy at her attempts to do any damage. A bunch more parasites parasites jump Marnak, who takes them out with a single blast of his gauntlet. He screams at Jamal to hurry up and follow him, who agrees, and so they both start bolting toward Dakia. She tries her best to defeat the opponent in front of her, but he only laughs. He tells her she's doing this for nothing. He's been chosen by Lord himself, so a mage like her won't be able to do anything. He also sees how beautiful her eyes are, making him glad she wasn't infected like everyone else in this village. Dakia asks what he wants, and where he got that power from in the first place. The man has already told her he graciously received this power from a lord that descended to their lowly realm. As for what he wants, well, it's quite simple. To have a beauty like her in his slender arms. Dakia immediately blasts his head after he says this, as he's too disgusting. The man tells her she should relax. She'll do that no matter what, as he has always wished to hold a woman with silver hair and golden eyes in his devoted arms. To the surprise of both Dakia and Toito, he begins transforming into something more grotesque, prompting him to introduce himself once again. He is the fallen lord's fourth disciple, Koroth the Despised. He begins to chase after them, but Toizo grabs Dakia and bolts swiftly. He tells her the enemy is faster than he anticipated. She tries to say she'll slow him down with magic, but almost throws up because of the speed they're going at. Derso explains he'll stay here and fight that man-like beast. She should go and find Marnak while he stalls. Dakia asks if he's sure, but Toizo tells her not to worry. His body is made from pure immortality, and he also doesn't like running away. He is his master's blade after all. Koroth almost grabs Toizo, who dashes into him, severing one of his arms off and making him crash into the ground behind him. He can only laugh as he sees his princess trying to leave, but this is his town, and nobody can do as they please. He creates a large wall of flesh in front of her, which makes her quite mad, and she tells him he's dead once Marnak gets here. Koroth likes that she's playing hard to get. He likes the hunt even more. Toizo tells him he won't get any further than that, as this ends here. Koroth wonders what he is, a knight in shining armor protecting a princess? Does he really think he can hold him in place? Derso doesn't believe that, but he does trust that he'll kill him right here and right now. Koroth hates arrogant worms, so he rushes in only for Toizo to put his blade in front of his arm and slash. The blade does go through, but Koroth tightens his maggot-infested flesh, causing Toizo to get stuck. This is the true power of a pious disciple. Toizo is not concerned as he activates the boosters that are in his arms and easily rips through Koroth's decayed flesh. As long as he is here and he can still fight, no matter what, he will not be allowed to go further. Koroth thinks that this is preposterous. He is nothing but a mere mortal. Toizo disproves that by jumping at him at blinding speeds that Koroth cannot hope to dodge. Toizo vows to kill him again and again, as many times as it takes for him to die. Koroth falls to the ground, but instead of feeling pain, he smiles and laughs like a madman. He thinks of himself as strong because he was only just playing along, but he should look at himself and realize the situation he's in. Sure enough, Toizo is filled with maggots on his left arm, making Koroth extremely happy. However, that happiness does not last long as his doom has arrived. The priest, Marnak. Koroth cannot move, as Marnak spreads his corruption, allowing Dakia to get closer and affirm what she said earlier. Once Marnak gets here, it's over for him. He sees that the corruption spread is far too slow. The glove is going to break first if it continues like this. Perhaps this guy is not a disciple. He tells Jamal and Dakia to go look for the other two, but first he orders Jamal to bring Toizo here, who immediately gets to it. Dakia asks if there's something she can do, but Marnak doesn't believe so. Only 38 seconds remain until his glove breaks, but Jamal eventually finds Toizo and puts him next to Marnak. With that done, he tells them to leave as he will catch up soon enough. After Jamal walks a fair distance, Marnak activates the hole of corruption, making them fall into a dark chasm. Toizo is quite surprised, but even more so by the fact that the maggots have been killed, allowing him to move. He thanks Marnak by bowing, although he is quite ashamed. Marnak tells him not to be. He should get up as he has done quite well, and this fight is not over either. Koroth is annoyed, as for the first time in a while he is feeling real pain, making him ask what he did to his beautiful body and where they even are. Marnak doesn't feel any obligation to answer his questions. He is going to die here, and since neither of them will have mercy, he should stand down and be humble in death. Koroth is not intimidated. He knows that this realm will disappear when he kills him. Marnak tells Mother to do it, and as Koroth rushes with a punch, the giant of corruption intercepts him and throws a gut punch that makes even him smile. He also notices Toizo, making him wonder what he is, but he knows that he's Master's friend. Koroth becomes even more enraged, and as the giant closes in, he lets out a bunch of tentacles that hold the giant in place. He will not allow them to defeat a disciple so easily. Instead of despairing, the giant is glad as this position allows him to cut this beast with both arms, forcing Koroth to let go. He is not done yet, however, as he pummels the giant with his tentacle-like appendages. He has decided that he will not hold back. It's time to make them see the true power of a disciple. Marnak tells him that he won't have the time to and upgrades the sword of corruption using most of his divinity. Mother swiftly gives it to him, and as Marnak clenches it, he can see that he can only hold it for 20 seconds. much less than in the past. But this should be enough to take care of that ugly bastard. Koroth asks what makes him think that he will let another injury appear on his delicate body. Marnak knows that up until now, this guy has not fought with full power, but he will not let him transform just to see it. He unleashes the full power of the corruption sword, and with a single slice, completely annihilates Koroth, ending his miserable life. Even if they won, Mother is quite upset as they could not take his divinity. Marnak understands her anger, but there's something else he has his eyes on. The guards of the city try to fight another beast that has appeared. They ready their weapons against this creature, but it seems to be intelligent and only enjoys the texture of their squishy bodies. This is the revered Adora. She refuses to fight these lowly creatures on an even level, so Adora lets out her wings and flies away, proclaiming that they cannot do anything to her. Adiko, who is also there, was glad that he finally found a disciple, but they were not prepared for a flying type. Adora asks what happened with all their ambition. Did they not scream and shout that they will end her? They should go cry to their weak lords for help. Suddenly someone yells at her to stop, as she will not speak of the lords with that monstrous mouth of hers. This man is the fourth star. Adora tries to ask who he is to interrupt her, but the fourth star demands silence. He will turn her into complete ash. The least she could do is remain silent. Admiko and the soldiers recognize him and start to revere his fiery beauty, while Adora asks him a question. What were the lords in heaven doing when she was desperate for help and pleaded for it too? They are all sick in the head and probably voyeurs too. The fourth star cannot stand such dishonor, so he throws his spear at Adora, who can barely dodge. She now knows that this man is way stronger than the others, but he doesn't stop. He drags his spear back and lunges it forwards with all his might. Adora can feel the power. She will end up cremated if that attack hits her. She doesn't seem to be doing anything, but what she has done is leave behind her carapace and try to sneak away. The fourth star refuses to let her leave and blocks her with his fiery feathers. Adora also refuses to just back down. Life has just become bearable for her, so she will not die in such a place. Not now. Unfortunately, the fourth star's flaming feathers envelop and destroy her wings, causing her to fall down slowly. Admo begins to strangely hear the clopping of a horse, and sure enough, one is coming to them, although it's not exactly a horse, but a centaur who rushes through the soldiers without a problem. The fourth star rushes to attack her, which the centaur notices, so she rushes through his attack while grabbing Adora. This allows both of them to flee, and for Adora to promise revenge on the fourth star, who seems to be angered by their sudden escape. The two eventually stop in a cave, where the Minotaur tells Adora that Koroth has died. She is surprised to find out that it took so long, but what about the fragment of the relic they had? The centaur shakes her head as it's gone. Marnak picks up the piece of that relic, finding it interesting what they have done to it. Several days after this, which would go on to be called the Raid of the Fourth Disciple, the group are continuing their journey, but Marnak finds something weird. It was really nice to find another relic, although something doesn't add up. How can a lord relic contain the divinity of another lord? Did they steal a part of Mother, or were they able to absorb her divinity? If that was true, it would not have been necessary to divide up their power to kill that bastard. Mother tells him to leave it for now, which he agrees with. They will find out once they get closer to a different fragment with the same type of divinity inside. Even if they did not take Koroth's divinity, they have gained now really isn't that bad. Dakia sees him thinking about something and asks what's bothering him. Marnak tells her he was just thinking about the incident that happened a few days ago, the village massacre. Mother doesn't understand why Dakia looks so sad, but Marnak gets it. It was a village under the IRL family's authority, so she probably feels responsible. Dakia decides she should ask her brother why the territory is in such bad shape. Marnak asks if he should instead ask Sir Martin, but Dakia tells him that Martin is trying his best. She finds it suspicious that her brother is so quiet when he's always tried to expand his influence. Jamal, who's in front, is the first to see it. They've finally arrived at Beatus. K-Men knows they got here earlier than expected, so they should get super drunk tonight, his treat. Jamal instantly agrees, saying she'll make her liver fail. Marnak asks Dakia what she'll do. She says it's already late, so they'll announce their arrival tomorrow. Also, since Carmen is paying, they should get some good booze. The Red Prince and his assistant had the same idea, with the assistant enjoying his drink, but the Red Prince wasn't in the mood. They've been waiting for that bastard, but he doesn't seem to be in a hurry. As the group walks around town, Carmen asks Dakia if she recommends any places, since he's been here for odd jobs but never got this far. Dakia admits she doesn't know because she hasn't been around here much either. Carmen laughs it off, saying there are many people he can ask for suggestions, which he does. Dakia envies Carmen's constant energy, but Marnak doesn't know what to say about that. Even people who seem happy have a dark side. Dakia asks if he knows something she doesn't, but Marnak doesn't want to share without permission. Jay signals them to hurry up, so Dakia pulls Marnak by the hand. They eventually find a spot to relax and toast to Marnak. He likes the toast idea, but wonders why it had to be about him. After about 2 drinks, Jamal starts talking about how rich she'll become from her investment, but shortly after passes out. Carmen is amused that she drank literally everything he gave her, but he still has Seda to drink with, since they have a long way to go. Marnak wants to ask Dakia something, but notices she's quite drunk. He's surprised she hasn't passed out yet. She tries to say something, but feels the urge to throw up, so Marnak escorts her to a place where she can do so. Dakia spots a barrel as they run, so Marnak grabs it just in case. That's when they meet VTIS, who instantly recognizes Marnak. Dakia can't hold it anymore, so she grabs the barrel and starts throwing up in it. Marnak gently taps her back, making Vat mad, but nobody notices. Marnak helps Dakia, who falls into his arms and apologizes with a happy smile. Voss gets angrier as Dakia says she doesn't feel great and wants Marnak to carry her to the room, just like last time. This sends Voss over the edge, and he tries to approach, but his assistant barely manages to stop him. Marnak asks if he has any business with him. Voss calls him a shitty disciple who's trying to seduce the princess. Marnak calmly tells him it's a mistake. They're not like that. Voss knocks his assistant aside, accusing Marnak of lying and tainting her. The assistant advises him to calm down, saying making a scene in public isn't good. Marnak sees this as a chance to leave before things get worse, so he quietly walks out while Voss fights with his assistant. Marnak recognizes this man as the Prince of the Dragon Kingdom, a wealthy nation of Thean throws east of the continent. The royal bloodline consists of draconic humans. If a player started the game as one, they'd get huge stat buffs and a respected social class. He didn't expect such a respected figure to have this impression of him, so they should leave Boss quickly. He wonders if Dakia will abandon her position to come with him, or if the lords will notice Mother's presence and send angels to eliminate him. As he orders napkins and cold water for Dakia, he ponders how he's faced many hardships because of his position, but maybe he's the one pushing this world toward its end. The bartender interrupts his thoughts by bringing what he requested. Marnak takes it to Dakia and suggests she drink the water. Dakia decides to sleep right there, but then another figure appears, Da's brother, Derso Irel. Marnak guesses he's probably here to see the Dragon Prince. Derso takes one look at Dakia and Marnak as he passes, saying she hasn't changed at all. The next day, everyone except Dakia and Marnak is extremely hungover. Carmen tells Seda that can really drink. They drank all night, but he doesn't even seem drunk, just gently sleeping. Suddenly, Sa smashes his face into his toast, making a mess. Carmen laughs, thinking he won, but then he also face plants on the table, making it a tie. Marnak tells Dakia they drank a lot, and she's not proud of what she did. She asks if he has plans today, which he doesn't. They're basically free, and those two could use the day off. Before Dakia can ask him something, Jamal comes down with a big sigh, greets everyone, and comments that they reek of alcohol. Marnak tells her that those two kept drinking even after returning to the inn, but she doesn't care. She just wants to sleep. Marnak tells her to go ahead since it's a rest day. What Jamal said raises suspicions for Dakia, so she asks if she also smells like alcohol. Marnak confirms it, so Dakia suggests they go to the bank in the afternoon instead of right away since she needs to take care of it. Marnak asks why they'd go to the bank, forgetting that she has gold to pay them for bringing her all this way. Unfortunately, when they get to the bank, the clerk tells her the safe she's trying to access is under the Ariel household name and is currently banned from all access. Dakia doesn't understand, saying it's not a household safe but a personal one. When she asks who banned it, the clerk checks some papers and reveals it was Douglas Martin, the acting lord. Dakia wanted to avoid this, but since they have no choice, they'll have to see Martin. Marnak agrees to follow her. As they're escorted by a maid, he remembers what Du said, that Martin took over the lord's responsibilities after the smiling lord lost his mind. The maid stops and points them to the right door. As they enter, Martin greets Dakia, noting she looks well and that her time away from home has been fun, which he was hoping for. Dakia greets him as acting lord, but he says she doesn't need to do that. She can just call him Martin like before. Dakia stands her ground and calls him acting lord once again as Martin cleans his monocle. He notes that she must have some kind of issue with him. Dakia says that's nonsense, but if he feels that way, it must be because he feels guilty about something. Mother screams some obscenities at Martin, making Marnak glad that he's the only one who can hear her. Martin guesses she's here because of her banned personal safe access, which Dakia confirms. Why did he even do that in the first place? Martin explains simply, if he hadn't done it, she might never have returned to this estate. He turns to who he presumes is Father Marnak, who confirms that he is indeed that person and a follower of the Lordess of Preservation. Martin says he's selling himself short as he has many titles: Demon Slayer, Destroyer of Kelton's evil spirits, Archon's enemy, and Eratico's savior. He has quite the portfolio, but Marnak brushes them off as rumors which have only grown more exaggerated the more they're talked about. He's sure he's done much less than what the rumors say, but Martin knows he's only being humble. No matter the size of the achievement, it is still an achievement. He has done many things for the good of the people, so the smiling lord wishes to speak with him. Vess's assistant calmly drinks his tea, as Vess throws a temper tantrum, saying he wanted to rip that priest bastard to pieces right there. He should have done just that, so why did he stop? The assistant, Hilden, explains that if he had done that, he would not have liked the results. Why is he even mad? He only needed the princess's status, right? However, if rumors about her and the priest spread, he would have to break off his engagement because he has an image to maintain. Vadis knows all of this. The only thing that enrages him is seeing his fiancé in the arms of another man. He decides to go and kill him right now, discreetly, so nobody notices. Hilden tells tells him to reconsider. He knows that patience will bring much better rewards. He knows that Vus is strong, but considering what transpired in the eastern region, Marnak is not someone he can underestimate. Someone begins to knock on their door, and when Vus answers, a butler comes in reporting that Dakia has returned to the mansion. He immediately gets out of his bed and asks where she is, with the butler confirming she's at Martin's office. Hilden asks what he's even doing, but Vus has already made up his mind. He's going to see his fiancée, as he did not get to properly greet her yesterday. Hilden tells him that he will not get what he wants if he sees her, which Vus doesn't understand why. To answer, Hilden asks the butler a question: is the princess in the office alone? The butler confirms that she came with the company of Priest Marnak, making Vus mad once again as he does not want to see that bastard with his woman. Marnak arrives at the door of the Smiling Lord, with the maid telling him to go in, as she cannot go in with him. Marnak doesn't know what to think. The household head wishes to meet an outsider like him, and Martin did not reveal anything either. Who will he even talk to, since the Smiling Lord lost his sanity? After he turns a corner, the Smiling Lord greets him, although he probably has no use for introducing himself. Marnak has heard that he's not doing well, but the Smiling Lord tells him to relax. He has regained his senses recently, so they can talk freely. He has borrowed Martin's powers to look into him. He was also told that he is a hero who appeared like a meteor. Marnak says that he only did what he had to, but since he got comfortable, the Smiling Lord decides to drop a bombshell. He has heard that he has quite an established relationship with his daughter. Marnak tries to explain that it's a misunderstanding. There's nothing going on between them, but the Smiling Lord doesn't believe it, as he has heard Dakia goes to his room every single night, and in quite comfortable clothes too. Marnak can't tell the Smiling Lord that she only comes to play with Mother, but he actually isn't mad. He thought it was better for her. Marnak asks what he means, so the Smiling Lord asks him to take his daughter out of this place. Marnak doesn't know what he's talking about, but the Smiling Lord explains that he's telling him to go live a happy life with his daughter. He will support them so they will never have to struggle. However, he must leave Bada's as fast as possible and tell her to never come back. He will also take care of the engagement to the Dragon Kingdom Prince, so he needn't worry about that youngling. Marnak refuses, but the Smiling Lord does not understand why. He would not find any better conditions anywhere, and as a plus, besides Dakia's beauty, any son or daughter born with his blood will be flawless in looks. She is a mage who has no support, as nobody wants her to be the Lord. Marnak doesn't care. If she says that she wants to become Lord, he will support her. If she says that she will leave with him, he won't say no either. This choice is not his to make, but hers. If he really wishes for her to leave the estate so badly, it would only be right to tell her in person. Right? The Smiling Lord stays silent for a moment and explains the reason why he will not tell her. She is a bright child who bounces back. The harder one tries to push her down. If he were to tell her to go, she would push even further for the lordship. Unfortunately, the future that would come from that action is not something she truly cares about, so he would like him to convince her being an estate lord is really not what people think it is, especially in their case. Marnak wonders if he can ask something rude, but the Smiling Lord notes that he's already been plenty rude, so more couldn't hurt. Marnak has heard that he did not pay much attention to her when she was growing up, so why did he make him this kind of offer? The Smiling Lord doesn't have a reason. His mind just changed after all these years. He should leave this place as soon as possible. It would be best for that child. With that, he tells Marnak to get out, but before he opens the door, he also asks him not to let others know he regained his senses. He should just tell them that he struggled to communicate because of his insanity. With that, Marnak gets out, leaving the Smiling Lord with his thoughts and the two evil worshippers behind him. One of them asks if the preparations are done, and the Smiling Lord gets up with a glow in his eyes. Soon they shall be. He only needs a bit more time to settle some accounts. Just as Marnak gets out of the Smiling Lord's abode, he sees Dakia fighting with Vadis, as she did not come here to see him and had no intention of marrying him. She turns to Marnak and asks if the meeting is done, and then turns to VTIS, apologizing for the engagement but stating she will not have it. Hilden knows what's about to happen, so he grabs Vus before he could lash out once again. Unfortunately, this time Vus does not let himself get stopped, as he has had enough of Marnak spending time with his fiancée. Dakia blocks his path and tells him once again that they're not getting married, which he doesn't understand. Is something lacking about him? Dakia says it's not that, she just does not want to get married. VT asks her to at least share a meal together, but his attempt is blocked by Dak's cold nature, who has other plans. After all, he asks about the entire damn week, but Dakia only says that she's busy. Marnak is surprised by how fast she dumped this guy, but Vus has one last card to play. He heard that a theatrical company is in Badis. There is a famous singer with them by the name of Adoa. Before he can ask if she would like to join him, Dakia says that she has already seen her play. Vus tells her that the show is in 3 days, but Dakia really doesn't care as these shows are too similar, so she won't be watching any new ones. Vus becomes enraged as he knows that she's rejecting him because of that Marnak bastard. Doya says that it has nothing to do with with him, but Votus doesn't believe her one bit, as he knows that she goes to his room every single night. A silence falls after he reveals this, even Mother being mad at Marnak, but he doesn't know why as Dakia comes over for her. Marnak explains that there's a misunderstanding. They do not have that kind of relationship, but Vus tells him to shut it. He can see through his facade. He is a womanizer who probably got even more excited after he heard that Dakia was a princess and had a fiancé. Before he can say anything more, Dakia screams at him to shut up and sets the record once and for all. There's nothing going on between her and Marnak, and he is not that kind of person either. He is a good man who lives for others. He has never in his life hesitated to rescue someone even through hardship. Additionally, he was the one who saved her from the kidnappers, so she cannot stand him insulting the person who saved her. She has decided to make it clear. So she, Dakia Irel, swears by her family name to nullify her engagement to him. This declaration shall stand as long as the flower of their household does not wilt. Votus can't believe this. Will it really take her entire household being brought down in order for her to consider marriage? He screams at Derso, as they did not agree to this. Derso can't believe that Dakia is as impatient as Rudy as ever. She should not swear on the family name so casually. Does she not even know her position in this house because she's a mage? Fuss pushes past the others and straight to Derso, as he has promised him the princess. Derso did no such thing. He told him that he can have her if he can, so why is he complaining when he cannot even pull a single woman? Fuss becomes enraged at his insulting words, as he will not just get away with this, but Derso has had enough of this child. If he dares to raise his voice at him one more time, he will report everything to the demonic dragon king. Does he understand? Vus knows his position here, so he tells Hilden to get up as he storms off. Dakia knows something's fishy. He was the one who suggested the kidnapping, and Votus just accepted it. Derso knows about no kidnapping. He only told Votus to protect her. She was whining, only thinking of herself without a shred of thought for this household. If he really tried to kidnap her, she certainly wouldn't have made it this far. She should feel grateful that he did not strike her down since she is a blood relative. Since that is done and dusted, she better leave with that man. She only has 3 days to do so. After that, he cannot guarantee her safety. After they get out of the estate, Dakia screams out in rage, but that rage turns into purpose as she asks Marnak if she can beat that bastard with her spells. Marnak tells her to relax, as he will probably die if she does so, but Dakia is sure he will be fine since he has thick skin. Mother tells Marnak that this can't be a coincidence, which he agrees with, as both her brother and father told them to get out. Suddenly, Dakia points in front of them where Jamal is being detained by 2 guards. Turo rushes to his side to ask his questions. It seems that somebody has outed Jamal as an evil spirit worshipper. After talking with a guard, Dakia has gotten all the information she needed. They did hear that evil spirit worshippers were running wild, but she did not expect the guard to start arresting them like this. She has heard that the Annihilation Crusade people are on their way, so what do? Marnak asks what will happen to an evil spirit worshipper who has been arrested, and Dakia knows the answer, although she would rather not. They will be handed to the Annihilation Crusade, where they will be tortured about any information they have on liberation until their demise. Marnak figures out that in order to detect evil spirit worshippers who do not use power, they are probably detecting the remaining divinity of the evil spirit inside their body. If that is the case, he can likely do something. Dakia asks if he has an idea, which he does, even if it would be hard for him to save Jamal. If Mother helps, they can hide her at least. In the dark, decrepit holding area, Jamal begins regretting her entire life. She became a priestess out of pure luck, but it was not really what she wanted. She was an orphan, and was taken in by the evil spirit worshippers. She didn't have much of a choice in the matter. She wonders if it was the right move to come with Marnak. Perhaps she should have ran, but he was really her last hope. She prays to her lord and wonders what to do. She knows that she will be killed on the spot after the guards do their rounds. When they leave, 2 people appear in front of Jamal, which makes her smile. Giselle and Zarn are here. Jamal is glad that they are alive and well, but the feeling is not the same. Jamal feels the atmosphere being off, so she asks if they are the ones who turned her in. Giselle confirms as such, as she is a damn traitor. While they were fighting for their lives, she was living the high life with that priest bastard. She was worried at first because they got separated, but it seems like she didn't have to be. Jamal explains that they got it wrong. She worked hard to save them. If it were not for her asking Marnak to help, they would have died. Giselle wonders how that priest would have helped. Could he actually control the ancient empire's weapons or what? Jamal was going to say just that. She just needs time to explain. The 2 give her some time, although they would rather not. Jamal goes on to say that after they separated, she found the excavation squad they were looking for, but then a bunch of silver soldiers kept attacking them. Since they wanted to ask those guys questions, she couldn't let them die. so she helped out, but it was too much even for her. That is when Marnak appeared and fought off the silver soldiers with her. Giselle tells her to wait. She said that he can control them, so why would he fight them? Jamal tells her that it was before he got that power, but that doesn't matter. After all that, a silver soldier twice the size of a normal man looked for Marnak and kneeled, calling him a successor before telling them more. Giselle stops her, as it's clear she's making this up. All this talk about a successor in the ancient empire soldiers, she really is an imaginative girl. Jamal swears she's not lying, but Giselle doesn't care. Why did she not join them after leaving the ruins? Why has she been going with him? Jamal can't tell them that, so Giselle reveals that they have been watching her since she got into Bias. That Marnak did not do a thing to keep her there, yet she followed him like a happy little puppy. Jamal explains that he would kill her if she ran off, but he's actually really nice. That's why they should come with them too. That guy is really a beacon of hope for them, so he will certainly accept them. Giselle slaps her hand away, saying they will never be traitors like her. Beatus is already in Liberati's hands, so she doesn't need to worry about that anymore. Zarn tells her not to reveal anything more, but she doesn't care since it doesn't matter anyway. They grew up together, but traitors are not to be tolerated, so as a mercy, she will make this swift and painless. As Giselle continues talking, Zarn grabs her gun, knowing she's hesitating. Giselle wonders why this idiot girl had to do this, and Zarn pulls the trigger. Just as the bullet is fired, Turo jumps into the air on a rat and cuts the bullet straight in two, missing Jamal entirely. He begins reprimanding the two for daring to harm the successor's friend. Everyone stays silent as they look at the small Turo, wondering what they should even do. Giselle wonders if this is the soldier she was talking about. He really doesn't seem that big. To prove them wrong, he transforms into his normal form, much bigger than what Jamal described. He asks Jamal if she's hurt, who isn't, and advises him to focus on the fight. Turo says these two will die here, as that is the best solution. Anyone who mistreats the successor's allies is a threat. Giselle and Zarn pull back, but Turo activates his booster and jumps in. Giselle activates her magic with Turo moving even faster to catch them, but he only manages to create a last air blast as he strikes the ground. Jamal asks if they ran away, which Turo confirms and apologizes for being unable to defeat the enemy. Jamal is fine with that and thanks him, but asks how he knew she was here. Turo explains that he's only here to tell her that Marnak will arrive soon. Jamal thanks him and asks if he would like an escape route, but Turo knows that might create trouble, so he will go back the same way he came. He returns to his tiny form and happily rides on his mouse steed. Jamal realizes something shortly after. When Giselle used her power, she did not feel an ounce of divinity. She must tell Marnak about it. Sure enough, after a while, Marnak arrives with the keys to the cells. Jamal asks how he got them, but he only says that he borrowed them from some rather sleepy guards. She asks about Dakia, who is currently busy distracting the guards at the entrance. Jamal rushes to hug Marnak after she is freed, but Mother appears and puts her to the ground with a wrestler move. Jamal's back is wrecked, and Marnak apologizes for the aggressive first meeting. This is the mother of corruption he serves. Jamal can't believe she's seeing an actual being. It's truly an honor. She wants to shake hands, but Mother hides behind Marnak, who explains that she's too shy. He tells Mother they have to leave as fast as possible. Mother understands and approaches Jamal, signaling her to kneel, then uses her powers. After she's done, she returns to Marnak's embrace, where she transforms into a hand. He asks Jamal not to tell anyone about this since it's a secret. She vows to never tell a soul, but also has something to reveal. Earlier, when Giselle ambushed her, she didn't feel any divinity coming from her powers. Marnak thinks it's better to discuss this once they get out, but Jamal is also curious about what Mother did. Marnak explains that she removed the divinity from Jamal's body so she won't get caught unless she uses her powers. It's all thanks to Mother's impressive abilities. Since they're still in danger, he asks Turo to protect them, who has no problem with it. They successfully extract Jamal and go to the inn, where Carmen and Sita have just woken up. Jamal immediately begins beating them up for not being there when she needed them most. Marnak is glad to see they're having fun. Dakia asks Marnak to stop by the bank once again with her, which he guesses is about the money she has to give for the mission of protecting the eldest daughter of CTO Irel until Batas. It seems their long journey is on its last page.